Yang. Still heartbroken? You confessed? No. Shang Xin bit her lower lip, looking helpless. And tell me what's going on you, Ray, so shocked that I'm confused. Shang Xin stopped sobbing and said slowly, Boss Yang. Boss Yang is Xiao Yang. He has a girlfriend. Wu. What did you say? It's that Xiao Yang. Which Xiao Yang? Xiao Yi said in surprise. Yeah, Shang Xin nodded, looking a little obedient and aggrieved. Look, I gave half of the earphone to Xiao Yi. At this time, Xiao Yang's voice was slowly coming. What was playing was the second half of Secret, sung by Xiao Yang with red eyes. It's really Xiao Yang. Xiao Yi had heard Xiao Yang's Sunny Day many times, so she could naturally recognize it. Is he confessing his love to another girl? Xiao Yi asked. Yeah. No, doesn't he already have a girlfriend? Didn't Qingqian write this for his girlfriend? Isn't this something we've known for a long time? Yes, but I'm so sore. Ooh. Xiao Yi was stunned for a long time and was speechless. Well, the school of the music college, are you jealous? Is Xiao Yang so outstanding? Have. For example, he rewarded us with over 100 million in gifts. That's fine. It's really excellent. Besides being rich, Xiao Yi continued to ask. Is the song good? Nice. He composed the music and wrote the lyrics himself. Is he handsome? Handsome. He confessed his love to this girl 100 times. Is he infatuated? Infatuated. Besides, he is very gentle and not arrogant at all. Woo. My evaluation is that he is a perfect male god. Xiao Yi was stunned for a while. Having said that, damn, I feel a little sore too. How can a boy be so perfect? He can compose his own music and lyrics, sings beautifully, has a billionaire fortune, is handsome and young, gentle, considerate and infatuated. What the hell? At this time in the video, Xiao Yang had already finished singing the entire song. Raise your head. A deeply affectionate and unforgettable confession. Wow, what girl can be so lucky? She confessed her love 100 times. Yeah, Shang Xin also nodded repeatedly. The two sisters hugged each other, their eyes moist. At this moment, a girl ran down from the dormitory building and entered the camera. She is so beautiful, Xiao Yi said in surprise. Yeah, Shang Xin nodded again. But you're not bad either. Xiao Yi comforted. Can you stop humming? If someone doesn't know me, I think you could make fun of me just by chatting with me. Shang Xin glared at Xiao Yi. No driving allowed. You tell me, what can I do? I don't even have the courage to confess my feelings to them. They are a perfect match, a talented man and a beautiful woman. Shang Xin's face was full of envy. Really? Rub it. You've broken up before you even confessed your feelings. Xiao Yi touched Shang Xin's head. By the way, besides this matter, what about the contract? It's about the contract. Shang Xin wiped her tears and said, Xiao Yang is the boss of Xuanhua Music Company. At this point, her expression brightened and she took out her cell phone. Look, I saw Wan Qian today. This is a photo of the two of us. Wan Qian. Xiao Yi was full of surprise and quickly took the phone. Fuck, goddess. How come Wan Qian is still so beautiful? Yes, Wan Qian is Xiao Yang's employee. He seems to be managing the noise for him. She will be my boss from now on. What about the contract? What are the requirements? Have you negotiated salary or anything like that? No, but Xiao Yang asked her to arrange for me the highest standard artist contract on the market. Isn't that a contract for a top artist? I guess so. You're not a newcomer. I don't know either. Xiao Yi thought about it, and suddenly asked in surprise, could it be? Shang Xin's face was full of question marks. I wonder if Xiao Yang is attracted to you, although his girlfriend is also very beautiful. You are not bad either. After thinking about it, Xiao Yi suddenly realized something and said, maybe he wants you to be his mistress. This contract is actually to support you. What are you talking about? Shang Xin interrupted quickly. Xiao Yang is not that kind of person. And why do you think he would give you such a high-level contract? Because I sing well. Shang Xin was very confident. Xiao Yi poked Shang Xin's forehead and said, can you use your brain? Aren't there many people in the entertainment industry who can sing well? Aren't there many people who are good-looking? Everyone started out as a newcomer. Why do you get a top-tier contract right away? There's something strange. There must be something strange. Do you think Wan Qian is also being kept by him? Xiao Yi suddenly asked in surprise. Ah? Shang Xin was stunned. It's very likely. Xiao Yi looked as if she saw through it. She suddenly looked at Shang Xin. If Xiao Yang really has this plan, what will you do? That's impossible. He treats his girlfriend, etc. Xiao Yi just swiped Shang Xin's phone. Soon, a photo of her and Xiao Yang appeared on her phone. This was the photo that Shang Xin shamelessly asked for after getting off the car just now. In the photo, her eyes were red and Xiao Yang was smiling gently. They looked like a couple, with the boy comforting the girl. Xiaoyang, why does he look so familiar? She glanced around again. Sister Xiaoyang? The voice came out of his mouth. She remembered that she was also in the car that day. After being hit, the cool and aggressive Sister Xiaoyang fought against 10 people alone and knocked down many strong men. She was later sent to the hospital. Same person? Shang Xin hesitated for a moment and had to nod. Xiaoyang, President Yang, Sister Xiaoyang. They are all the same person? Oh my god. Why did he wear women's clothes that day? I don't know. Shang Xin shook her head. It's so complicated. Xiao Yi felt her head was in a mess. By the way, when Sister Xiaoyang was in the hospital that day, didn't you say you saw a girl visiting him? Wait. That girl doesn't seem to be Lin Qiu. The two of them suddenly realized what was going on and covered their mouths at the same time, trying not to scream. He has two girlfriends. It's over. He may appear to be a passionate man, but he is actually a scumbag. Maybe he really wants to support you, Xiao Yi said firmly. Shang Xin was stunned. But before she could think carefully, Xiao Yi had already started the next sentence. What if he really wants to support you? Xin. What to do? Shang Xin was confused. The two couldn't help but recall the teasing they had shared that day when they got the top spot on the Rising Stars list. What if Mr. Yang already has a wife? Her answer at that time was, then be his lover. But now comes the problem. Do you really take it? A figure of Xiao Yang emerged in Shang Xin's mind. Handsome, talented, gentle, with clear eyes, he doesn't seem to have any possessiveness towards her. What to do? He is so perfect. It seems that being his lover wouldn't be a big problem. Chapter 227 Late Night Murder. It's late at night. At this moment, Xiao Yang was holding Zhang Yan in his arms and sleeping peacefully. As for exercise, considering that Zhang Yan still has to go back to school to train tennis, forget it and just fall asleep in each other's arms. But he slept soundly, but the other side was not like that. At this moment, next to a street full of lights and wine, a young man in his 20s was shivering and curled up in the corner. The wind is cold and the night is particularly chilly. He himself didn't know how many days he hadn't taken a shower. And his clothes were already covered in mud and dirt. And it was impossible to recognize their original appearance. If Xiao Yang were here at this moment, he would definitely find out that this was the second young master of the Fang family who was once so glorious and arrogant. But the collapse of the Fang group, the entire group company was also blocked. All his properties were confiscated, and Fang Jingyuan was driven out of his original luxurious villa by his relatives and friends. All the things that originally belonged to him disappeared from this world. In fact, Fang Jingyuan did have some money on him. But at first, he didn't know what this meant. He still lives in a luxurious hotel and still parties every night. He thought he was still the young master of the Fang family and the most dissolute playboy in Jiangdu. He only goes out and never comes in. A few days ago, he was robbed by a group of thugs and ended up having to live here. It's all the fault of that bastard Xiao Yang. Fang Jingyuan was trembling, his eyes full of resentment. Yes, and King Xuanton. I can't get around him. Fang Jingyuan rubbed his body. But it was too cold and he couldn't fall asleep. How could a dandy boy like me, who once enjoyed such great success, fall to this point? Fang Jingyuan blinked his eyes tiredly. All that came to his mind was the extravagant life he had led when the Fang family was still around. Here, a girl in bright clothes passed by. Fang Jingyuan's true nature was exposed. His expression kept wandering around the girl. What are you looking at? You stinky beggar. What did you say? Fang Jingyuan's face changed. Idiot, the girl glanced at him with disgust, then immediately covered her nose and walked away with a look of disgust on her face. You, Fang Jingyuan clenched his fists, his face full of anger. In the past, if a woman dared to talk to me like this, I wouldn't even need to say a word, as someone would have volunteered to pull the woman in front of me and have her kneel down to apologize in public. And I don't even look down on such a woman. They are all Xiao Yang and King Xuanton. You two bastards, I will make sure you pay the price. Fang Jingyuan's eyes flashed with ferocity. At this moment, a voice suddenly sounded beside my ear. Isn't this the second young master of the Fang family? Fang Jingyuan turned around and saw a man in a suit standing beside him with a teasing look on his face. Why, second young master can't remember me. Looking at Fang Jingyuan's surprised expression, the man walked in slowly. Have you forgotten that you fell in love with my girlfriend and asked me to send her to you personally? The corners of the man's mouth rose slightly, but his eyes were full of anger. It's you, Fang Jingyuan remembered. He remembered that the man seemed to be an employee in the company. Later, when he went to the company to ask his brother for money, he happened to meet him. At that time, the man was accompanied by a female student who was good-looking and very pure. I liked this type of thing and immediately gave the man a hint. What he didn't expect was that the man actually knocked his girlfriend unconscious and brought her to him. Who knew that when he was doing it, the woman woke up and resisted so strongly that she was knocked unconscious by him. Later, it was said that her uterus or something ruptured in the hospital. I forgot, but she was infertile anyway. As a result, the incident became quite serious and was suppressed by Fang Jingyang. The man's mouth curled up immediately when he saw Fang Jingyang, thinking, "Young Master Fang, you actually remembered it. I thought you were a forgetful person." The man grabbed Fang Jingyuan by the collar, his face full of hatred. "What do you want to do?" Fang Jingyuan suddenly looked terrified. "What do I want to do? What do you think?" As soon as the man finished speaking, he punched Fang Jingyuan in the face. With a bang, Fang Jingyuan screamed in pain, and a trace of blood immediately flowed from the corner of his mouth. "If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have fallen to this point. Damn it, I sent the person to you, and now you're done with your shit and leave me behind." The man cursed. He originally thought that if he could just hand his girlfriend over to him, he would be able to rise to prominence. Who knew Fang Jingyuan would go too far? As for what happened later, Fang Jingyang resolved the matter with thundering means. He gave the woman a large sum of compensation, but he was fired by the company. Not only that, the woman couldn't go to the Fang family to make trouble, but she could come to her place to make trouble. He is now harassed by the woman's relatives and friends every day. He has changed several jobs but lost all his jobs because of this incident. And he also blamed all of this on Fang Jingyuan. Fang Jingyuan was punched, but he was not so scared or angry. He laughed loudly and looked at the man in front of him, as if he had entered a state of madness. "Ah, idiot? Big idiot. You sent your girlfriend to me. Speaking of which, your girlfriend is really nice. That feeling. Haha. You blame me, but you should also blame yourself. If you didn't want to be my dog, why would you think of sending her to my bed? Now the dog wants to bite its owner, right?" Fang Jingyuan laughed wildly. This also made the man even more angry. Bang! Another punch landed. One of Fang Jingyuan's teeth was knocked out instantly. He spat a mouthful of blood foam and suddenly turned around. With a bang, the two heads suddenly collided with each other. The man was knocked back several steps. Fang Jingyuan rubbed his slightly red and swollen forehead, but he still had that crazy smile on his face. He glanced around. Suddenly he picked up a tile from the ground. "What are you going to do?" This time, the man was scared. "What am I going to do? You think you're worthy enough to beat up Fang Jingyuan?" A fierce look flashed across Fang Jingyuan's face. Seeing this, the man quickly ran away. Who would have thought that Fang Jingyuan had fallen to such a state? Yet he was still running so fast. With a bang, a brick fell on the back of the man's head. Blood dripped onto the ground along with the bricks. Fang Jingyuan laughed, still carrying bricks in his hands. The man fell to the ground, his face filled with horror. "No matter how poor I am, no idiot like you can come and try to scam me," Fang Jingyuan cursed. Soon, his smile faded. Suddenly, he picked up the bricks and fell down again. Under dim light, the man gradually lost his breath. Fang Jingyuan stopped moving bricks and breathed heavily. "I am a scumbag, and you are also a scumbag, but now I am a scumbag who doesn't care about his life." He reached out his hand, rummaged through the man's clothes, and quickly pulled out several $100 bills. Fang Jingyuan put the money in his pocket and never looked at the man lying on the ground again. "Turn your head." His bloody hands clenched tighter. Ding Xuan Tong. Xiaoyang. Just wait. Chapter 228. Xiaoyang is here to scum himself. The sun is shining in the sky. It is a rare good day today. A man came out of a hotel. I changed clothes and took a shower. Fang Jingyang looked at the cheap clothes on his body and frowned slightly. It seemed as if he had forgotten everything that happened yesterday. And he wasn't at all panicked. He glanced at the location from yesterday. A cordon had been set up and he could see a trace of blood on the roadside. He doesn't have time to deal with that. For him, life now is just one day at a time. He did not regret beating the man to death, and he didn't even feel the slightest bit of emotion about it. He is no longer the second young master of the Fang family, and he knows that he can no longer live this kind of life. He only wants to do one thing now. At this moment, Jiangdu Medical College. King Xuantong was biting her red lips at this moment. Her eyes were slightly red, and she looked a little angry. She had long forgotten what the teacher was saying in class, and the only thing left in her mind was, how am I supposed to pick it up? There is also a video of a small broken station on the phone. The video shows Xiaoyang and Lin Qiyu hugging each other. She pouts, her expression full of envy. Damn Xiaoyang. After cursing in her heart, King Xuantong's face was full of depression. To be honest, I envy this girl so much. Right? The man should be a singer. I searched online for these two songs, but couldn't find them. They are really original songs. I'm so jealous. The guy is handsome and talented. I never get tired of listening to these two songs. It's just that there's a bit too much noise. If there's a CD album like that, I'll definitely buy it. It's so hard to find a guy like this. I even went to the forum of the University of Finance and Economics to see him. He really confessed his love to me 100 times without missing a single one. Oh, my God, how can a guy be so infatuated? Men like this must be extinct. I don't know, at least there are no such men in our medical school. A few girls were whispering on the side. Silently. Xiao Yang's videos have become popular on Bilibili. Confession, even 100 times. For viewers who have been hanging out on the small site for years, it is still very interesting. Originally they just went to watch out of curiosity. But as soon as Xiao Yang opened his mouth, all the audience said, "I kneel down to him." This video has already been viewed over 1 million times. When girls saw this, they recommended it to their boyfriends. Look at other people's boyfriends, then look at your own boyfriend. How the hell can you compare this? The more I look at it, the more I dislike it. And King Xuantong was also recommended by her best friend early in the morning. Confess 100 times, a lovesick man? She clicked it out of curiosity. And when she saw Xiao Yang, she was completely blown away. Confession. Another confession. After listening to the two songs, King Xuantong's eyes were already filled with tears. What is this? Didn't he call me that day and say he was going to confess his feelings to John Yan? It's only been a short time, why did he confess to Lin Qiyu again? And it's the 100th time. You can confess to Lin Qiyu 100 times. Is it so difficult to confess to me once? There was envy and jealousy in King Xuantong's eyes. It was obviously me who knew Xiao Yang first. And I'm also very good looking. She looked at the video of the two people hugging each other and her nose felt sore. A girl came over to the side. You're touched, right? Me too. King Xuantong turned around to look at her best friend and sighed. How can there be a man so handsome, so talented, and so infatuated? Infatuation. Bullshit, scumbag, King Xuantong cursed in a low voice. Scumbag? The best eye looked confused. Of course he is a scumbag. He confessed his love to Zhang Yan and then to Lin Qiyu. If this isn't what a scumbag is, then what is? King Xuantong turned off the video and opened WeChat. I quickly found Xiao Yang's WeChat. Thus looking at the chat records from several days ago. King Xuantong sighed. Xiao Yang, are you asleep? Okay. Do you sleep alone? No, Zhang Yan is here. This was the last chat between the two. I have to say that Xiao Yang is very honest. It was so honest that King Xuantong didn't know what to say. Should I say something to him now? You scumbag, are you free? Come and dump me. This is too. So annoying. King Xuantong shook her little head, looking unwilling. At this time, the bell for the end of get out of class rang. King Xuantong withdrew her thoughts and walked depressedly on the campus path. Many boys set their sights on King Xuantong after all. This is the school of their medical school. A boy came up to chat with her, but was quickly driven away by King Xuantong's sarcasm. It's worthy of being a cool school, my best IE joked. You want to seduce me without even realizing what you look like. King Xuantong snorted. At this moment, a girl suddenly ran over and said, King Xuantong, someone is looking for you. Who is it? He said his name is Xiao Yang and asked you to go to Longji Bar, where he will wait for you. Xiao Yang, King Xuantong's expression brightened slightly. Is he finally willing to cheat on me? But the best friend beside him asked in confusion. Who is Xiao Yang? It can't be Xiao Yang who just confessed his love for the 100th time. How is it possible? A boy who is so infatuated already has a girlfriend, too. That's not right. Doesn't Longji Bar only open in the evening? Someone frowned and spoke up. But when he looked again, King Xuantong was nowhere to be seen. She jogged all the way and was out of the school gate long ago. Longji Bar? She asked casually and someone quickly pointed out the location. It must be coming this way. King Xuantong couldn't help but feel secretly delighted as she walked. What if Xiao Yang confesses to me? Should I just refuse it directly? After all, he could confess to Lin Qiyu 100 times. So what's wrong with him confessing to himself a few more times? No, he is a scumbag. There are Zhang Yan and Lin Qiyu. Damn scumbag. Reject, you must reject his confession harshly. As she was thinking about this, King Xuantong realized that the place was getting further and further away. Cross this alley and you will find Longji Bar. She recalled the location that the passerby had pointed out. But as soon as she took the first step into the alley, the expression on her face was replaced by surprise. Fang Jingyuan, King Xuantong's face was full of surprise, and she quickly spread her legs and ran back. But before he could run out, Fang Jingyuan pulled him back. What are you doing? I called you. Scream, haha, whatever you want. Fang Jingyuan's mouth corners slightly raised, and a dagger suddenly appeared in his hand. A dagger with a hint of cold light slowly approached. King Xuantong swallowed her saliva but did not dare to move. Fang Jingyuan gently slapped the dagger on King Xuantong's face and grinned. Should I say you are stupid, or that you two have a deep relationship? I just mentioned your name, and you came here so excitedly? King Xuantong's face was gradually replaced by panic. If it were normal times, she would definitely send a message to Xiaoyang to confirm. But after watching the confession video, my mind was controlled by emotions and I didn't have time to think so much. Even if Xiaoyang wanted to come, he would drive here. Why would he choose such a remote place? But at this moment she no longer had any regrets. And the only thing that mattered was how to escape. What do you want to do? King Xuantong asked coldly. What do I want to do? There are so many things I want to do. I want to strip you naked, you stinky bitch, and see how you are different from those women. I want to chop that bastard Xiaoyang into pieces and feed him to the dogs. But that would be too easy for him. Fang Jingyuan snorted coldly, his face ferocious and cruel. Chapter 229 Madman. King Xuantong was unaware of the Fang family's affairs. She only knew that the Fang group was under investigation as reported in the news. But she did not know that the Fang family had fallen to this point. Looking at Fang Jingyuan, whose face looked ferocious and not as good as before, she was still a little flustered. Fang Jingyuan, I advise you that this is a society ruled by law. You must not do anything illegal because of a momentary impulse. King Xuantong looked at the dagger jumping in front of her eyes and couldn't help but shrink back, fearing that the dagger would cut her face directly. On impulse? You said I acted on impulse? After he finished speaking, Fang Jingyuan's face became even more ferocious. There was a stinging pain as the blade touched my face. Do you know what I've been through? Do you know what Xiaoyang did to me? I am where I am today thanks to Xiaoyang. I only regret that I didn't kill Xiaoyang in the first place. Fang Jingyang took a deep breath and his body trembled slightly. Looking at this woman who once charmed me, the feeling in my heart is indescribable. At this moment, a trace of blood flowed out from King Xuantong's clean face as the blade shook. Seeing the blood, Fang Jingyang seemed even more excited. He raised the corner of his mouth, put the dagger back and licked the blood on the blade. What on earth are you going to do? You'll know soon. Fang Jingyuan raised the corners of his mouth and grinned. Suddenly footsteps were heard outside the alley. Fang Jingyuan's face changed. Walk. Where are you going? King Xuantong did not move. She did not want to be ordered around, but the dagger in front of her forced her to obey. Go forward. Fang Jingyuan urged King Xuantong. The latter had no choice but to move her feet, as the dagger against her back had already stabbed her back. It's not too late for you to turn back now. What you have done is illegal. Xiaoyang will never let you go. King Xuantong tried hard to remain shocked and said slowly. I don't know whether he will let me go or not, but I will definitely not let him go. Fang Jingyuan knew at this moment that there was no turning back. Just when he beat to death the man who sent his girlfriend to wear it yesterday. He was tired of being looked down upon by passersby on the street, and tired of living in constant fear and anxiety. He missed his past. But he also knew that he could never go back. And all this was caused by Xiaoyang and King Xuantong. He wants to say goodbye to his current life, but before leaving, he must finish the things he wanted to do but couldn't do before. One is King Xuantong in front of him, and the other is Xiaoyang. He wanted to make sure that this pair of bastards died without a trace of mortal remains. There was a hint of madness on Fang Jingyang's face, but his eyes were extremely calm. He even felt that he was the smartest at this moment. But after a while, the two of them arrived in front of a bar. This is also the Long Ji bar that Fang Jingyuan originally mentioned. Go in. Next to it, a small door was open. Fang Jingyuan showed no mercy and kicked King Xuantong in. King Xuantong almost fell to the ground. She turned around and glared at Fang Jingyuan. It's a pity that if it were in the past, Fang Jingyuan might have restrained himself. But now he doesn't care and doesn't take anything to heart. Even to him, King Xuantong was even more beautiful in this state. At this time, two big men had already walked over. Young Master Fang. The two of them glanced at King Xuantong and their expressions brightened. They were the staff of this bar. They usually saw many female students coming to the bar to play. But it was rare to see someone as beautiful as King Xuantong, who was pure and sexy and could make people feel excited. But they also understood that this student looked like he was deceived or kidnapped. They frowned for a moment because this was illegal after all. They couldn't help doing some shady things on weekdays. And Fang Jingyuan had always been a frequent visitor here in the past. They had often seen Fang Jingyuan bring different girls to play here. Only, the Fang family today is no longer the same as before. Seeing the two people hesitating, Fang Jingyuan knew what they were thinking. After this incident, you will definitely benefit from it. No matter how poor I am, I still have a few million in small change. Have I ever given you less money before? Arrange a private room. Also, call back Chi Long and the others from the bar. There's someone you need to teach me a lesson. Fang Jingyuan's expression turned grim and he held his head high. Still looking like the arrogant second young master of the Fang family. The two looked at each other. As the saying goes, a lean camel is bigger than a horse. The Fang group was very large and powerful in the past. As the young master of the Fang family, he must have had a lot of private money. They still believed it. Tie him up. Fang Jingyuan didn't even look at the other person and carefully put away the dagger. Some people immediately took out tropes, while others called the bars thugs. The so-called Black Dragon, in person. King Xuantong looked cold. Fang Jingyuan, what on earth do you want to do? Don't you know what I want to do? Of course. It's your turn. Fang Jingyuan laughed. King Xuantong suppressed her anger. Aren't you very afraid of Xiaoyang? If he knew, he would definitely not get away from you. You are wrong. I just want him to know that if possible, I would like to be with you in front of him. Fang Jingyuan made an extremely obscene gesture. You mad pervert. Fang Jingyuan didn't bother to pay attention to King Xuantong's words and just took out his cell phone from her bag. Unlock. He brought the phone in front of King Xuantong, who turned her head away, just thinking about how to delay time. Fang Jingyuan just shook his head and placed her fingertips on the lock frequency. Soon, the phone was unlocked. Fang Jingyuan swiped his phone, opened the call log, and looked for Xiaoyang's phone number. Soon, King Xuantong's hands were tied up. Fang Jingyuan waved his hand, and someone took King Xuantong to a private room in the bar. Fang Jingyuan followed closely, with the corners of his mouth rising. Soon, King Xuantong was thrown on the sofa in the private room, and Fang Jingyuan had found Xiaoyang's phone number. At the side, the bar staff who followed took a look at King Xuantong's graceful figure and couldn't help swallowing. Fang Jingyuan knew what they were thinking. He waved his hand and said, "Let's talk after I'm done. Bring some wine also. Have the brothers prepare their weapons. Don't worry, if anything goes wrong, I'll take care of it. After it's done, I'll give you 5 million. Fang Jingyuan said a number. The latter's expression brightened. Okay, I'll get you some wine first. As they were talking, a ringtone soon rang on King Xuantong's cell phone. The call has been connected. Hey, King Xuantong, you are so free to come to me today? Soon, Xiaoyang's voice came from the phone. Fang Jingyuan looked ruthless. It was the owner of this voice that caused him to end up in such a situation. However, Fang Jingyuan did not speak harshly. Instead, he raised the corners of his mouth and grinned. Xiaoyang. Chapter 230 Disfigurement. On the other side, Xiaoyang had just finished lunch and was about to go to school to bring food to Linqiu, while Zhang Yan was washing dishes in the kitchen, preparing to go to school for tennis training. Hearing the man's voice coming from the other end of the phone, Xiaoyang was stunned. Not King Xuantong? He glanced at the notes. But it'd be a high school classmate? Otherwise, how could he say his name? After thinking for a while, Xiaoyang asked, "Who are you?" Fang Jingyuan was stunned for a moment. He didn't expect that Xiaoyang didn't even remember his voice, and he couldn't help but get angry. "I am Fang Jingyuan." Fang Jingyuan. Xiaoyang's expression changed. Zhang Yan, who had just come out of the kitchen, couldn't help but frown when she heard Fang Jingyuan's name. "Why is King Xuantong's phone number with you?" Xiaoyang asked in a deep voice. "Not only is her phone here with me, she's also here with me." Fang Jingyuan chuckled. "What do you want to do?" Xiaoyang raised his eyebrows and frowned, feeling something was wrong. "Long Jibar near the medical school. Within an hour. Don't call the police. I just want to see you alone. You'd better listen to me, otherwise, you will be collecting King Xuantong's body." As soon as the voice fell, Xiaoyang had already understood what Fang Jingyuan meant. At this time, King Xuantong's voice also came over. "Xiaoyang." But before he could finish his words, Fang Jingyuan hung up the phone. Xiaoyang immediately put on his clothes. Zhang Yan beside him also asked in confusion, "What did Fang Jingyuan do?" "He kidnapped King Xuantong." King Xuantong has been kidnapped. How dare he do that?" Zhang Yan frowned. She did know King Xuantong, and they had even added each other on WeChat and had a good chat. She also hurriedly helped Xiaoyang get the shoes. What did Fang Jingyuan say just now? Xiaoyang was afraid that Zhang Yan would worry, so he just said casually, "It's nothing serious. Let me prepare some money and he will release the person after I pay him. It's not a big problem." Only then did Zhang Yan feel relieved. "Then let me help you deliver the things to Linqiu." Xiaoyang turned around in surprise. He didn't expect Zhang Yan to say this. Is the first wife preparing to meet the second wife? Xiaoyang took a breath of cold air. "Well, that's not necessary." "What do you mean she doesn't need to? She's probably waiting for you." "If she can't wait for you, she might hate me as her first wife. As an older sister, I always have to talk to my younger sister," Zhang Yan said with a smile. "I hope you guys don't fight. It's not like we haven't met before. Don't worry. We will definitely have a great chat." Xiaoyang had no choice but to nod. put on his clothes, and hurried out. At this time, Fang Jingyuan was here. He hung up the phone and turned his attention back to King Xuantong. Although King Xuantong was tied up, only her hands were tied. She glanced at Fang Jingyuan and could not help but take several steps back. Seeing this, Fang Jingyuan couldn't help but smile. "Pai, are you afraid of me? Don't be afraid, your beloved Xiao Yang will be here soon." But I gave him an hour. Wow, that's enough time for him to play for a long time. At this time, the wine was also brought in. Fang Jingyuan waved his hand, but the latter seemed to be completely unaware. Fang Jingyuan's face suddenly darkened. "I said, I'm done playing and you can do whatever you want. What are you doing? You don't understand what I'm saying, right? Get out of here." "Oi, sorry, Master Fang." The other party quickly left the private room. Fang Jingyuan shook his head although he liked to play. He was not so perverted as to allow others to watch him. After taking a sip of wine, Fang Jingyuan glanced at King Xuantong. I saw a streak of blood on her face, which was left by the dagger that stabbed her face before. However, this made King Xuantong look even more stunning, with a hint of blood on her pale face. Fang Jingyuan was not too anxious and asked casually, "Do you want to take it off yourself, or should I do it?" This is a sentence he often said normally. The women would take off their clothes by themselves, but today was naturally different. He couldn't help but sneer. "I almost forgot, you are tied up. Well, let me help you take it off. Come to think of it, my favorite thing is to help people take off their clothes." Fang Jingyuan laughed loudly, as if he was mocking himself. "It's a pity that the happy times we had in the past can't be returned anymore." And the instigator was none other than Xiao Yang. He slowly took out the dagger. The blade slid across King Xuantong's face again. King Xuantong's breathing became heavier and her eyes were slightly red. She was just a fragile girl who had never seen such a scene before. Her previous calmness disappeared and a tear fell from the corner of her eye. Seeing this, Fang Jingyuan did not feel distressed, but continued to laugh wildly. "Look, why didn't you just agree to my request? Money and car, whatever you want, I'll give you. Why did you have to do this?" Fang Jingyuan spoke slowly as the dagger in his hand slid gently down his neck. The blade cut across the collarbone and slid down the collar. He gently unbuttoned his collar. The snow-white skin was suddenly exposed to the air. Fang Jingyuan couldn't help but swallow. But King Xuantong felt a chill and her body trembled slightly. The blade continued down. King Xuantong dared not move, for fear that the blade would fall on her body. Soon, wherever the blade went, the clothes were torn apart. A large area of snow-white skin came into view. As expected of a medical school, this figure is top-notch. Fang Jingyuan smiled and looked at the black bra on the other person's chest, his eyes becoming more and more crazy. King Xuantong moved backwards. Fang Jingyuan sneered, "I advise you not to move, this knife has no eyes." King Xuantong just felt extremely humiliated. Tears were already overflowing from his eyes. She couldn't help but take a step forward, not knowing where she got the courage from. "Okay, come on. Kill me if you dare." She didn't retreat. Instead, she moved forward, looking at the dagger that was shining coldly. Fang Jingyuan didn't expect King Xuantong to be like this, and was stunned for a moment. "Fang Jingyuan, you're a loser. Do you know why I don't want to be with you even though you gave me so many things? Because you can't compare to Xiao Yang at all. You are a complete waste." She glanced around, and even though her face was covered in tears, she still looked stubborn. She struggled to stand up and smiled instead. "Speaking of which, there are so many people chasing after me. But the ones I despise the most are people like you. What do you want to do with a knife? Threaten me? Are you afraid that I'll run away? This place is so small. And I'm a woman, and you tied my hands and tried to rape me with a knife? Do you really think I'm afraid of you? Come on. We are all studying medicine. You don't need me to tell you where the aorta is. Come on, come towards it." "Damn, you idiot, you waste. You coward." Fang Jingyuan didn't know why King Xuantong suddenly became so wild. The blade was still in his hand, and he was stunned for a moment as he looked at the girl in front of him with a mocking look on her face. "King Xuantong, do you think I will stop just like this? You've watched too many movies." Although Fang Jingyuan was also irritated by King Xuantong's words, he did not deny King Xuantong, nor did he put down the knife. Soon, he recovered and advanced again. "Do you really think I wouldn't dare to stab you? Or do you think I would be gentle with you?" The blade approaches. "Oh," King Xuantong swallowed and stepped back. "You'd better be obedient. Don't worry, I will make you feel very good." His dagger was against King Xuantong's face again. He wiped the blood oozing from his face with his hand. "Look, don't think I don't dare." Before he could finish his words, he suddenly felt a pain in his lower body. King Xuantong suddenly raised her knee and slammed it towards Fang Jingyuan's lower body. At the same time, the knife in Fang Jingyuan's hand slid across King Xuantong's face. Fang Jingyuan gasped, covered his lower body, his face full of pain. On the other side, King Xuantong was not feeling well either, and felt a sharp pain. There was a long bloodstain on her face, from which blood continued to flow. His entire face was instantly stained red with blood. This scene was reflected on the table in the private room. King Xuantong was stunned herself. She couldn't help but take several steps back and slump down on the sofa. She is disfigured. Chapter 231 Dead Silence. Blood dripped onto the ground. King Xuantong's eyes were empty, and tears and blood flowed down her face. What she is most proud of is her face. But now it is completely unrecognizable. At this moment Fang Jingyuan, who was covering his lower body, should have had a ferocious look on his face and his hair standing on end with rage. Seeing King Xuantong like this, he laughed wildly. King Xuantong. Look at you now, I told you not to move. Now you're fine. Medical school, haha, bitch. Come on. Let me take a picture as a souvenir. Fang Jingyuan took out his cell phone and took pictures. Such a deep wound, even if it heals, the scar won't go away. He looked at the photos on his phone and was extremely satisfied. Look at what you look like now. Do you think Xiaoyang will still like you if you are like this now? It's funny just thinking about it. I don't want to kill you now. What I want to see is an ugly scar, like a worm. Every time you say something, the worm will crawl on your face. A cell phone was placed in front of King Xuantong. There was a long scratch on the face, and one could even see the flesh inside turning out along with the blood. Big's originally smooth face was now covered in blood and flesh, looking extremely horrifying. Fang Jingyuan, King Xuantong almost gritted her teeth as she said these 3 words. She stared at Fang Jingyuan, wishing she could tear him to pieces. But there is no way. Her hands were tied tightly behind her back, making her unable to move. She had forgotten the stinging pain on her face and her heart had sunk to the bottom. Just as Fang Jingyuan said, a worm-like scar appeared on his face. Will Xiaoyang still like me? She studied medicine, and you can tell from the photo that her face can no longer be restored. When she thought about the worm-like scars that would remain on her face, she almost fainted. Seeing King Xuantong like this, Fang Jingyuan no longer had the heart to play. Moreover, his lower body was hit and it was painful, so he couldn't even raise his head. He shook his head without even looking at King Xuantong. Fang Jingyuan opened the door of the private room and walked out. He found the bar staff and ordered, "Do you have any gauze or something? Bandage the woman in the room. I don't want her to die so soon." Dead? Several people were stunned. Is this how young Master Fang plays with women? It's okay to be fast, but can he kill them so quickly? They quickly grabbed a medical kit, entered the private room. I saw that King Xuantong's face was covered with blood, which was dripping and dyed her face red. The 2 of them gasped. Fang Jingyuan's hobby. The 2 men originally thought that King Xuantong was so beautiful and were more or less attracted to her. But seeing the blood all over her, they lost interest. The 2 of them quickly took out alcohol from the box and poured it directly on their faces to disinfect them, and then applied some powdered hemostatic medicine on the scar. As for sewing the wound, the 2 men simply didn't have the skills to do so. They just stopped the bleeding, but the face was basically beyond saving. As the medicine hit the wound, a stimulating pain came from her face, and King Xuantong couldn't help but twitch. But she could no longer make any sound. Her brows were slightly furrowed and her eyes were empty. This medicine hasn't expired yet. No. This girl is really tolerant of pain. Last time I got stabbed on the hand, I spit a little bit and almost died from the pain. It hurt more than disinfecting with alcohol. Even if the alcohol was spilled, there was no sound at all. If they hadn't seen King Xuantong blink a few times, they would have thought she was dead. The 2 men picked up gauze and bandaged the wound. King Xuantong lay motionless, as if dead. Although the 2 men's bandaging skills were not very good, the powdered wound medicine was very effective and the bleeding stopped quickly. Let's go. Master Fang is really cruel. He could even be so cruel to such a pretty girl. Rich people are like this, their hearts are all black. The 2 people's voices gradually faded away, and King Xuantong was the only one left in the box. She lowered her head and saw that her face was wrapped in thick gauze, and she couldn't see its original appearance at all. But she knew very well that even like this now, it would look better than having a long scar on her face in the future. When King Xuantong thought of what Fang Jingyuan had just said, her heart ached. When you talk, the scars on your face start to wriggle like worms. She sat on the sofa with a deathly face, and no one knew what she was thinking. Perhaps, at least she preserved her chastity. She glanced outside, feeling extremely conflicted. She hoped Xiaoyang would come to save her. But she was afraid of putting Xiaoyang in danger. Of course, she was also afraid that Xiaoyang would see her like this. In the past, wasn't it because of this face that she dared to tease Xiaoyang and challenge Jiang Yan? But now, how could Xiaoyang like me again? Lin Qiu and Jiang Yan. Just in terms of appearance, they can throw me down from the sky to the ground. At this moment, outside the private room, the two people who had just come out glanced at Fang Jingyuan and saw that he was calm and composed. As if nothing had happened, they just asked contemptuously, "Is the person dead?" "No." "That's good." Fang Jingyuan's face was full of smiles, which made people shiver. Although Fang Jingyuan was feared in the past, people were afraid of the Fang family behind him, but now, this dandy young man seemed to be scary as well. It's like being afraid of a madman who does all kinds of evil. But after a while, a van came rushing over. "Brother Long, are you all here?" 7 or 8 sturdy men got out of the van. They had strong physiques and their necks were covered with tattoos. They looked like tough guys at first glance. "Mr. Fang." Several people knew Fang Jingyuan, and after getting off the car, they all greeted him. "Where are the weapons?" Fang Jingyuan couldn't help but frown when he saw these people were unarmed. He had seen Xiaoyang's fighting ability. These guys looked intimidating. But who knew if they could beat that pervert Xiaoyang? "Who is this? Do you need to use force?" The man called Brother Long was a sturdy man, Holland with a fierce look. "Leon Jia, I'm afraid you are no match for him." Fang Jingyuan snorted coldly while smoking a cigarette. "A trainer? We are not pushovers, don't worry, mister. Fang, we promised that he will come in vertically and leave horizontally." Seeing how they acted, Fang Jingyuan had no choice but to nod. No matter how bad the situation is, there is King Xuantong. I just don't know if Xiaoyang still cares about this disfigured woman. If it were me, I probably wouldn't even look at this woman. He couldn't help but feel a little regretful if he had known earlier. He should have let King Xuantong go first, that way he wouldn't have to worry about Xiaoyang not surrendering. There were not many people inside and outside Longli Bar. Compared to the hustle and bustle of the outside world, this place is a bit remote. You have to go through a dim alley to get here. Generally speaking, only at night will this place become a paradise for gangsters and street girls. Fang Jingyuan sat at the bar, drinking his wine silently. He occasionally glanced into the private room, and seeing that there was no movement, he continued to drink silently. Chapter 230, The Last Women's Dress. At this moment, Xiaoyang didn't know what happened in Longji Bar. Although Fang Jingyuan asked him to arrive within an hour, he was also extremely anxious at the moment. After all, no one knows what Fang Jingyuan will do to King Xuantong. On the way, Xiaoyang thought about it and walked into a hardware store, bought 2 fruit knives and put them on his waist. "I came to the vicinity of the medical school and asked, and only then did I know where Longji Bar was." Although he was anxious, Xiaoyang did not rush forward. "This is the last time I'll dress as a woman." "Yes, the last time." Xiaoyang let out a long sigh and looked at the time. Less than half an hour had passed. He now needs to understand the surrounding terrain. Although he knows Wing Chun and has strong fighting ability, he also knows that 2 fists cannot beat for hands. The last time he was assassinated by Fang Jingyang was due to lack of preparation. Get out of the car wearing women's clothes. Xiaoyang did not make a fuss and parked his car in front of the medical school. Wearing a mask and with the beauty filter turned up to full, she immediately attracted a lot of attention. But Xiaoyang has gradually gotten used to it. Under his skirt, 2 fruit knives were tied with straps around his thighs in case of emergency. Longji Bar was not far away. Xiaoyang walked through the alley and did not go straight to the bar. Instead, he looked around. This path leads to a dead end. This is an artificial lake. After a brief walk, Xiaoyang arrived at Longji Bar. At this moment, the door of the bar was drawn and it was not open for business. However, there was a small door on one side that was ajar. Xiaoyang was not in a hurry to go in. Instead, he played with his mobile phone outside and looked around from time to time. And at this moment, inside the door, everyone sat in the bar and chatted. Surrounded by smoke, everyone was waiting for the martial artist that Fang Xiao mentioned. At this time, someone suddenly said, "Why is there a girl outside? Can I see it?" As soon as it was mentioned, people immediately became interested. "What a nice figure," someone said. "Xiaoyang has a slim figure. And when he puts on women's clothes, his long legs exposed and the black stockings give people endless imagination." Wearing a mask, leaving only the eyes visible, the eyelashes fluttered slightly, and the eyebrows were thin and the eyes were phoenix-like. It's hard to tell that this is a boy. It's a perfect figure, but the breasts are a little small. These young men who have been hanging out in bars for years are all very perverted. When they saw Xiaoyang's perfect figure, their eyes almost popped out. It has to be said that even for girls, it is difficult to have a figure like Xiaoyang. After all, his height alone is beyond the reach of many girls. "Okay, I asked you to come here to fight, not to pick up girls." Fang Jingyuan snorted coldly. "Mr. Fang, we can't just sit there and wait. Who knows if the guy you mentioned has the courage to come over? Well, this girl is out there alone. Maybe there's something strange going on. I'll go up and take a look. What's this called? Spying on military intelligence. Yes. A younger brother spoke up. Brother Long on the side chuckled and said, "That's true, go ask that girl why she's here." As soon as he finished speaking, the guy immediately opened the door and came out of the bar. Xiao Yang just pretended not to see it and continued to make funny sounds. From time to time, the little brother's voice could be heard. At this time, the younger brother had already walked in front of Xiao Yang. His eyes wandered around Xiao Yang for a while, and he couldn't help swallowing. "Little sister, why are you here alone? Are you waiting for someone?" Xiao Yang raised his head, his eyes as gentle as water. My eyes widen immediately. I have never seen such beautiful eyes before. I'm looking for my boyfriend. At this point, Xiao Yang continued in a soft voice. Is this Long Ji Bar? Why is it closed? This is Long Qi Bar. It's daytime now, so it's closed. Why, do you want a drink, young lady? No, my boyfriend just received a call and said he came to Long Ji Bar. So I came to see if he is looking for another woman behind my back. Xiao Yang whispered repeatedly, as if he had suffered some injustice. But the younger brother thought about it and asked, "What's your boyfriend's name?" "I work at Long Ji Bar. Maybe I know your boyfriend. After all, he was just called here by a phone call. Maybe this is the girlfriend of that brother Don Teal. Let the flood wash away the Dragon King Temple and cheat on your good brother. My boyfriend's name is Xiao Yang." Xiao Yang frowned slightly, as if hesitating for a moment, before he said it. "Xiao Yang." The younger brother frowned slightly. If I remember correctly, the person that young Master Fang wants to deal with is called Xiao Yang. After thinking for a while, he smiled and said, "Miss, wait here, I actually know this Xiao Yang you mentioned. I'll go in and ask if I can help you find him." Having said this, he turned around and wanted to go back, but after thinking about it, he turned his head again. "By the way, what's your name?" "My name is Zhang Yan," Xiao Yang said slowly. "Zhao Yan." The young man muttered to himself as he walked back to the bar, not forgetting to close the door. At this time, in the bar, several people saw that the younger brother did not bring the person back, and hurriedly asked. The younger brother walked up to Fang Jingyuan and said, "Mr. Fang, I found out that the woman outside is here to see Xiao Yang. Are you here to see Xiao Yang?" Fang Jingyuan was stunned. She said her name was Zhang Yan. Zhang Yan. Fang Jingyuan's expression brightened slightly. It's that bitch from the Zhang family. He naturally knew Zhang Yan. After all, this was the woman his own brother had been pursuing for many years, and she was so similar to himself. And now, Zhang Yan has also become Xiao Yang's woman. Maybe Zhang Yan was next to Xiao Yang at the time and mentioned Long Ji Bar herself. This guy was to timing and Zhang Yan didn't know, so she came to catch him? The corners of his mouth suddenly rose. Interesting. He still felt that King Xuantong was not enough of a bargaining chip. After all, her face was disfigured. If Zhang Yan is also captured, there will be no need to worry about Xiao Yang not surrendering. This bitch is one of the main culprits that caused the Fang family to fall. And Zhang Yan's beauty. He smiled and ordered directly, "Bring the person in to me." After a while, several guys came out of the bar. Xiao Yang was stunned for a moment, then pretended to be scared, turned around and ran away. But he still pretended to twist his ankle and fell to the ground. When she stood up again, several men had surrounded her with wicked smiles on their faces. "Beauty, why are you running? Aren't you looking for a boyfriend? Come, we'll take you to find your boyfriend right now." "What are you going to do?" Xiao Yang asked in fear, his voice trembling. "Don't be afraid, we can all be your boyfriends as long as you want." Several people laughed and grabbed Xiao Yang's arm. Xiao Yang pretended to struggle, but was still dragged into the bar by several people. Xiao Yang looked around fearfully. Soon, his eyes fell on Fang Jingyuan, who was sitting at the bar. The former glanced at Xiao Yang and smiled. "Come to think of it, you should have been my sister-in-law. But it's a pity that you were blind and fell in love with that bastard Xiao Yang." It must be said that Xiao Yang and Zhang Yan were of similar height and build, except that there was something missing on her chest to pad it. Fang Jingyuan could not tell for a moment and actually thought that the person in front of him was Zhang Yan, who was supposed to be his sister-in-law, including Fang Jingyuan. There are 10 people, but I don't know where King Xuantong is. After a quick look around, he didn't find King Xuantong, but Xiao Yang had figured out the details of the place. They are all social hooligans, it shouldn't be difficult to deal with them. Chapter 233. This beauty must be the ultimate hunk. Xiao Yang looked up, pretending to be panicked, pointing at Fang Jingyuan, and was so flustered that he couldn't speak. In fact, although Fang Jingyuan knew Zhang Yan, he didn't have much contact with her. Fang Jingyang knew what kind of person Fang Jingyuan was and had warned him privately, so the two did not interact much. So even though Xiao Yang's acting was a bit exaggerated, Fang Jingyuan still believed that the woman in front of him was Zhang Yan. After all, she has a good figure and her thin eyebrows and phoenix eyes are extremely attractive. What's wrong? Are you surprised to see me? Do you think I'm as timid as Fang Jingyang and would just run away? Or do you think I should be in jail now? Or should I end up living on the streets? Living in constant fear? When he said this, Fang Jingyuan gritted his teeth. Because of the last sentence, he really experienced it. And Zhang Yan is also involved in this. At this moment, Brother Long and his companions felt burning with desire as they looked at the greedy and pitiful Xiaoyang. They don't care what the relationship is between Fang Jingyuan and this person named. When is a woman most loved by a man? Isn't it when she looks pitiful? Besides, didn't you hear Fang Jingyuan say that this person should have been his sister-in-law? The eldest lady of the Zhang family. With this identity and status, she is still the woman that young Master Fang cannot pursue. At this moment, she was standing in front of them, who wouldn't be moved. I'm not that coward Fang Jingyang. I won't let any of you. King Xuantong, or Xiaoyang go. As Fang Jingyuan was talking, he saw the look on Long Ji's face and couldn't help but get angry and said, "She's just a woman after Xiaoyang is killed, you can do whatever you want with her." Having said that, he picked up his phone and glanced at it. Xiaoyang recognized it, it was King Xuantong's cell phone. "Are you scared and don't dare to come?" Fang Jingyuan frowned. "Ask yourself, if it were you, knowing it was a trap, would you willingly jump into it for a woman? Of course not." Fang Jingyuan shook his head. He originally thought Xiaoyang dared. But there is still no news about Xiaoyang now, which is completely different. "Coward," Fang Jingyuan cursed. It can be said that today's play is all for Xiaoyang. If he doesn't come, wouldn't the play be in vain? He found Xiaoyang's phone number again and called him directly. The clear ringing sound suddenly resounded throughout the bar. Everyone was stunned. Suddenly, Xiaoyang stood up abruptly. And the two younger brothers who were holding him down couldn't hold him, and were pushed back several steps. Xiaoyang also raised his head and looked at Fang Jingyuan at this time. And the latter quickly reacted. "Xiaoyang? You're right. I really didn't expect you to come to me on your own initiative. I have to say, you are much braver than Fang Jingyang. But your brain is still the same as before, it doesn't work at all." Xiaoyang's voice came. Fang Jingyuan could tell that it was Xiaoyang's voice. A trace of panic suddenly flashed across his face, as if the scene of being beaten by Xiaoyang was still vivid in his mind. Of course, the most important thing is shock. Xiaoyang. He actually came in disguised as a woman. What the hell? It doesn't make sense at all. Who could have thought of this? He quickly picked up the wine glass in his hand and threw it directly at Xiaoyang. Xiaoyang dodged with a flash, and then Fang Jingyuan's voice came. "He is Xiaoyang. Hurry up, kill him for me." No matter how stupid the others were, they still reacted. This is not a beauty at all, but an ultimate hunk. The arms of the two younger brothers who had just held him down were still a little numb. At this moment, Xiaoyang also went straight to Fang Jingyuan. To catch a thief, you must first catch the leader. As long as Fang Jingyuan is captured, King Xuantong will be safe. Seeing this, Fang Jingyuan knew what Xiaoyang was thinking. The scene of the first time he was beaten up by Xiaoyang was still vivid in his mind. He knew that if he fell into Xiaoyang's hands, he would be in trouble. So he ran back immediately. However, Brother Long and his companions did not act lazily at this moment and directly surrounded Xiaoyang. Without any further ado, he threw his huge fist directly towards Xiaoyang. Brother Long is tall and strong, with strong muscles all over his body. Xiaoyang quickly dodged, knowing that he could not take this punch. Looking at the powerful posture, no one could withstand it. Although they are just social thugs, these people have rich experience in fighting. Before Xiaoyang could come to his senses, a chair fell down from behind him. They don't care whether Xiaoyang is a martial artist or not. Everything in this bar can become a weapon in their hands. Xiaoyang did not dare to be careless and had to dodge the things that were hitting him. Let alone other things. If this beer bottle really hit him on the head, even if he could withstand it, he would probably be at risk of dizziness. There was no way. There were too many people, and he could only watch Fang Jingyuan run away from under his nose. Bang bang bang. In the bar, countless objects become tools for these social people to fight. Tables, wine glasses, bottles, chairs. Xiaoyang had no choice but to fight while dodging. Behind him, a beer bottle hit Xiaoyang's head directly. He quickly took a step back and moved sideways. The other party was unable to dodge and his arm fell directly on Xiaoyang's shoulder. Crunch. A crisp sound was heard. The man's face was suddenly filled with pain, and the beer bottle fell to the ground. Xiaoyang did not stop. He grabbed the arm directly, bent down, took it from behind, and slammed it to the ground. Bang! The 1.8-meter tall man was carried to the ground by Xiaoyang. The broken glass bottles on the ground pierced the man directly. Suddenly, a pig slaughtering howl was heard in the bar. In addition to the glass fragments from behind that pierced into the body, The arm was also trembling slightly, as if it had been directly twisted by Xiao Yang. Seeing this, everyone took a step back. It's just like what Master Fang said. He's a martial artist. At least none of them could throw a 140-pound man from behind to the front. Hit your weapons, Brother Long said quickly. One by one, the steel pipes emitting cold light slowly fell into the hands of the crowd. Xiao Yang let out a long sigh and reached for his waist. There are 2 fruit knives there. But compared with the steel pipe, a fruit knife doesn't seem to be of much use. At him. Someone dragged out the younger brother who had just fallen to the ground. And everyone came towards Xiao Yang step by step, holding steel pipes. This scene is so familiar. Compared to the pressure from these people is not as great as that from those who retired a few days ago. Xiao Yang was neither hasty nor slow. It was impossible for 8 people to rush forward at once. He took half a step back. Everything in this bar could be used as a weapon for others. And it might also be used as a weapon for himself. Xiao Yang grabbed a chair, picked it up, and threw it into the crowd. He was extremely fast. Before the younger brother in front of him could react, Xiao Yang had already rushed forward. The chair fell down and hit the other person on the head. Bang! The sound was crisp, and the head was fine, but with a scream, it was smashed directly to the ground. Chapter 203. I forget who dies first. At this moment, Fang Jingyuan had already walked to King Xuantong's side. He didn't know if these idiots outside could stop Xiao Yang. This was his last trump card. King Xuantong looked at Fang Jingyuan's anxious expression and knew what was going on. She sighed softly, really not knowing what to say. To be honest, she was also very conflicted at the moment. Apart from the stinging pain on my face, what hurts the most is my heart. The originally perfect face had already been stained red with blood. She didn't know what Xiao Yang would do when he saw her like this. Nor did she know how to face Xiao Yang. Suddenly, there was a scream outside the private room. Fang Jingyuan frowned slightly. He could tell that this was not Xiao Yang's voice. Come out. Fang Jingyuan didn't care what King Xuantong was thinking at the moment. He rushed forward and pulled King Xuantong. King Xuantong glared at Fang Jingyuan without a trace of fear. Her body was motionless, as if her body and heart had died when her face was cut. When Fang Jingyuan saw this, his face was filled with anger. He didn't expect that even at this point, King Xuantong was not afraid of him at all. Who is he? He was once the young master of the Fang family and the most stubborn young man in Zhongdu. What he likes most is when others are afraid of him. And what he likes most is when women look at him pitifully. But at this time, King Xuantong completely broke his defense. This woman had her face cut by him, but she showed no fear at all and looked straight at him. Whether it was bullying others or beating someone to death last night, he could see the fear in other people's eyes. He enjoyed that feeling immensely. And it gave him a huge sense of satisfaction. Until now, all the things he did were to see a hint of fear of him in King Xuantong or Xiao Yang's eyes. However, at this point, King Xuantong was not afraid of herself at all. His rage grew. He couldn't stand King Xuantong's look. He couldn't stand her condescending look, as if she was looking at a clown. Seeing King Xuantong not moving, Fang Jingyuan immediately raised his hand. With a snap, Huangpuan Xuantong snorted, and the wound on her face that had been bandaged began to bleed bright red again. The white gauze was also stained red with blood at this moment. A trace of blood also flowed from the corner of her mouth. But apart from this, King Xuantong seemed no different from before. His eyes stared at Fang Jingyuan stubbornly. Suddenly, the corners of her mouth rose slightly, as if she was mocking Fang Jingyuan. The noise of the fight outside was getting louder and louder. Fang Jingyang clenched his fists, but finally let go. He simply grabbed King Xuantong's hair and dragged her out. King Xuantong felt pain and couldn't help but groan, gasping for air. He wanted to struggle and push Fang Jingyuan away, but his hands were tied behind his back and he was unable to do anything. She could only follow Fang Jingyuan out of the room step by step, and at this moment, Xiao Yang is here. It was not too difficult for him to deal with these people. At this moment, he was holding a steel pipe in his hand. There were already 5 people lying on the ground. The rest had more or less injuries on their bodies. They stopped where they were, staring at Xiao Yang, but did not dare to take action. Brother Long, at this moment, was holding the steel pipe in both hands and did not dare to step forward. Now he understood why Fang Jingyuan asked them to bring weapons. And why Fang Jingyuan was so cautious. How can this be called a martial artist? This is a fucking Superman. But in just a short while, half of the people were knocked down, and they were all holding controlled weapons. They have been in this business for more than 10 years and are experienced in fighting. But they didn't expect that they couldn't even deal with a 20-year-old kid. Suddenly Xiao Yang stretched out his hand and clapped. A younger brother who rushed forward quickly covered his eyes and stepped back. It turned out that Xiao Yang grabbed a handful of ashes from the ashtray and swept them directly onto his face. The dust raised by the cigarettes went straight into my eyes. What Wing Chun is, it is gone at this moment. Xiao Yang directly lifted up the steel pipe and moved forward. Bang! There was another scream, and the man fell to the ground in pain, unable to open his eyes at all, and the weapon in his hand was waving around. Seeing this, Xiao Yang immediately stepped forward and kicked him again, knocking the latter unconscious. Looking back, Brother Long, who was about to step forward, suddenly felt frightened. He was so frightened by Xiao Yang's look that he took several steps back, fearing that he would be the next to suffer. Waste. When the voice came, Xiao Yang looked over and saw it was Fang Jingyuan. Stop it. Fang Jingyuan stopped and grinned at Xiao Yang. Xiao Yang, you are the hero Xiao, right? Come and see. Who is this? At this moment, blood was still dripping from his face onto the ground. King Xuantong's hair was disheveled and her face could not be seen at all. All that could be seen was the gauze wrapped around her head that was dyed bright red. King Xuantong? Xiao Yang was stunned for a moment. There was a long trail of blood behind Fang Jingyuan, and King Xuantong's white clothes were also stained red with blood, looking extremely miserable. That's right, it's King Xuantong. Come, look at this face, he is a great medical school colonel. What a shame, what a pity. Fang Jingyuan lifted up King Xuantong's hair and ruthlessly tore off the gauze on her face. The next second, a miserable face covered in blood appeared in front of Xiao Yang. The powdered medicine on top was no longer able to stop the wound, and the blood continued to flow, leaving the whole area unrecognizable. Xiao Yang was also shocked at this moment. He didn't expect that King Xuantong had been tortured like this by Fang Jingyang. This face. What a huge blow this must be for King Xuantong, who loves beauty and likes to show off. Fang Jingyuan, are you still a human being? Xiao Yang's voice trembled slightly. He really didn't expect Fang Jingyuan to be so cruel. The latter burst into laughter like a madman. He took out the dagger and slowly placed it on King Xuantong's face. Come. Hit me again and show me. If you punch someone, I'll cut King Xuantong's face. I want to see who is harder. You are my knife. Fang Jingyuan continued to sneer. Looking at the cold light on the blade and the face covered in blood, Xiao Yang was already a little at a loss. Although King Xuantong is pretty, Xiao Yang has never developed any romantic feelings for her. He came to save her because he was the main cause of this incident. Otherwise Fang Jingyuan would not have taken the risk to do such a thing. But seeing King Xuantong like this, Xiao Yang felt even more guilty. I'm the one who ruined your Fang family. If you have anything to say, come to me. Are you still a man, Fang Jingyuan? But at this moment, how could Fang Jingyuan listen to Xiao Yang and waved his hand? Come on, keep fighting. At this point, he glanced at Xiao Yang and said, if you fight back, I'll cut her face with a knife. At this point, he smiled and looked at King Xuantong. Guess who will be beaten to death first? Xiao Yang or you? You. King Xuantong's voice trembled slightly. Fang Jingyuan, you lunatic. That's right, now you know I'm a lunatic? Fang Jingyuan laughed. King Xuantong took a deep breath and said loudly, Xiao Yang, leave me alone. You can fight me however you want. I only have one request, help me kill that idiot Fang Jingyuan. While talking, suddenly, King Xuantong rushed towards the dagger on the blade. Chapter 235 is over. Xiao Yang was also stunned. What is King Xuantong doing? She is looking for death. Who would run into the edge of a knife? Fang Jingyuan was also stunned for a moment, but with the dagger in his hand, he reacted quickly. He quickly twisted his wrist. Phew. Fortunately, Fang Jingyuan reacted in time, and King Xuantong herself was not very fast because she was weak. The blade turned, but the dagger still slashed over, only brushing her cheek. There was already a long bloodstain on his face, and now there was a new wound. Fang Jingyuan's face was full of astonishment, but after a moment, it was filled with anger. He didn't expect that King Xuantong would even give up her life for Xiao Yang. King Xuantong's eyes revealed disappointment. The dagger did not pierce her neck as she had imagined, but only added new wounds to the old ones, which made her extremely frustrated. Xiao Yang breathed a sigh of relief. If King Xuantong died here, he would probably feel guilty for the rest of his life. Fang Jingyuan, let her go. Xiao Yang's voice trembled slightly, obviously frightened by King Xuantong's little action. But when looking again, King Xuantong was unrecognizable. Blood was flowing, and no one knew when King Xuantong would die from excessive blood loss. And how could Fang Jingyuan possibly listen to Xiao Yang? He had a ferocious look on his face, grabbing King Xuantong's neck, his face full of anger. Do you think I dare not kill you? You stinky bitch? I haven't tortured you enough, how can I let you die so easily? At this point, he glanced at Xiao Yang again. Xiao Yang, you also saw that now, there is another knife in her face. I don't know when she will die, but I think you don't want her to die before you. Now, you only have one choice, put down what you have in your hand. Crawl in front of me, kneel down and apologize to me. Maybe I'll be in a good mood and let him go. After hearing this, Xiao Yang had to put down the steel pipe in his hand. At the same time, Fang Jingyuan gave a look to Brother Long and the others. The next second, there was a thud and a burst of pain came from my back. The steel pipe came down towards his shoulder, and Xiao Yang was unable to hold on and was knocked to the ground. His body trembled slightly, and he even heard the sound of his shoulder bones breaking. Xiao Yang, King Xuantong said in panic. I'm not. Xiao Yang wanted to say that he was fine. He supported himself but found that he couldn't lift his right shoulder at all. This time, all the bones must be broken. Father Long sneered from behind. They all heard the crisp sound just now, which was enough to break Xiao Yang's bones. When Fang Jingyuan saw this, he burst into laughter. Aha, look, you are a dead dog now. Come, crawl over here and bark twice. I want to hear if you sound like a dog. He shook his head and said mockingly. Love is so great, don't you think so? He glanced at King Xuantong, whose eyes were already filled with tears. She never thought that Xiao Yang would give up resistance for her. Why, now I am just an ugly disfigured person, dying, and I don't know when I will die. Does he like himself that much? In an instant, King Xuantong felt like she was back in high school. It was a dark and windy night, and several people caught me. Xiao Yang stepped forward. He was not good at fighting. Just like what happened now, he was beaten up by several people and ended up going to school as usual with a bruised face. This was the second time Xiao Yang saved her. But this time the price was so heavy. Fight back, Xiao Yang. How can you believe the words of that beast Fang Jingyuan? You will be beaten to death, King Xuantong cried. His face was covered in a thick blood color, and it was impossible to tell which were tears and which were blood. Seeing King Xuantong like this, Xiao Yang frowned slightly and said casually, Don't be afraid, take a deep breath. Hold on, I will definitely save you. Xiao Yang raised his head and stared at Fang Jingyuan. At this moment, there was another muffled sound from behind. A pair of big feet stepped directly on Xiao Yang. Aren't you crazy? You even pretended to be a beauty to seduce us, damn it. Now I am stepping on you like a dog. Xiao Yang took a long breath and said slowly, Fang Jingyuan, don't you want me to beg you? Let me get up. I beg you, please let King Xuantong go. Fang Jingyuan raised the corners of his mouth, showing a rare magnanimity. Okay, come on, kneel down. Scream twice, and I'll let her go, Fang Jingyuan said with a smile. Keep your word. So what if you don't keep your word? Do you have any other choice? Fang Jingyuan sneered. But this time, I won't regret it. This bitch is in such a state right now. I want her to be alive. I'm afraid it will be more painful than death. Fang Jingyuan couldn't stop laughing. Looking at King Xuantong and Xiao Yang, he felt extremely happy. You said, if he died because of you, you would feel guilty, sad, and blame yourself, right? To be honest, I really want to see your face covered with stabs, and then see the scars crawling on your face like bugs. That would definitely be the most beautiful scene. TSK 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 TSK. Come to think of it, I really can't bear to see you die. Fang Jingyuan laughed like a devil. Xiao Yang didn't say anything else and walked over with one hand supporting himself. Let her go. Kneel down and beg me, Fang Jingyuan said in a deep voice. Okay. Xiao Yang let out a long sigh, lifted her skirt, and looked like she was really going to kneel on the ground. He stared at Fang Jingyuan closely, as if he was making some difficult decision. Fang Jingyuan smiled. Why, do you regret it? Xiao Yang. King Xuantong looked at Xiao Yang weakly, but couldn't do anything. Xiao Yang knelt on one knee on the ground. Let her go. Is this your attitude of asking for help? Fang Jingyuan came closer, but his face right in front of Xiao Yang, looking extremely arrogant. Remember, when you ask for help, you should get down on your knees. Oh, by the way, I have to learn how to be a dog. Before the voice fell, Fang Jingyuan was suddenly stunned. His pupils suddenly dilated, and the surprise and fear in his expression reached the extreme. He saw a flash of cold light and was surprised. It seemed as if time had stopped. His smile was still frozen in its previous state and he even maintained the stubborn expression of shout. A dark bloodstain suddenly appeared on his neck. The next second, blood boils. The hot blood immediately splashed all over Xiao Yang's face. But he didn't even blink, and still held a bloody dagger in his hand. Clang! The dagger in Fang Jingyuan's hand suddenly fell to the ground. He looked down in horror and quickly raised his hand to cover his neck, as if trying to slow down the blood flow. But no matter how he tried to cover the wound, he couldn't stop the blood flow. His hands were soon soaked with his own blood. He was extremely terrified and felt his head becoming increasingly heavy. Bang! Fang Jingyuan fell to the ground with a bang. The bloodstain on his neck was still flowing out, and he shook his body. He felt a buzzing in his ears and could hear nothing. My head feels heavy and my eyelids feel tired. Finally, he stopped moving. His eyes were still wide open, his smile was still crazy, but he could no longer make a sound. Fang Jingyuan is dead. Xiaoyang's fingertips trembled slightly, but he still held the dagger tightly. He had waited for a long time, just for this moment. Waiting for Fang Jingyuan to let down his guard, giving him the opportunity to assassinate him at close range. The fruit knife in his hand had been hidden under the hem of his skirt. Even after fighting for such a long time, Xiaoyang did not take it out. One reason is that a fruit knife is useless when fighting with a group of people holding steel pipes. Second, this is the trump card. And this trump card finally came into play. At this moment, everyone present, except Xiaoyang, was already stunned by the scene before them. Fang Jingyuan, who was alive and kicking just now, is dead just like that? For a moment, Brother Long didn't know what to do. He glanced at Xiaoyang. But Xiaoyang glared at him with a murderous look in his eyes. Brother Long suddenly panicked. Didn't I break his shoulder? How could he kill Fang Jingyuan? He swallowed his saliva. In his eyes, Xiaoyang was a murderer and a devil. They were originally just thugs in the bar. And they helped Fang Jingyuan do this just for the 5 million he always talked about. And Fang Jingyuan just said that he wanted to teach Xiaoyang a lesson. But now it's different. Xiaoyang, who was taught a lesson. Looks like nothing happened instead. Fang Jingyuan is lying straight. When a person dies, he dies in front of them. 5 million? There's also 5 million for a fucking reason. Brother Long swallowed and raised the steel pipe. Do you want to die too? Xiaoyang suddenly looked up and asked coldly. Brother Long looked at Xiaoyang, who was covered in blood, and hesitated for a moment. He glanced at the several people lying on the ground. All of these were defeated by Xiaoyang, and Fang Jingyuan, the instigator, was killed directly. What to do? Kill Xiaoyang? What are the benefits other than increasing the sentence? Playing. Someone's steel pipe suddenly fell to the ground. Brother Long glanced at his younger brother whose hands were shaking, and he made up his mind. Retreat. He threw what he had in his hand onto the ground without even turning his head. Several people hurriedly followed. Hurry up, it's still not too late to leave now. Once the police station issues a wanted order, it will be difficult to leave. Brother Long sighed, his voice trembling slightly, but what he said makes sense. Such a big thing happened. And the scene was full of their fingerprints. There was no way they could escape. It would be better to slip away quickly. Maybe there is still a chance to escape. The younger brothers also followed closely. Outside, the sound of a van was heard. Xiaoyang finally breathed a sigh of relief and collapsed to the ground. Finally, it's over. He glanced at King Xuantong, gritted his teeth, climbed up again, and used the fruit knife in his hand to untie the rope on King Xuantong's hands. Hold on. Don't sleep. King Xuantong, you can't die. Xiaoyang's voice fell in his ears. But just hung on Xiaoyang. The latter slowly carried her out of the bar, leaving a long trail of blood behind him. The two of them, like a pair of bloody people, walked through the alley and left the hellish Longji bar. Chapter 236. Happy New Year. New Year's Eve special. Xiao family's lively reunion dinner. The sea breeze blew, and the small island was filled with the excitement of celebrating the new year. The world's richest man, Xiaoyang, is lying on a chair at this moment. On his left is a 4-year-old boy, looking into the distance with a firm gaze. On his right is a 3-year-old girl with bright eyes. She looks at the starry sky and seems to be thinking about something. This is Xiaoyang's first New Year after he retired. Xiao Yi, what are you thinking about? Xiaoyang rubbed the little boy's head. This was his eldest son, Xiao Yi, and he was also the favorite of the whole family. Dad, I'm wondering where my wife is when I grow up. I want to marry many wives like Dad, Xiao Yi said with longing. Xiaoyang was silent for a moment, then slowly uttered 3 words. Ambitious. Then he glanced at the 3-year-old girl on his right. Xiao Ruanan, his second daughter. What about you, Xiaoyan? Xiao Ruanan held her small round face and glared at Xiao Yi, who suddenly trembled all over and looked away quickly, not daring to look at his sister again. She snorted coldly, turned around, and said slowly, Dad, I'm going to learn martial arts from Chu Xiaonang, and then beat away all the scumbags in the world. The father and son looked at each other. Xiao Yi trembled. At this time, the long table was covered with delicious dishes. King Xuantong slumped in the chair, glancing around from time to time, and then secretly took a piece of barbecue and put it into her mouth. King Xuantong, what are you doing? A voice came. King Xuantong turned around, quickly covered her mouth, and swallowed it secretly. Don't you say you can eat greasy food when you're pregnant? Lin Qiu snorted while holding a 1-year-old baby. Isn't this Chinese New Year? I'll just eat one piece. King Xuantong touched her slightly bulging belly. Baby, you want to eat too, right? Foodie. Lin Qiu rolled her eyes at King Xuantong. By the way, where is your husband? They're playing outside with Xiaoyan, Xiao Yi and the others. Right? Lin Qiu said casually. Suddenly she frowned slightly. Felt nauseous and dry heaved several times. No way. The two women were full of surprise. No way. Lin Qiyu was also confused and swallowed his saliva. Come, let me take your pulse, King Xuantong said repeatedly. At this time, King Xuantong was already an authoritative Chinese medicine doctor at the Huajiu Academy of Medical Sciences. She stretched out her hand and quickly turned Lin Qiu's wrist over. King Xuantong placed her hand lightly on Lin Qiu's pulse and frowned slightly. It's true. After he finished speaking, Lin Qiu took a breath. How long have I rested? She didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Looking at the little baby who was less than 1 year old in her arms. Why do I feel like I've been pregnant forever? Who made you have a big butt? You can give birth. Someone ran over and slapped her on the butt. Tu Jia Yu, Lin Qiu glared at the person who came. Call me sister, I am your sister. You have to call me sister. I came in earlier than you, Lin Qiu snorted. Who said I went in? I didn't. Tu Jia Yu turned her head away, looking unconvinced. The women bickered with each other and continued to look outside the door. It is said that everyone will be back today. Soon. A shout was heard from the sky and a strong wind blew up on the ground. A private plane landed steadily on the runway and entered the island. The first person to walk down from the plane was a woman and dressed like a noble lady. She looked much older than Lin Qiu and the others. She wore sunglasses and was full of charm. Madam, slow down. You are pregnant. What's your business? Zhu Jiyuan glared at the bodyguard behind her, rubbed her slightly bulging belly, and raised the corners of her mouth. Baby, you'll be able to see your daddy soon. A girl followed closely behind and came up to hold Zhu Jiyuan's arm. Xiaozhu, you haven't seen Xiaoyang for a while. Yeah. Zhang Shangzhu nodded. Soon, another private plane flew over. It must be Wan Qian and the others. Zhu Jiyuan sighed, took Zhang Shangzhu's arm, and walked towards the only villa on the street that was as big as a palace. On this plane, Wan Qian's face was full of anticipation. We'll be able to see Xiaoyang soon, are you happy? She looked at Shang Xian standing beside her. Happy? Shang Xian's voice was as soft as a mosquito, her face full of shyness. And her mind reappeared the embarrassing things that happened between her. Wan Qian and Xiaoyang in bed. The New Year's Eve dinner has been prepared long ago. Long table. Xiaoyang sat in the main seat. The two little darlings, Xiao Yi and Xiao Ruanan, sat on the left and right. The ones who came down were Zhang Yan, Lin Qiu, King Xuantong, Zhu Jiyuan. Zhang Shengzhu sat quietly in the back seat. Everyone is here, let's start the banquet. Xiaoyang took a glance and spoke slowly. Don't you know whether everyone is here or not? Zhang Yan rolled her eyes at Xiaoyang. At the beginning, I just represented my acceptance of Lin Qiu, but who would have thought that it would develop to this point? The modern Wei Xiaobao, right? She sighed, but there was nothing she could do. Forget it, I'm tired, just destroy them, I can't just drive them out. Xiaoyang chuckled and said, let's have the feast. Everyone had a festive New Year's Eve dinner. For a long time, Xiaoyang and the girls were standing at the highest point on the island. Smoke fills the sky, filled with the joy of the new year. Xiao Yi was swinging the sizzling cigarette sticks around and said to his sister, Xiaonan, look, am I handsome? Xiao Ruanan rolled her eyes at the childish guy and took Jia Yu Chu Xiaonaying's hand. Little girl, let's start martial arts training tomorrow. Okay. Not good. Jia Yu thought for a while and shook his head. Why? You don't understand adults' affairs. Jia Yu counted his fingers and looked at Xiaoyang in the distance. At the same time, someone suddenly said, who will sleep with you tonight? Who else could this be but Xiaoyang? The girls were immediately filled with shyness. Xiaoyang generously hugged Lin Qiu, who was standing beside him, and said, is it your turn? Honey, I'm pregnant. As soon as the voice fell, everyone immediately started to think of Lin Qiu. Us who are setting off fireworks should stop. Will it scare the baby in the belly? No, he's very happy. Zhu Jiyuan rubbed her belly as if she was interacting with the baby. No, I don't want to. I want to practice singing with Xin tonight. Wan Qian turned her head and took Shang Xin's hand. Zhang Shengzhu whispered beside him, well, I think I'm pregnant too. Xiaoyang was stunned for a moment. My first wife. At lost, Xian and I are sleeping tonight. So, I'll do it. Jia Yu waved his hand. Xiaoyang's face changed drastically. No, it has to work. My first wife. Jia Yu's mouth corners slightly raised. Night. In the room, Xiaoyang was wearing a long dress and had changed into exquisite women's clothing. Jia Yu chuckled and shook the whip in his hand. No way, you're playing so hard. Call me husband. Jia Yu lifted Xiaoyang's chin with a smile. Don't scream. Bang. Husband. Hey, that's right. Jia Yu lifted up Xiaoyang's skirt. Downstairs, Xiao Ruanan looked up and sighed. I finally understand why Chu Xiaonang won't be available to teach me martial arts tomorrow. Late at night. The sound gradually stopped. Zhu Jiayu, who was dressed as the queen, fell asleep exhausted, and in another boudoir. Xiaoyang, what are you doing? Come and practice singing with you. Xiaoyang held Shang Xian in his left hand and Wan Qian in his right hand. The sound of smoke outside quickly drowned out the screams of the two girls. The whole island was celebrating. Xiao Yi held his chin and said to his sister seriously, I will marry many young girls in the future if someone competes with me for them. Xiaoyan, you help me beat them. Bang! There was a big red mark on Xiao Yi's face. And tears immediately fell from his face. Hua Yuishu. Mom, my sister is bullying me. Chapter 237 This is Superman. Boss Zhang, I'm not from the HR department. Okay, now that you said so, it's okay. You should also take care of yourself. I'm afraid you won't be able to take care of yourself when I'm not around. Zhu Jiayu let out a long sigh, stepped on the accelerator, and the car flew out suddenly. After Yang Wei was expelled last time, they needed to find someone new to handle the cooperation negotiations with the school. Logically speaking, Zhu Jiayu's position is the president's assistant, and she only needs to follow Zhang Shangzhu, but this matter fell on her. This is because the Human Resources Department does not have many good candidates. Anyone who negotiates cooperation with the school must be eloquent and have an outstanding image and strong business capabilities. Originally, Yang Wei was able to take over this matter, mainly because he was acquainted with some teachers in the school, but now, the Human Resources Department couldn't find many good candidates, so the task fell on her. The reason Zhang Shangzhu gave was that the company needed manpower now, and it would be a waste of talent for her to stay by his side and serve tea and water. In fact, Zhang Shangzhu had also seen Zhu Jiayu's abilities and had originally wanted to transfer her to another position. There was no other choice. Zhu Jiayu had to go to each school in person. The reason she was able to meet Xiao Yang at the University of Finance and Economics yesterday was because she wanted to find Lin Qiyu to learn about the situation at the University of Finance and Economics. And today, the place she is going to visit is Zhangdu Medical College. Driving to the medical school, Zhu Jiayu slowly followed the navigation. Fortunately, no one saw what kind of car she was driving. If anyone in the company or Zhang Shangzhu saw it, they would probably question their lives. An assistant to the president, a recent graduate who serves tea and water, drives a commercial Rolls-Royce worth tens of millions. However, despite this, Zhu Jiayu still drove very slowly and gently. After all, this was a noisy and busy city. She was driving when suddenly, she saw an unidentified object rushing out from an alley. Is it a woman in a long dress carrying another woman on her back? The woman being carried had blood all over her face. And the woman carrying the person was also covered in blood. Zhu Jiayu was startled and quickly stepped on the brakes. The bloody girl looked very familiar. She was staggering and almost crashed into her car. Bang! A pair of bloody hands slapped the car window. Opened the door. This is Xiao Yang. He no longer had much strength in his body, and the wound on his shoulder was becoming more and more painful. Carrying King Xuantong on his back felt extremely heavy. He had trouble lifting his other arm and was unable to return to medical school or drive to the hospital. As soon as I came out of the alley, I saw a car and quickly stopped it. As for whether it was a luxury car worth tens of millions, it was meaningless to him. He could only rely on his strong willpower to send King Xuantong to the hospital. As for calling an ambulance, he had already done that. But it would be safer to send the patient there. Xiao Yang tapped on the car window. Zhu Jiayu in the car was startled at first, but when he saw the face stained with blood, he was stunned for a moment. Especially those eyes. Goddess! Zhu Jiayu was stunned and quickly opened the back door. The next second, Xiao Yang helped King Xuantong into the car. After getting in the car, Xiao Yang didn't even look at who was driving. He just said coldly, "The nearest hospital, I want the fastest speed." Zhu Jiayu also knew that now was not the time to ask questions. So without saying a word, he stepped on the accelerator and rushed to the hospital as fast as possible. Is there a medicine box? Xiao Yang asked out loud. There is a secret compartment under the seat. Xiao Yang looked under the seat and found a secret compartment. He pulled it out and took out the medicine box. King Xuantong, can you hear me? Xiao Yang hugged King Xuantong and asked repeatedly. Zaizi Suyo Yang. Due to excessive bleeding, King Xuantong was extremely weak at this moment. She blinked her eyes, and the sound was as soft as the buzzing of a mosquito. You must hold on, it's okay. Xiao Yang let out a long sigh and took out alcohol and gauze from the medicine box. Just bear with it. King Xuantong looked at the man in front of her, and her dead heart melted again. I'm in this state. Why can he still be so gentle? Although Xiao Yang's face was covered in blood, he even looked a little hideous. But at this moment, King Xuantong felt that the man in front of her was extremely handsome. She endured the pain, and under the stimulation of alcohol, she actually smiled. Xiaoyang, am I really ugly now? The scars had been exposed under the influence of alcohol. Seeing the huge wound, Xiaoyang couldn't help but feel a chill on his back. She's just a 20-year-old girl. Hearing King Xuantong's trembling voice, Xiaoyang's eyes turned red, and he just comforted her. No, she is still as beautiful as before. Xiaoyang's hands were trembling as he bandaged King Xuantong's face. The gauze was wrapped around his face again and again. Why did you stop? Xiaoyang was stunned for a moment. Are we there yet? Red light, Chujia Yu responded. Break through. Good. Chujia Yu didn't hesitate at all. Seeing that there were not many vehicles on the road, he stepped on the accelerator. The car was speeding up, exceeding the speed allowed in the city. Is she okay? Chujia Yu looked at the horrible face in the rearview mirror, took a breath, and asked softly. She will be fine, Xiaoyang said, gritting his teeth. What about you? Chujia Yu glanced at Xiaoyang. I'm fine. Xiaoyang frowned slightly, feeling a sharp pain behind his shoulder and his head was almost dizzy. Finally, the car drove into the hospital. While in the car, Chujia Yu had already called the hospital. At this moment, the stretcher, doctors and nurses had been standing in front of the emergency room waiting for a long time. The car stopped steadily and everyone rushed over to pick up the people. Xiaoyang carried King Xuantong and said softly, "We're here. Don't be afraid, everything will be fine." King Xuantong held Xiaoyang's hand, nodded slightly, and her eyelids drooped. How about you? Are you okay? A nurse glanced at Xiaoyang and saw that he looked dangerous. So she asked hurriedly. I'm fine, Xiaoyang gasped. Suddenly he felt his blood rushing up, he shook his head, and everything in front of him became blurry. The next second, the huge body fell to the ground with a loud bang. Xiaoyang couldn't bear it anymore at this time. He had been hit by the steel pipe during the fight, and he had been dawdling before in addition to the injuries caused by the steel pipe. His physical strength had also been completely exhausted. Chujia Yu rushed up quickly. At this time, King Xuantong, who was on the stretcher, seemed to have heard the noise here. She turned her head and quickly grabbed the nurse's hand. Hurry, save him. I'm fine. Suddenly everyone hurriedly lifted Xiaoyang up. When they saw it on his shoulder, everyone couldn't help but gasp. This broad shoulder was already dented, with dark purple marks that clearly showed it had been hit hard by a blunt object. The skin was broken at the slightest touch, and blood flowed out. How did he manage to carry that girl all the way here? Chujia Yu was filled with heartache. This is not a goddess. This is a Superman. Chapter 238 Dried Zua Sai. The patient's shoulder bone has a large crack. Prepare for surgery immediately. Everyone worked together to push Xiaoyang into the operating room. At this moment, Xiaoyang suddenly opened his eyes. Looking at everything in front of him, he understood where this was. This left the doctors dumbfounded. What is going on? How long has he been unconscious? 10 minutes? Why did you wake up again? How did he wake up? Everyone looked confused. Xiaoyang didn't care about his own affairs. He frowned and asked in a deep voice, what about the girl with the injured face who was sent here? How is she? You still have time to care about others. Your shoulder bone is likely broken if it is not treated properly. You will be a disabled person for the rest of your life. Your left hand will be directly damaged because of your shoulder. I asked, how is she? Xiaoyang interrupted directly. No one expected that at this moment, Xiaoyang actually cared about other people's comfort. The girl is fine, she lost too much blood, but luckily she was brought to the hospital in time. She is now receiving a blood transfusion and is not in danger of life. Xiaoyang finally breathed a sigh of relief. At this moment, a doctor slowly walked into the operating room. Dr. Zhu. Dr. Zhu. Stop talking nonsense, I have a general idea of the situation. Let's prepare now. Dr. Zhu was saying this and looked at Xiaoyang. Suddenly he took a step back. It's you. Xiaoyang. Right? Xiaoyang was stunned for a moment. Others could see a glimmer of excitement in Drive Zhu's eyes. What is going on? The patient is in this condition. Is it really okay for you to be so excited, Drive Zhu? Wait. Let me ask you, have you checked the internal organs to see if there are any problems? Does it require surgery? Dr. Zhu suddenly asked. Dr. Zhu, he only has a broken shoulder bone, we haven't checked his internal injuries. Dr. Zhu frowned slightly, lowered his head and said slowly. Xiaoyang, don't worry. I was the one who performed the surgery on you when your skull was injured by a blunt instrument some time ago. Do you have any problems with your internal organs? Such as pain or chest tightness? No, Xiaoyang looked at Drive Zhu with a puzzled look on his face. What does this mean? Unexpectedly, Drive Zhu turned his head away, sighed, and murmured in a low voice. What a pity. Everyone was confused again. What does it mean? This is the operating room. Drive Zhu, could you please be serious? Dr. Zhu, we have to perform the surgery quickly. His condition cannot be delayed any longer. Dr. Zhu nodded slightly and said, "And let's start the operation." After saying that, he rolled his eyes at the other person. "What a pity. Don't I know whether it can be delayed or not? The situation last time was much more serious than a broken shoulder bone. But after that, I was in great shape and condition, and nothing happened. They were all sent to the ICU at that time. Speaking of which, I have always wanted to find an opportunity to see what Xiaoyang's physique is made of and how he can recover so quickly." So when Drizu saw Xiaoyang just now, he was actually a little excited. "Ah, this dude is here again." After a quick check, there were no internal injuries. Damn it, he didn't have any chance to perform surgery. To be honest, he really wanted to dissect Xiaoyang to see what this guy's internal organs were made of and whether he was an artificial human. Unfortunately, there is no chance. Broken shoulder? Can you believe that he is fine even though his skull is broken? Dr. Zhu even suspected that if he did nothing and just gave him some nutrient solution, this disease that should have left him disabled would heal on its own in a few days. However, as a doctor, he still took action responsibly. It's just a pity. On the other side, Chijiyu was outside the operating room, looking anxious. She didn't expect that this would be the scene when she met the goddess for the second time. "I hope the goddess is okay." She clasped her hands together and prayed. "Even if something happens, as long as it can move, I will raise it." Chijiyu thought to herself. And here, soon, the operating room was opened. Dr. Zhu walked out of the ward. Chijiyu hurried over and asked, "Doctor, how is she?" This made Zhu slightly stunned. If I remember correctly, it wasn't this girl who came last time. Young people nowadays. TSK. So, this guy has a good waist too? Zhu narrowed his eyes, sighed, and his face was full of regret. "It would be nice if I had a chance to check this kid's kidneys. I'm not very good at that if I could gain some experience." TSK. Seeing Zhu sighing, Chijiyu couldn't help but take a step back. But it be that? How is this possible? I clearly heard the doctor in front say that it was just a broken shoulder bone. A broken shoulder bone, how could it be possible? She couldn't help but look disappointed. And her eyes even turned red. Dr. Zhu was stunned for a moment. Seeing Chijiyu's expression, he immediately realized that she had misunderstood him. And quickly said, "He's fine and T worry, I'll be well soon." As for Xiaoyang, he can be said to be full of experience. This kid's recovery ability can only be described in 2 words. Superman. So a broken shoulder bone is no big deal. After hearing what Zhu said, Chijiyu was stunned for a moment and asked in confusion, "Are you okay?" "Yes, just rest for a few days and you'll be fine." "Didn't they say that a broken shoulder bone could very likely leave one disabled?" Chijiyu asked doubtfully. "She has been practicing martial arts since she was a child and has been injured. It is said that it takes 100 days to heal a broken bone. What does it mean that she can recover in just a few days of rest?" "Superman. I have already thought it through. If Xiaoyang really becomes disabled, I can take advantage of the situation and take care of her for the rest of her life. As a goddess, it's also good to be a bottle. Normally, there might be some problems, but his physical fitness won't be a big problem." Having said that, Dr. Zhu sighed, shook his head and turned away. Oh, what a pity. The injury was not serious enough to use the knife on the stomach. Chijiyu was completely stunned as she watched Zhu leave with a shake of his head and a look of regret on his face. "What is this? Are you really okay? What does the doctor's sigh mean? Is it scary?" On the other side, King Xuantong was also receiving treatment. Although she was given anesthesia, she did not close her eyes. In front of her, the needle and thread dangled before her eyes. She was motionless, like a dead body. But no matter how much anesthetic she took, it couldn't stop the pain in her heart. These needles and threads are piercing the face. The most important part of a girl is undoubtedly her face. Can you still look good with all these needles and threads passing through your face? Time passes by every second. King Xuantong closed her eyes tightly. The treatment was over, but she had no mood to rest and could not fall asleep. In my ears, I could vaguely hear the soft voices of doctors and nurses. What a nice skin, so soft and tender. If it weren't for this scar, she would definitely be a great beauty. Yeah, the person who did this must be very cruel to be able to do this. What a pity. Tears as big as beans overflowed from my tightly closed eyes. His face looked ashen. Chapter 239. Who made us all fall in love with the scumbag? Let me talk about 2 sides. Zhang Yan didn't know that Xiaoyang had been admitted to the hospital. In her opinion, Fang Jingyuan was just a playboy, and the Fang family had fallen into such a state probably just for the money. So he was not worried that anything might happen to Xiaoyang. After all, Xiaoyang might not have much other things, but he definitely had no shortage of money. It was noon now. Lin Qiyu curled up in the quilt, chatting with her roommates intermittently, and looking at the dormitory door from time to time. She looked at the time and felt that Xiao Yang would be here almost soon. Sure enough, soon there was a knock on the door. Lin Qiu's expression brightened, and she said to Li Shaikan, "Open the door quickly, my cousin is here." As he spoke, a head of crimson flashed across Lin Qiu's face. Thinking of how her cousin had touched her all over her body yesterday, her face was still flushed. "See how anxious you are. I thought Xiao Yang was here." Li Shaikan rolled her eyes at Lin Qiu. The latter's face turned even redder. Could it be that they had discovered something? "It's all Xiao Yang's fault. I agreed to take a nap, but ended up feeling restless all over." The door opened. The Li Shaikan was stunned. "Who are you looking for?" "I'm looking for Lin Qiu." The person outside the door was Zhang Yan. Fortunately, Zhang Yan's dormitory was well known in the University of Finance and Economics, so it was not difficult to find her. Lin Qiu, who was lying on the bed, was also suddenly stunned. He immediately sat up from the bed and looked outside the door. Who else could it be but Zhang Yan? Her face instantly turned extremely surprised and embarrassed. The relationship between the two and Xiao Yang was fine in private, but if it were to be made public, Lin Qiu really didn't know how to face Zhang Yan. Just when she was stunned, Zhang Yan smiled, and it seemed that she was trying to show goodwill. "Why are you here?" Lin Qiu bit her red lips, feeling a little at a loss. Zhang Yan lifted the food box and smiled. "Of course I'm here to take care of you. Otherwise, some people will feel bad." Lin Qiu was stunned for a moment. So, it was Xiao Yang who asked Zhang Yan to come. How could he? Lin Qiu let out a long sigh, with a unit and fightable expression on her face, whether happy or with some other emotion, and climbed down from the bed. "Slow down." Zhang Yan hurried forward and supported Lin Qiu. Lin Qiu felt a little embarrassed, but let Zhang Yan support her. In fact, Zhang Yan didn't know what to do. She certainly understood how weak girls were during their menstrual period, and she also knew that Lin Qiu, who suffered from dysmenorrhea, needed Xiao Yang's care even more. She smiled and showed her good intentions. She had no ill will towards Lin Qiu. To be precise, I am more like a mistress, although there is no first come first served rule in this matter. Lin Qiu moved a chair over. The two girls sat down, and Lin Qiu then asked softly, "Why are you here?" "Xiao Yang had something urgent to do, so I came here and came to see you." "I hope he is okay." Lin Qiu suddenly asked worriedly. "Probably not. Actually, I also want to meet you before. I always felt that I had a lot to say to you, but now, I don't know how to start." Zhang Yan smiled, and the atmosphere became a little awkward. Lin Qiu has always been relatively introverted, especially when facing Zhang Yan. He felt extremely nervous. "In fact, it was me who instigated Xiao Yang to pursue you." Zhang Yan smiled and continued, "I know that today's society emphasizes monogamy, but you and I both know that no one can predict emotional matters. I don't ask Xiao Yang to love only me for the rest of his life, but it's enough for him to have me in his heart. I'll be satisfied if I can stay by his side for the rest of my life." Relatively speaking, you knew him first when I knew him. He had already confessed his love to you 99 times. You were the first to enter his heart. Zhang Yan hesitated and continued. "To be fair, you are very good. In fact, if we continue to compete, we really don't know who will win or lose, but Xiao Yang will definitely feel very uncomfortable. If possible, I hope we can be like sisters." She let out a long sigh, then took out the red ginger water from the food box, took out the food, and placed them on the table one by one. Lin Qiu listened to Zhang Yan's words with her head down, not knowing what she was thinking. "Okay, drink some red ginger water first. I'm a girl too, and I know how it feels like to have dysmenorrhea." Zhang Yan smiled and poured the water into a small bowl, took out a spoon and handed it to Lin Qiu. The latter took a sip and said nothing. In fact, when she saw Zhang Yan for the first time, she thought Zhang Yan was here to call for punishment or to assert her sovereignty. But she didn't expect her to speak so softly and show kindness all the time, which made her a little overwhelmed. "Does it hurt a lot?" Zhang Yan saw Lin Qiu frowning slightly, and suddenly reached out and rubbed her belly. Lin Qiu was stunned for a moment, then looked at Zhang Yan and finally smiled. "It's okay after drinking the soup. Wait until your stomach is warm before eating something. You also know Xiao Yang's cooking skills. He got up early in the morning to prepare these things, just in case you were hungry." Zhang Yan smiled. Lin Qiu also smiled. She didn't know if it was because of the red ginger water, but she felt warm in her heart. "By and large, I should be a little older than you. From now on, I will call you Shiwoi." "Okay," Lin Qiu nodded. "Speaking of which, we can't live without Xiao Yang. I actually only have one request for you." Lin Qiu raised his eyebrows and looked at Zhang Yan. "What do you want?" Zhang Yan bit her lip and whispered. "After all, the relationship between us is not encouraged by society, but I only care about whether I can stay with Xiao Yang. A relationship between Xiao Yang and I does not need recognition from others." Nor does it need a marriage certificate to confirm it. If you and Xiaoyang come to that point, I hope you can allow me to exist. Zhang Yan looked at Lin Qiyu. She had already lowered her attitude to the lowest level. To her, nothing else matters except Xiaoyang. The fact that Xiaoyang confessed to Lin Qiyu so many times shows how much he cares about Lin Qiyu. She couldn't predict the future. If Lin Qiyu and Xiaoyang came to that point, she just hoped that nothing would change. This is my attitude towards Lin Qiyu's matter. Lin Qiyu was obviously stunned. Logically speaking, Zhang Yan should have confirmed their relationship earlier than me. But she didn't expect Zhang Yan to be so humble, nor could she imagine that her feelings for Xiaoyang would be so deep. Lin Qiyu suddenly smiled and said softly, "Sister Zhang Yan, don't worry, since I have accepted Xiaoyang, I have also accepted Xiaoyang's feelings for you. Before, it seemed a bit absurd to me. But after going through so much, I can no longer leave Xiaoyang, just like you said to me before. I love Xiaoyang too, and I don't want him to be unhappy." Lin Qiyu let out a long sigh. The two looked at each other and smiled. Who made us all fall in love with the scumbag? Chapter 240. Xiaoyang is in the hospital. The two girls opened the food boxes on the table. Soon, the rich fragrance spread throughout the dormitory. "Oh my god, what smells so good?" Several girls gathered around. Seeing the table full of dishes, Li Shikan, who had just finished her meal, couldn't help swallowing her saliva. "Chuo, can you finish it?" Li Shikan came over. Of course, Lin Qiyu bared his teeth at Li Shikan like a little tiger guarding its food, trying to scare her away, then looked at Zhang Yan. "Would you like to eat together?" "I've eaten." Zhang Yan smiled. "I'm jealous." Lin Qiyu showed a look of envy. "Let's eat with Xiaoyang." "Woohoo! By the way, Shuoi, is this also your cousin? How come your family has such good genes? Every one of them is so beautiful." Li Shikan was extremely envious. Lin Qiyu spread his hands helplessly. "It's not that we have good genes. It's that a certain beast in our family has good aesthetic sense and superb skills in picking up girls." Oh, Zhang Yan smiled and said, "Well, I am Shuoi's sister. Right? Hello, Shuoi is not feeling well, please take care of her." Lin Qiyu's face flushed. "Our family." This also indirectly clarifies the relationship between the three people. A family. She glanced at Zhang Yan and smiled. It seemed pretty good. Li Shikan and the others were just joking around and soon returned to their beds. Those who play games, those who read books, and those who flirt with boys. After taking a quick look around, Zhang Yan came closer and asked softly, "Cousin? It's him. Eh?" Lin Qiyu looked around before taking out his cell phone. Sharing is a happy thing, although they agreed to keep the photos confidential and not show them to others. Lin Qiyu still couldn't help but open them. The above shows Xiaoyang's coquetous, charming and delicate side. Zhang Yan's eyes widened immediately. "Is this Xiaoyang?" Lin Qiyu nodded vigorously. The two of them immediately burst into giggles. "In our family, all three are beauties. I didn't expect that Xiaoyang had this hobby." Zhang Yan sighed. "Well, I must let Xiaoyang wear women's clothes at night. It's just wow. And I put on men's clothes. Just thinking about that scene is so exciting. In the past, he always rode on me, huh? It's time for the liberated serfs to sing." After browsing for a while, Zhang Yan added Lin Qiu's WeChat and asked her to send the photos over. The friendship between sisters gradually heats up as they share photos of a man wearing cross-dressing clothes. "By the way, Shuo, do you have?" Zhang Yan suddenly asked. "What? Inner one?" Lin Qiyu was stunned at first. And then her face turned red. "Is there any? I have used my mouth myself. So I guess I have, but..." Thinking of some previous things, she suddenly felt shy. "I have touched everything I should touch and seen everything I should see. Does this count as complete?" "Not yet, right?" Lin Qiyu stammered. "No." Zhang Yan was a little surprised, but soon she felt superior. "At least in this regard, I have taken the lead." "So, this is Xiaoyang's first time." "That's not a loss, it's everyone's first time. Although they are a good family, women always have a desire to win and a very heart." Zhang Yan secretly leaned over and whispered, "Hold on tight. Xiaoyang is really strong, I can't handle it anymore. This is the truth. I should have gone back to school for training yesterday. As a result, it has been delayed until now. If I hadn't stopped him from touching me yesterday, it would have been difficult for me to go out today. Every time people are exhausted they say there are no fields that can be plowed to death. Only oxen that can be worked to death. But that was because he didn't meet Xiaoyang." Lin Qiu's face turned even redder. She didn't expect Zhang Yan to bring up this topic. But since it was mentioned, Lin Qiu was also a little curious and asked, "Is it really that amazing?" "My evaluation is, the most powerful age matches the most powerful person. If possible, please take some time so that I can have a rest." Zhang Yan let out a long sigh. In fact, Zhang Yan came here for this matter. Normally speaking, who would push their man onto another woman? But Jiang Yan had no choice. During the time she lived with Xiao Yang, she could no longer hold on. This guy has good physical strength and is at the most ferocious age. He parties every night and exhausts himself every day. Although it is comfortable, I have to rest in bed for a long time every other day before I can recover. Who can stand this? It is said that, in this regard, men are becoming weaker and weaker. Who would have thought that Xiao Yang is becoming more and more courageous? If he continues like this, he won't be able to hold on any longer. Well, we must quickly pull Lin Qiyu in to divert some of the firepower. Otherwise, should I ask him to go out and look for it when I can't do it myself? It would be better to find Lin Qiyu. I have to say, Jiang Yan's thinking is so unique. Lin Qiyu was also stunned when he heard this. The image of Xiao Yang pressing him down appeared in his mind. She swallowed and said softly, "I'll try to find time. And hurry up, I'm afraid he will go out and mess with other women again." Jiang Yan sighed. Although it was comfortable at the time, it was also tiring. The two chatted about private matters for a while. Suddenly, Lin Qiyu's cell phone rang. "Xiaoyu? Sister?" Lin Qiyu picked up the phone and asked doubtfully, "Is there something you want to talk to me about?" The person on the other end of the phone was Lin Qiyu's sister Chujiayu. "Something's up, don't you know my goddess?" "Your goddess?" Lin Qiyu was stunned. "It's the photo on your computer." "The one?" Lin Qiyu was at a loss for words. "Sister, don't ask me, I can't introduce him to you, he is straight." "I didn't say that. I'm in the hospital now. What happened is, I ran into her on the road today. She was carrying a woman on her back, and her body was covered in wounds. The woman's name was King Xuantong, but I can't remember clearly. Both of them were seriously injured, especially King Xuantong, who was stabbed several times in the face and was completely disfigured." After hearing King Xuantong's words, Lin Qiyu's expression gradually became serious, and he hurriedly asked, "Where is that person? How is he now?" "I just finished the operation. Fortunately, there is no danger to my life." "Don't you know the goddess? See if you can contact her family and come to the hospital to take care of her. I have something to do at the company, so I have to leave first." It sounded like Chujia you did have something urgent to do. So he cut to the chase, explained what happened, and then hung up. Seeing Lin Qiyu's anxious look, Jiang Yan couldn't help but ask, "What's wrong?" "Xiao Yang was injured and hospitalized. King Xuantong is also in the hospital. It seems that she was disfigured." "What?" Jiang Yan stood up suddenly. The two women exchanged glances. He immediately stopped eating and rushed out of the dormitory. Chapter 241 Ideological Awareness. On the way, Lin Qiyu called Chujiayu again to ask about the details. "I didn't know what happened at the time. I was going to the medical school to discuss a job, and then she ran out of the alley and I almost ran into her. Her face was covered in blood. The woman was even worse off. Her entire body was stained with blood. There are still 2 big scars on her face. I think King Xuantong was pretty. What a pity. With these 2 cuts, her face is definitely gone." "What about him?" Lin Qiyu asked. "Are you calling me a goddess? Right? She was like a superhero. I thought she was fine. But when we got to the hospital, she passed out. It seemed like the shoulder bone had been hit by a blunt object and had sunk in. The doctor said it was a broken shoulder bone, and he was later pushed into the operating room." "Then what?" Lin Qiyu asked worriedly. Jiang Yan was driving the car, with a worried look on her face. Lin Qiyu turned on the external speaker, so she could hear it clearly. "I asked the doctor after the operation, but the doctor seemed very calm and insisted that Xiao Yang must be fine." "Is there no danger to life?" "Probably not. Besides, the injury is to the shoulder. It's not life-threatening." After the words were spoken, the 2 people in the car breathed a sigh of relief. "I hope there's no danger to life. Okay, let's not talk about this for now. I'm driving back to the company now. I'll hang up now." "Good." After both parties hung up the phone, the 2 women hurried to the hospital. At this time, outside Longji Bar, sirens blared. The police station has surrounded the place. It was reported that students who wanted to go to the bar saw it and called the police on the spot. "Captain, we have investigated and found that the deceased is Fang Jingyuan." "Fang Jingyuan?" The captain was stunned for a moment, then quickly shook his head. This kid died wonderfully. He didn't know how to comment either. In fact, he looked down on Fang Jingyuan. "I still remember that just some time ago, this kid was beaten up by someone. As a result, the Fang family put pressure on the former Captain Li and offended a man named Xiao Yang. Later, the captain was demoted to a temporary worker. And he, the deputy captain, became the captain. Actually, we should thank this second young master Fang. But I still look down on such people from the bottom of my heart." "Have all the people confessed?" "Yes, I have confessed everything." When the police arrived, they found that Fang Jingyuan was not the only one at the scene. There were 4 injured people who had not left. After a thorough interrogation, The four people quickly confessed everything. The four people's testimony about what happened is consistent. They are the subordinates of a gangster named Chi Long. And they are the thugs of Long Jibar. That day Fang Jingyuan came to Long Jibar. A subordinate began to tell the story slowly. There is a surveillance camera at the entrance of the alley. We have checked it and confirmed that two people left the alley after the incident. From the video, one person was carrying another person on his back. The person being carried had blood on his face. He must have been seriously injured. Finally, they stopped a Rolls Royce and left. Captain, they should be heading to the nearest hospital. Should we go to the hospital to pick them up now? The subordinate asked the captain. Wait, tell me again. What are the names of that man and woman? The four thugs were not sure either. Judging from their tone, Fang Jingyuan called the man's name at the time. It should be Xiao Yang, and the woman's name should be King Xuantong. Xiao Yang. The captain was stunned. Where's the surveillance camera? Bring it here for me to see. His men quickly took a tablet and started looking at it. Damn, it's really him. The captain took a deep breath. Captain, do you know him? Then should we act quickly and not let them get away? Take action, but, he hesitated, feeling a tingling sensation on his scalp. He looked over the files on the previous case. At that time, Fang Jingyuan confessed to the girl named King Xuantong. And then Xiao Yang was beaten. Because of this incident, the former captain was removed from his position. Now Fang Jingyuan has a short memory. Last time, he just taught him a lesson. But this time he caused a death. I have to admit, the last incident happened not long ago and he still remembers it clearly. He secretly remembered in his heart that some people should not be easily provoked. That who knew that he would still run into him. Don't characterize the case yet. There must be some hidden story here. Well, you call the people and we can go to the hospital together. The captain thought for a while and said. Just a few of us. The subordinate was stunned. That's the murderer. Didn't I tell you not to classify the case? The matter hasn't been investigated thoroughly yet. Didn't those thugs say that it was Fang Jingyuan who first sent people to kidnap King Xuantong? And then the murder happened. If you look at it seriously, it's just excessive self-defense. It's very likely legitimate defense. They are not desperate criminals. Besides, they are lying in the hospital without injuries. We are here to record their confessions, not to arrest the criminals. You have to be aware of this. We come from the people and go back to the people. We are not cruel officials, so why do we have to bring so many people with us? After giving his men a severe ideological education, the captain got in the car, called 2 patrolmen, and rushed to the hospital. At the same time, Lin Qiyu and the others had also arrived at the hospital. After some inquiries, they got Xiao Yang's specific room number. By now he had finished the surgery and was transferred to a high-end ward. As for hospital fees and the like, Chu Jiayu had paid them all in advance. At this time, Xiao Yang was lying on the hospital bed resting because he was exhausted and injured. There was a thick bandage wrapped around his shoulders. But he looked fine. His face was clean and had already been cleaned by the nurse. Seeing that Xiao Yang was still normal at the moment, Lin Qiu and the others outside the bed also breathed a sigh of relief. At this moment, a doctor has also come over. I happened to see the people outside looking at Xiao Yang through the window. You. Just as he was about to ask, Zhu saw Zhang Yan and immediately recognized her. Ms. Zhang? Dr. Zhu? Zhang Yan also remembered Dr. Zhu. Xiao Yang stayed in the hospital for quite a long time last time. Dr. Zhu came to the ward every day to check on Xiao Yang's injuries. So the two of them knew each other. Is Xiao Yang okay? Don't worry, it's not as serious as last time. Come on. Now that you're here, go and don't worry, this isn't the ICU. And it's nothing serious. Don't stand there. As he spoke, he glanced at Lin Qiu next to him, and frowned slightly when he saw the two girls holding hands. This kid. Can the waist really be that good? There are several women here. Each one more beautiful than the other. Chapter 242 Ward. Perhaps because he had experienced too much in recent days, Xiao Yang's reactions became much more sensitive. He suddenly opened his eyes when he heard the slightest footsteps. He heaved a sigh of relief when he found himself in the ward and saw that Xiao Yan and Drive Zhu came in. Why are you here? Xiao Yang said weakly. At this moment, he felt weak all over. Nutrient solution was flowing through his body. His lips were pale, the anesthetic effect had worn off, and he felt a sharp pain in his shoulder. However, he also felt a tingling sensation. This was the system strengthening and repairing his body. He had known this for a long time. The system had the function of strengthening and repairing the host's body. This was why his body recovered so quickly when he was injured last time. Of course we have to come. Zhang Yan couldn't help but feel distressed when she saw Xiao Yang like this. Tell me, you've only been discharged from the hospital for a few days. And you're already taking charge of this place. Zhang Yan couldn't help but give Xiao Yang a blank look. The latter just smiled. Don't worry, I'm fine. Jiwo, why are you here too? I happened to be with Sister John Yan at the time. Lin Qiu sat down with great concern, holding Xiao Yang's hand with a concerned look on her face. Does it still hurt? Of course, it hurts. Xiao Yang smiled and said, it won't hurt if you give it a kiss. Lin Qiu's face suddenly turned red, and she was so shy that she wanted to find a hole to crawl into. There's someone else here, she whispered softly. Dr. Zhu immediately looked away and couldn't help mumbling in his heart. My goodness, don't these two women fight? Why did my wife rush into the club with a knife just when I went to wash my feet? What a gap. Is it because of the kidneys? No, it seems I need to go to the Chinese medicine department more often to see if they have any methods to regulate my kidneys. I have to take care of my health. Xiao Yang also made a joke, glanced at Dr. Zhu, and asked, Doctor, how is my injury? The injury should not be serious normally. It is difficult to repair a shoulder bone that is broken to this extent. But through my examination, your cells are very active and are trying their best to repair themselves. With our medication, there shouldn't be any major problems. After saying that, the doctor couldn't help but shook his head. This self-repairing ability is almost at the same level as a gecko. It can even repair a broken tail, right? We are all superhumans, right? Xiao Yang was also expecting this after hearing this. He looked at the two girls and said with a smile, did you hear that? It's nothing, don't worry. Lin Qiu nodded and just looked at Xiao Yang gently. John Yan couldn't help but snorted coldly. What are you talking about? What did you tell me when you left? You kept saying that Fang Jingyuan was only after money and wouldn't embarrass you. It's all right now, just lie down here. At this point, John Yan's expression also turned fierce, and she asked viciously, where's Fang Jingyuan? If I find him, I will tear this guy into pieces. He thinks he is the second young master of the Fang family. He is totally lawless. When Xiao Yang heard this, the corner of his mouth twitched. He frowned slightly, and thinking of the previous scene, he couldn't help feeling like he had survived a disaster. As for killing Fang Jingyuan, he still had some mental resistance to it. After all, he was an outstanding young man of the 21st century, and he had never thought that things would develop to this extent. But there was nothing to regret, and he would not have any tendency to have nightmares. After all, if he didn't kill Fang Jingyuan, the latter would definitely not let him go. In the situation at that time, there was no other choice but life and death. Xiao Yang sighed and replied, he is dead. After the words fell, John Yan and Lin Qiu were stunned for a long time. Dead. John Yan even started to stutter even though she was shouting for war. She was still shocked to hear the news. She glanced at Xiao Yang with a hint of doubt in her eyes, but did not ask directly this is a human life. When Xiao Yang saw John Yan's eyes, he just nodded and didn't say anything, but his meaning was already very clear. John Yan held her forehead, thought for a moment, and said slowly, I'll go call my Uncle. Xiao Yang nodded in agreement. This matter might really trouble Zhang Yichen even if Zhang Yan didn't make the call. He would have to find Zhang Yichen to settle the matter. After all, it was a murder case. Lin Qiu didn't understand that much. She just held Xiao Yang's hand and asked questions. By the way, Dr. Zhu, how is the girl who came here with me now? Xiao Yang was still very worried about King Xuantong's condition, so he asked hurriedly. Her condition is similar to yours. Her life is not in danger, but her face is severely damaged. Our colleagues in the plastic surgery department don't have any idea what to do. I'm afraid the girl's face doesn't look good, Dr. Zhu said as he checked Xiao Yang's physical condition. Xiao Yang frowned slightly and just let out a long sigh. How painful it must be for a girl to have the scars on her face. After thinking for a while, Xiao Yang looked at Lin Qiu and said, if you are free later, please help me go see King Xuantong. You know, she used to be so. I'm afraid she will do something unreasonable. Xiao Yang sighed. Lin Qiu thought about it and nodded. When she was in JM City, she went back to Jiangdu with King Xuantong and Xiao Yang. Although she was jealous at the time, she also had a deep impression of this girl. Like her, King Xuantong is an extremely beautiful girl. He even shows off in front of himself. It must be so painful for such a beautiful girl who loves beauty so much to have her face disfigured. If Lin Qiu were to be honest, he would get goosebumps just thinking about it. She probably wouldn't even be able to accept a new bump on her face, let alone a scar. After Dr. Zhu finished the examination, he left directly although he wanted to study Xiao Yang's body more. He was a doctor after all, and Xiao Yang was not the only patient under his care. He couldn't just stay here all the time and envy others for being surrounded by beauties and eating dog food. Zhang Yan came back soon and said to Xiao Yang, Uncle has arrived. Xiao Yang nodded. Zhang Yan asked again about what happened. Xiao Yang had nothing to hide, so he recounted what had happened. The two girls were shocked and scared when they heard it. Zhang Yan glared at Xiao Yang and warned him, don't be impulsive if you encounter this kind of thing again in the future. No matter what, just take me with you. I can call the police for you later. You almost lost your life. Xiao Yang just smiled and said nothing. Lin Qi was so frightened that her face turned pale. She shrank back and tightly grasped Xiao Yang's hand, gritting her teeth and saying, "This Fang Jingyuan is so evil. Damn it. King Xuantong is so pitiful, meeting such a lunatic." Yes, Xiao Yang was filled with emotion. At this moment, footsteps were heard outside the door. The uniformed police officers have also arrived. "Excuse me, is this Mr. Xiao Yang's ward?" Several patrolmen were very polite. They knocked on the door of the ward and asked gently. Chapter 243 Excellent Citizen. Xiao Yang had long expected that the police would come looking for him. After all, the place was near the school and the bar was a normal public place. He would be discovered sooner or later. He didn't try to cover it up. And the nearby surveillance video clearly captured the two people leaving the scene. However, he didn't expect that the policeman who came up would be so polite. After all, this was a murder case. "I'm Xiao Yang, come in." Xiao Yang had a shoulder injury and couldn't move. But he moved his mouth. The patrolmen also walked in slowly at this time. "We are here to find out the situation from Mr. Xiao. You should know about the case of Long Jibar." "I know. I'm the person involved." Xiao Yang had no intention of hiding anything and admitted it directly. The leading police officer did not expect Xiao Yang to be so cooperative. He immediately smiled and said slowly, "It's like this. When we arrived at the scene, we found that there was one death and 4 injuries. After our emergency investigation, we also learned a lot of information. Let me introduce myself. My last name is Wang, and I'm the patrol captain of the district bureau." Xiao Yang nodded slightly. "Don't be nervous, we probably already know the situation." Captain Wang was very polite and his face was full of smiles. This surprised Xiao Yang and the other two. In their imagination, shouldn't it be a severe interrogation? After all, it is a matter related to a murder case. But why does it feel like someone is here to show concern and care? "If you have anything to say, just ask directly." Xiao Yang smiled. It seemed that Captain Wang was more nervous than him. Zhang Yan, who was standing by, breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed that this wouldn't be that troublesome. "That's right. After investigation, we have sorted out the entire case. First of all, it was the deceased Fang Jingyuan who illegally detained the victim King Xuantong. You are the party involved and also a witness, I am right? Right? Yes, that's right." Xiao Yang was a little confused. This was not the same as the interrogation he had imagined. The subordinate beside him was also stunned for a moment. Captain Wang is a man with a hot temper. Last time he was interrogating a thief, he even used to bet on. Why is the captain so patient in this murder case? Shouldn't he have just handcuffed the man and interrogated him severely? It should have been around 12 o'clock when I received a call from Fang Jingyuan, saying that King Xuantong was in his hands and asked me to go rescue her alone. Xiao Yang added. "Write it down," he instructed his men. And then said to Xiao Yang, "According to the confessions of several injured men under Black Dragon, there is no deviation from what you said. Go on." Later, I listened to Fang Jingyuan's words and was afraid that King Xuantong might get into trouble, so I went there alone. Fang Jingyuan and I had some grievances before, so he wanted to kill me that time. He had already hurt King Xuantong and ordered his men to be. A wound on my shoulder can prove that I had no choice at the time, so I had to engage in some legitimate defense. In the process of defending himself, he accidentally killed Fang Jingyuan." Xiao Yang understood what Captain Wang meant. Moreover, in this matter, even if he was acting in self-defense, at most he might have caused someone's death by excessive defense. But when one's life is threatened, it is reasonable to use excessive defense, so he is not too worried about it. Besides, the police seem to be on my side, which made things much easier. We have already grasped all the circumstances of this case. To be precise, you and King Xuantong are indeed victims. Okay, this is your confession. If there's no problem with it, just put your fingerprints on it." Captain Wang tittied up and said to Xiao Yang. Xiao Yang was stunned for a moment. He didn't expect the question to be so simple. A policeman took the ink pad. Xiao Yang glanced at the confession, found no problem, and pressed his fingerprints. "Thank you for your cooperation. Mr. Xiao, you are a patient now, so we will not bother you anymore. We will notify you if there is any new situation later." During the questioning, Captain Wang kept using the word "you," which made Xiao Yang feel very comfortable. He also smiled and actually had a favorable impression of the patrolman. "We are going to record Miss King Xuantong's statement now, so we will leave first." Just as Captain Wang walked out of the ward, the cell phone on his waist suddenly rang. "Hello? Yes. It's me, Wang Jianko. Yesterday's case was the murder under the overpass in Yongli district. Have you found out?" His face was suddenly filled with excitement. "What, it's Fang Jingyuan," he gasped. A voice came from the other end of the phone. "Yes, although it was late at night, there were many witnesses. We also compared the surveillance and the testimony of the witnesses and confirmed that the murderer of this case is Fang Jingyuan, the second young master of the Fang Group. Since there are witnesses, why did you notify me only now? Captain Wang said with some dissatisfaction. It's like this were NTU on a field trip at the time. The director has already asked about this matter personally. After confirmation by the Municipal Bureau, a warrant has been issued for Fang Jingyuan's arrest. Has a wanted warrant been issued? Yes. Captain Wang suddenly laughed. Take back the wanted order. Fang Jingyuan is already dead. There was a pause over there. Captain Wang continued. Send me the wanted order. After hanging up the phone, he turned around and walked into Xiaoyang's ward again. After thinking about it, he took another step back and knocked on the door of the ward. Xiaoyang and the others did not hear clearly what Captain Wang said on the phone. They just looked at Captain Wang in confusion. Is there anything else? Xiaoyang asked. Captain Wang didn't hesitate and said directly. It's like this. It turns out that Fang Jingyuan committed a murder before illegally imprisoning Miss King Xuantong. Around 2 am yesterday, a white-collar worker was murdered under the Yongli overpass. The Municipal Bureau has issued a warrant for his arrest. As he spoke, he took out his cell phone, which showed a wanted warrant sent by his colleague. As a murderer, Fang Jingyuan is extremely dangerous. We have to confirm that he imprisoned Miss King Xuantong, and his actions against Mr. Xiao were all motivated by murder. So, there should be no problem with your legitimate defense measures. Xiaoyang's expression brightened. Captain Wang continued. However, you may have to take some time to go to the Municipal Bureau, because this is a major murder case, and the suspect Fang Jingyuan is an extremely dangerous person. Whether you provide clues or arrest people, you will be rewarded. He smiled and said, you may be able to get a bonus and an outstanding citizen award. This time, Xiaoyang was stunned again. What? I must have heard it right. This is. If I kill Fang Jingyuan, I will still get the Outstanding Citizen Award. Zhang Yan and Lin Qiyu also looked confused. Even though Fang Jingyuan deserves to be killed, isn't it a bit weird to award him an Outstanding Citizen Award and give him cash rewards? Chapter 240 for King Xuantong's confession. Although the police have basically determined the nature of the case, Xiaoyang is not sure whether there will be some trouble later. He will know once Zhang Yichen arrives. Here, Captain Wang also asked about King Xuantong's situation. And then he had to record King Xuantong's confession. When Xiaoyang heard this, he was also a little worried about King Xuantong's situation. Xiaoyang had a shoulder injury, was weak, and needed intravenous nutrient solution. He was unable to walk normally, so he immediately asked Zhang Yan to find a wheelchair. King Xuantong should be fine. Xiaoyang, you are seriously injured now, so it's better not to do that, Lin Qiu persuaded. Naturally, she was more worried about Xiaoyang's injury. After all, the patrolman had already made his attitude clear. He was just going to record a confession, so there wouldn't be any problem. But Xiaoyang was obviously not worried about this. He thought for a moment and said slowly, although King Xuantong seems to be cheerful and lively, she cares a lot about her image. This is the time when she needs care the most. I'm afraid something unexpected might happen. Xiaoyang thought about it and decided to go see King Xuantong. Zhang Yan and Lin Qiyu couldn't argue with Xiaoyang, so they could only let him do what he wanted. Besides, King Xuantong knew them for a while, so naturally they didn't want anything to happen to her. A wheelchair was found, and Captain Wang and his men helped Xiaoyang to get on it. Xiaoyang frowned slightly, and the wound on his shoulder hit the chair, causing a sharp pain. But for him, this little pain was nothing, and he just whispered, "Let's go." Zhang Yan had no choice but to hold the nutrient solution being delivered, while Lin Qiyu pushed it slowly. Before arriving, Captain Wang had already inquired about King Xuantong's ward at the hospital front desk, and they found it quickly. It was also a high-end ward, guarded by several nurses. It looked like King Xuantong didn't have any injuries, except for the ones around her eyes, which were bandaged like a mummy, leaving only her facial features exposed. It was hard to tell that this was King Xuantong. A few people took a look from outside. Zhang Yan couldn't help but frown slightly, while Lin Qiyu shrank his body with some heartache in his eyes. Think about it, King Xuantong was originally the same as them, a school-level beauty with an amazing appearance. But in this state, no one knows what kind of face is under the gauze. Captain Wang, please be careful with your words, Xiaoyang said softly to Captain Wang. Captain Wang naturally nodded repeatedly, and at the same time he felt deeply about Fang Jingyuan's ruthlessness. He had seen photos of King Xuantong, a great beauty. The beast Fang Jingyuan was so ruthless that he destroyed such a beautiful face. Women all love beauty, and he knew that he must not say anything harsh to irritate King Xuantong. Otherwise he would anger Xiaoyang, the king of hell. And he would probably become a temporary worker in an instant like his predecessor Captain Li. King Xuantong didn't know that Xiao Yang and his companions had arrived. She closed her eyes tightly, her eyelashes fluttered slightly, and she shook her head from time to time. Although her expression could not be seen under the gauze, it could be seen from the way she tightly grasped the bedsheet that she was obviously experiencing some struggle or having a nightmare. Xiao Yang and others walked gently to King Xuantong. Suddenly King Xuantong opened her eyes abruptly and got up from the bed in an instant. Her forehead was covered with sweat and she looked a little frightened. Seeing this, Xiao Yang couldn't help feeling a little distressed. Zhang Yan and Lin Qiu also frowned, with a hint of pity in their eyes. King Xuantong was breathing heavily. She turned her head and saw Xiao Yang in a wheelchair. She was stunned. "Jesus tic-tuc his dinner play to Yao?" King Xuantong was slightly stunned. "Are you okay? Did you have a nightmare?" Xiao Yang asked with concern. King Xuantong smiled bitterly. "I hope this is all a nightmare." She raised her head and touched her face, but instead of feeling her originally smooth and tender face, she felt a thick layer of gauze. "That's not a dream." Thinking of this, a crystal tear instantly overflowed from her eyes. But she quickly calmed down and didn't cry instead. She looked at Xiao Yang and asked with concern, "Are you okay? Why are you in a wheelchair?" "I'm fine. I'm sitting in the wheelchair just because I'm tired." Xiao Yang tried hard to force a smile, but his eyes were full of heartache. "That's good." King Xuantong was happy at first, but soon her eyes were filled with disappointment. She turned her head away. "Why are you here? I'm like this now." The words were still unspoken, but the meaning was clear. Zhang Yan also stood up and said, "King Xuantong, don't think too much. Actually..." But before she could finish her words, King Xuantong had already shaken her head and interrupted Zhang Yan. "How can I not think about it? We have been competing with each other since we first met. I thought we would fight for a long time. But I didn't expect that I no longer have the capital to compete with you." King Xuantong looked gloomy, and she didn't look back. She just sighed and said, "Xiao Yang, thank you for coming to save me today. But the way I am now..." She bit her lip and sighed softly. "Xiao Yang, you know, I already fell in love with you when I was in high school." King Xuantong's voice was very soft and gentle, as if she was recalling something. She didn't face Xiao Yang, but just looked away. "Do you remember? When I was in high school, one night, after we finished our evening study, I was blocked by a few hooligans. I was very scared at the time. They were very fierce, just like Fang Jingyuan today. And you showed up. You didn't know how to fight at that time, but you still saved me without hesitation. I'll always remember that night when you were knocked to the ground by a few of them, but you still told me to run away. The next day, you went to school with a bruised face and nose. You were mocked by your classmates and criticized by your teacher. But you didn't explain anything. I was too weak at that time and didn't dare to explain for you." At this point, King Xuantong sighed, fell silent, and continued. "Actually, I fell in love with you since then. It's just that we were still young at that time. And I didn't want to delay our studies. I wanted to wait until we grow up before talking about these things. Later at the party, you asked Lu Xing to help you express your feelings. And you even sang a song for me. I was so stupid at that time that I refused. If I agree, will we be together?" King Xuantong's voice became lower and lower, and her face was full of tears. "It was because of my hesitation that I missed the love. Xiao Yang has always been the Prince Charming in her mind, and he has rescued her from danger time and time again. He rescued me from a group of thugs in high school. And he was the one who stood up for me when Fang Jingyuan confessed his love to him later. Not to mention what happened today. This was the person who saved me time and time again. But I didn't cherish him." At this time, Xiao Yang was a little confused. "Ask Lu Xing to help me confess my feelings to King Xuantong. When did it happen?" As for the incident of saving someone in high school, he did have some impression of it because of this incident. He was beaten by the old man. Even after I told him that I was a hero saving the beauty, the old man didn't believe it. Later he was too lazy to explain. And he did not see clearly that it was King Xuantong that night. He was just doing what he should do as an outstanding successor of Shi Huiism. I didn't expect that it was King Xuantong. If she hadn't said it today, I wouldn't have known about it." Lin Qiu and Zhang Yan, who were standing by, were also stunned. The two frowned slightly, but didn't know what to say. As for Captain Wang, when he started to hear King Xuantong talking, he had already consciously led his men out of the ward. He didn't dare to listen to Xiao Yang's personal affairs. As for the nurse who was taking care of King Xuantong, she had already left to watch when Xiao Yang came in. There were only him and 3 girls in the ward. As King Xuantong spoke, tears streamed down her cheeks, instantly soaking the gauze on her face. "Xiao Yang, in fact, these words have been hidden in my heart for a long time. I like you. I have liked you for a long time. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have rejected you. But it's too late to say this now. I'm not worthy of you in my current state. You go away. I don't want you to see me like this. Ah. King Xuantong's voice became more and more trembling. She sobbed and whispered, if possible, I hope you can remember what I looked like before. A beautiful King Xuantong. Chapter 245 Beauty Pills. Faint sobbing sounds were heard. And even Lin Qiyu and Jiang Yan could feel King Xuantong's inner struggle at the moment. They didn't expect that so many things happened between King Xuantong and Xiaoyang. Xiaoyang is there every time a hero saves a damsel in distress. Just like a Prince Charming, he always protects King Xuantong. Which woman doesn't want to have a man like this to always protect her? Especially Jiang Yan and Lin Qiyu, when they recalled every moment they spent with Xiaoyang. Xiaoyang almost always gave them enough sense of security. For a woman, what she needs most is precisely this sense of security. Only the man who gave King Xuantong enough sense of security was Xiaoyang. It's my boyfriend. That's different. Lin Qiyu and Jiang Yan reached for Xiaoyang's waist at the same time and grabbed it hard. Didn't you say it was your first love? Gritting her teeth in a classic way, Jiang Yan's voice could be heard faintly. There are almost enough women in the house to play landlord. The corner of Xiaoyang's eye twitched slightly. At the same time, with a ding sound, the voice of the system emerged in Xiaoyang's mind. Complete the mission, King Xuantong's confession. Note: this task is a confession from King Xuantong's heart. You don't need to refuse or accept to complete the task directly. Reward: Man of Steel. Steel body, strengthen body functions and enhance body defense. Note: the iron body can only strengthen the skin and flesh defense. Increase the speed of physical recovery and self-repair. Please do not try to catch a knife with bare hands or perform other dangerous operations. Xiaoyang didn't expect that the task would be completed immediately after it was released. But he also knew why this mission came about. In fact, for King Xuantong, this confession did not mean that Xiaoyang had to express his opinion, whether to reject or accept it. Rather, these were King Xuantong's true feelings, words that she had kept hidden for a long time but had not dared to speak out. Perhaps in her heart, being with Xiaoyang has become completely impossible. This time of expressing my true feelings is more like a farewell. Say goodbye to the past King Xuantong and also to myself. Xiaoyang was stunned for a moment and frowned slightly. Suddenly, his expression brightened. Fuck. I have a pig brain. Xiaoyang quickly summoned the system and opened the warehouse. Seeing the little pill with a little white color, Xiaoyang felt relieved. King Xuantong. The latter was slightly stunned, but did not turn around. There were still many tears on his face and his body was trembling slightly. Don't be discouraged, I believe your face will get better. Having said this, he thought for a moment, turned around, and said to Lin Qiyu and Jiang Yan, I have something to say. I want to talk to her alone. You can. Jiang Yan rolled her eyes at Xiaoyang. Talk alone? Oh, do you have any shameful little secrets? Lin Qiyu was very well behaved, but Jiang Yan whispered in her ear. If you bring her to our house, I won't let you off. After saying that, she pulled Lin Qiyu out. Seeing that there was no one around, Xiaoyang took out the small white pill. Perhaps it was the iron body that the system had just given him. The pain in Xiaoyang's shoulder was alleviated a lot, and his arm could move slightly. He frowned slightly, endured the pain, stretched out his hand, and shook King Xuantong over. The latter did not dare to turn her head, not wanting Xiaoyang to see her current appearance. Xiaoyang, I know you already have Lin Qiyu and Jiang Yan. Is it too much for me to say this now? I will apologize to Lin Qiyu and Jiang Yan, and explain clearly that there is nothing between us. No, it's not about this. I'll come at this moment. This girl is still trying to explain something for me? It was nothing in the first place besides, even if there was something. Xiaoyang glanced outside the ward, then slowly said, it's like this, I have a way to help you return to your previous state. He looked at the beauty pill in his hand. In fact, he was not very sure. This beauty pill is a mission reward obtained when signing with Shangyexin. He had received one a long time ago, and after taking it, his appearance had indeed changed a lot, even some dark spots on his body, some small scars, and even the vaccination needle holes on his arms from childhood. All disappeared. Perhaps, it also works on facial scars. Even if it doesn't work, it can still eliminate a lot of things. If all else fails, just do more tasks and get a few more. And there will be no problem. At this moment, King Xuantong was stunned when she heard Xiaoyang's words. She was stunned for a moment, and her expression brightened slightly, but soon dimmed again. The doctor said that there is no way to remove the scars on my face. The doctor at the plastic surgery clinic also gave the same explanation, saying that the wound was too deep and too large to be repaired. And how could Xiaoyang save his own face? She bit her lower lip and sighed. Xiaoyang, I know you are comforting me. The doctor has explained to me very clearly the condition of my face. There is no possibility of repairing it. I cherish my appearance and I love beauty. But I'm not that fragile, don't worry, I won't commit suicide. Don't try to comfort me with slow healing methods or other kid-friendly stuff. I know myself well. Originally, she really had the idea of dying, but her life was saved by Xiaoyang. If I died, I would be too sorry to Xiaoyang. Although she still cannot accept how to face life with this face in the future, she still has to live well, at least to be worthy of Xiaoyang, who tried so hard to save her. Subconsciously, she thought it was like some plots in the news, or someone was diagnosed with an incurable disease, and his family pretended to get some medicine or something to comfort him in order to make him live a happier life. Xiaoyang was also at a loss for words. He didn't expect King Xuantong to think in this way. He said helplessly, "You believe me? Turn around first. I'm not lying to you, I do have some medicine, take it first and see if it works." Hearing this, King Xuantong thought about it and turned around. Soon, he saw the small pill in Xiaoyang's hand. "Listen to me. Whether this pill is useful or not, only God, the earth. You and I know it, don't let anyone else know," Xiaoyang warned. Should I take it directly?" King Xuantong took the small pill that Xiaoyang handed over and glanced at it. "I saw a glimmer of light from it, and I felt it was very powerful, right?" As soon as she finished speaking, King Xuantong immediately swallowed the beauty pill. "It doesn't have any taste, I thought it was fruit." King Xuantong smiled slightly. "Of course it won't taste good if you swallow it like this." Xiaoyang smiled and joked, "Just eat it like this. Aren't you afraid it might be poisonous? You saved my life. Even if it's poison, I'll accept it." As soon as King Xuantong finished speaking, she suddenly frowned and beads of sweat appeared on her forehead. Chapter 246, Beauty Pills. "What's wrong?" Xiaoyang hurried forward and asked with concern. King Xuantong was breathing hot air and some beads of sweat had begun to appear on her body. Xiaoyang was stunned for a moment, but he quickly realized that this was the effect of the beauty pills. He gasped. "Damn, it was rushed. After all, this is in the hospital. If King Xuantong recovers so quickly, it will inevitably cause unnecessary trouble." At this time, King Xuantong was sweating more and more. There are also some small black spots on the body, which may be some impurities in the body. Just like the body-tempering elixirs in novels about cultivating immortals, they can expel some impurities from the body. This beauty pill is similar. It removes some things from the skin, then reorganizes the skin tissue cells and repairs skin damage. Maybe it really works. Xiaoyang looked at King Xuantong, who was sweating profusely at this moment, and asked quickly, "Can you get up now?" Before she finished speaking, she now felt her body was burning hot all over, and her clothes were quickly soaked with sweat. "It's hot. It's so hot." Her breathing became a little rapid. Next second, Xiaoyang's eyes widened immediately, and he saw King Xuantong taking off her clothes directly. At this moment, a lot of sweat appeared on her body, and Xiaoyang was also stunned. This woman, a very bad omen. Then Zhang Yan. Well, not much different, but in terms of shape, it's slightly better. I like this one. When Xiaoyang saw that King Xuantong was ready to release her lower body, he was already dumbfounded. "King Xuantong, what are you doing?" He stopped it quickly. "Xiaoyang, I'm so hot." King Xuantong's face turned red. It was not just the effect of the beauty pills, but also because of her shyness. But then he changed his mind and thought that the person in front of him was Xiaoyang, so it would be okay. Finally, the hospital gown was taken off. The black suit covers the most important parts, but her figure still surprised Xiaoyang a little. King Xuantong is not tall, and she doesn't have long legs like Zhang Yan, nor is she as petite and cute as Lin Qiu. Her fair and tender skin was now covered with sweat, as if she had just finished exercising. Xiaoyang coughed and tried to turn his head away, but reason still prevailed. His expression wandered over King Xuantong. Although the latter had a bandage on her face, it was not difficult to see the embarrassment in her eyes. King Xuantong breathed a sigh of relief. Xiaoyang finally retracted his gaze. "This pill will expel some of the impurities in the body." "You." Xiaoyang frowned slightly and didn't continue speaking. King Xuantong also felt it soon. Her body had a stronger smell. Her sweat became sticky, and she felt uncomfortable all over. "Can you stand up, or go take a shower first?" Xiaoyang reminded. King Xuantong bit her lip and suddenly climbed down from the bed with difficulty. In fact, only half a day had passed, and logically speaking, she wouldn't recover that quickly. I don't know if it was the effect of the pills, but King Xuantong still had some strength. She turned around and ran into the bathroom in the ward. Xiaoyang looked at King Xuantong's back, suppressed the heat in his body, and said slowly to himself, "It's very beautiful. If my mother were here, she would definitely say that I can give birth." At this moment, after entering the bathroom, King Xuantong quickly closed the door and took off all her clothes. She looked in the mirror, with a perfect figure, but she was sweating profusely. Some of her pores were already showing small black spots, just as Xiaoyang said, expelling impurities from the body. However, she was a little hesitant at this moment. Looking in the mirror, my face was covered with gauze and I couldn't see what I looked like originally. Her hand was on the gauze. Do you want to untie it? She was a little scared, afraid to see the face under the gauze. But we have to face it eventually. She gently untied the gauze, bit her red lips and closed her eyes tightly. The gauze was removed layer by layer. During this process, King Xuanton did not dare to open her eyes. After all, it was a ruined face. For a long time, she sighed deeply. No matter how hard she tried, she couldn't change this reality. She might as well face it calmly. She slowly opened her eyes. Really? The knife marks on his face were clearly visible. And his face looked somewhat hideous. It's hard to imagine that this is her former self. A school-level beauty. Oh. King Xuanton's body went limp, and tears slid down her face uncontrollably. At this moment, she felt the knife marks on her face were a little itchy. She frowned slightly, wondering if this was the effect of the medicine. She slowly stretched out her hand and saw that under the knife mark, there was a needle and thread wrapping up the knife mark, just like a worm, entangled on the knife mark. At this moment, the wound on my face was becoming more and more itchy. She gritted her teeth and grabbed the thread on her face. I don't want this bug. She bit her red lips and actually pulled it. What I didn't expect was that usually the doctors would use tools to slowly pull off the stitches. But who would have thought that King Xuanton just pulled lightly and the stitches on the wound on her face were pulled off? Yes. She gasped and felt a burning pain on her face, as if the wound was tearing apart. However, the pain only lasted for a moment, and soon, it was replaced by a slight itchy feeling. Then King Xuanton looked at herself in the mirror, and her eyes gradually widened. She could see clearly that the torn needle and thread did not cause the wound to split, but instead made the original skin and flesh fit more closely. The two sides of the knife scar on the face were approaching each other at a speed visible to the naked eye, and then merged together. She was stunned, her face full of disbelief. But this did not affect the healing speed of the wound. The scar was slowly coming together, fusing and finally disappearing. King Xuanton was stunned, and she quickly tore off the line of the other scar. After a feeling of pain, soon, an itchy sensation came from the other scar. But soon, the knife mark also recovered. It's just like the self-repair in science fiction movies. Omen Xuanton looked at the miracle happening on her face and gradually became excited. Real. What Xiaoyang said is true. He really has a way of making himself better. For a moment, King Xuanton was so carried away that she let out a scream. It works. Xiaoyang, it really works. Xiaoyang was just waiting quietly outside. When he heard King Xuanton's voice, he thought something had happened. So he quickly turned his wheelchair and hurried to the bathroom. What's wrong? He just pushed the door gently. Who would have thought that the door was not locked properly? In just a moment, the door opened. The difference from before was that King Xuanton was not wearing any clothes at this moment. What caught my eye was a beautiful figure. King Xuanton didn't react at first. She actually bent down, put her face close to Xiaoyang, and said excitedly, "Look, my face is recovering." Yes. Recovering. Xiaoyang is a worldly wise man after all. But he couldn't resist such temptation. His face twitched. And he didn't look at King Xuanton's face instead. His attention was attracted by some strange things. I thought Zhang Yan was enough. I still don't know enough. Chapter 247. Wait. Xiaoyang muttered to himself, but King Xuanton did not react and was completely immersed in the scar on her face. She swayed and returned to the mirror. Xiaoyang felt as if his head was dizzy. At this moment, he really wanted to ask King Xuanton if she had always worn a bra binder before. How come no one could tell that she was so strong? Xiaoyang, why did I find that I turned white? Looking at herself in the mirror. King Xuanton was almost intoxicated by it. He found that she was not disfigured. But more importantly, her brows were more charming and the skin on her face seemed to be a lot whiter. The heat in the body has dissipated a lot, and the face has returned to normal. Even better than before. However, because of the need to eliminate impurities, my body was sweating profusely, and the sweat was so sticky that it made me feel a little uncomfortable. By the way, I'm here to take a shower. King Xuanton came back to her senses at this moment. Her eyes suddenly widened and she looked at Xiaoyang, who was sitting in a wheelchair outside the door. This. For a moment, she forgot to cover herself up and stood there blankly. While Xiaoyang also stared at her blankly. A blush appeared on both of their faces at the same time. Xiaoyang is a man who has seen the world and is not that shy. However, in this situation, if he doesn't do anything, he would be a hypocrite and worse than an animal. In order not to be a beast. Xiaoyang looked at the other person straight. Seeing that there seemed to be a hint of awkwardness in the air. Xiao Yang quickly said in surprise, really? Your skin has improved. I didn't expect it to be so effective. The corner of King Xuantong's mouth twitched. The way you pretend to be amazed now makes you look just like the old pervert who is reading this novel. Her face flushed, and she could only mutter, yes, it's a lot whiter. Psychosui Yo Yang, I want to take a shower. She looked away with a flushed face. As for covering up. What the hell is this covering up? I've been looking at it for almost a minute. Seeing King Xuantong was about to close the bathroom door, Xiao Yang hurriedly said, wait. King Xuantong turned her head and saw Mao Tai shaking violently as the earth moved. Xiao Yang swallowed his saliva with a serious face and said slowly, you and I know what happened today, and we can't let others know. Who would have the nerve to tell others about this? King Xuantong stomped her feet, as if she thought Xiao Yang was talking about what was happening now. I'm talking about the pills. King Xuantong had no choice but to nod her head and didn't dare to speak. And I'll take a shower. She put her hand on the door handle. Wait, Xiao Yang spoke again to stop him. Remember to re-wrap the gauze later. Don't let others know that you recovered so quickly. I will arrange for you to be discharged from the hospital in a while. Find a place to stay for a while until let others know that you recovered so quickly. Wait until the storm is over, then you can come out. Xiao Yang was still very cautious about this matter. The matter of the beauty pills was too shocking if other people knew about it. There would be trouble. King Xuantong nodded. I took a shower, etc. King Xuantong had a head full of bumps and a puffy mouth. Seeming to be a little angry. Can you finish it in one go? I am like this. Xiao Yang was silent for several seconds, looking as if he was thinking about something. Seeing this, King Xuantong immediately calmed down and looked at Xiao Yang, thinking that Xiao Yang wanted to tell her something else. Finally, after Xiao Yang pondered for about 10 seconds, he let out a long sigh and said slowly, you are so beautiful. Roll. The corner of King Xuantong's mouth twitched suddenly. If Xiao Yang hadn't been sitting in a wheelchair at the time, he would have kicked him right up. Bang! The bathroom door finally closed. The sound of dripping water was heard, and Xiao Yang's mouth corners slightly raised. When did I become so pretentious? He sighed deeply, filled with emotion, and King Xuantong's figure just now suddenly appeared in his mind. It is really good, really white, and really big. After enjoying the view enough, Xiao Yang turned his wheelchair and left the bathroom. At this moment, King Xuantong closed the bathroom door and covered her face. It was rising from my face, not only from the effect of the pills, but also from the scene just now. Xiao Yang. She snorted coldly. Why didn't I realize he was so bad before? He must have seen everything just now. Several minutes. King Xuantong cursed inwardly, but the corners of her mouth involuntarily rose slightly. So Xiao Yang was still very interested in me. Otherwise why would he deliberately tease me and drag it out for so long? She looked at the perfect body in the mirror. The original haze had long disappeared, replaced by an unprecedented sense of excitement. The sweat on King Xuantong's body gradually washed away by the hot water. There is no more strange smell on the body, and instead there is an extremely comfortable and refreshing feeling. Soon, it was rinsed clean. When she looked at it again, King Xuantong felt that she was almost falling in love with herself. Judging from the skin, it is much better than before. White and rosy, full of collagen, as if she is 2 or 3 years younger. Is this a blessing in disguise? She sighed, her face full of sweetness. Not only did she become more beautiful, but she also broke through that layer of paper and successfully confessed true love to Xiao Yang. Nice. At this moment, Xiao Yang had already turned his wheelchair and came out of the ward. He closed the door of the ward tightly and then looked at the few people. When Lin Qiu and the others saw Xiao Yang coming out, they quickly asked, is King Xuantong okay? After thinking for a while, Xiao Yang frowned and said, fortunately, her emotions have stabilized a little. But she can't accept any stimulation now. I'm afraid she will be upset. Take things to heart? At this moment, King Xuantong was in the bathroom, taking a hot shower, twisting her body, and even wanted to sing a song. Today is a good day. Xiao Yang glanced at the patrol officers and said, Captain Wang. Mr. Xiao, please tell me something. You all know what happened. King Xuantong is the most serious victim in the whole incident. She is not very emotional right now. If possible, can you not ask her to give a statement first and wait until she is more stable? Captain Wang quickly smiled and said, I understand. Since you said so, we will dismiss the team first. As for the confession, we will come back to record it another day. Thank you for your understanding, Xiao Yang said politely. Captain Wang nodded, turned around and waved. Team up. After the others left, Xiao Yang turned to Zhang Yan and said, although it's better for King Xuantong to recuperate in the hospital, the coming and going of people will have an impact on her mood. Please help find a place for her to stay and get her out of the hospital. I'll hire a doctor to take care of her. This will be more helpful for her recovery. When it comes to serious matters, Zhang Yan trusts Xiao Yang extremely much. After hearing what he said, she quickly nodded in agreement. Xiao Yu, go help King Xuantan with the discharge procedures. Ah, being discharged from the hospital now? Lin Qiyu asked in surprise. After all, less than a day has passed since the incident happened. I've never seen anyone discharged so quickly. Be obedient and do it. Good. By the way, Shaichuan, also tell for Thunkel not to let him come over. Clear? After saying that, Zhang Yan turned around and made a phone call. As the eldest daughter of the Zhang family, it was not difficult for her to find a place to live. Lin Qiyu turned around and went downstairs to go through the discharge procedures. Xiao Yang pushed open the door of the ward. Chapter 248 Time Management Master. King Xuantong was discharged from the hospital very quickly. And Zhang Yan also found a place to live very quickly. At this moment, King Xuantong did rebandage the wound. And there was no sign of any problem. The doctor, however, was filled with emotion when he saw this. Such a good girl now has the scars on her face. How can she get married in the future? Zhang Yan sent King Xuantong to the arranged place and wanted to find some people to take care of King Xuantong. But the latter said it was not necessary. After ordering takeout for her, Zhang Yan returned to the hospital. As for Fang Jingyuan's matter, Xiao Yang didn't need to consider it, as the police station had already suppressed the matter. After all, Fang Jingyuan is also a wanted criminal, and this matter can be dealt with quickly. As for Xiao Yang himself, he was not in a hurry to be discharged from the hospital. After all, given my injuries, it would be too abnormal to want to be discharged from the hospital now. Xiao Yang asked Zhang Yan to buy him a mobile phone, and then he started playing with it by himself in the ward. As for the original mobile phone, I have no idea where it was lost. Here, Zhang Yan let out a long sigh. I said I would go back to school to train in tennis. But now I haven't gone. She leaned over Xiao Yang's bed, slowly peeled the orange, and then fed it to Xiao Yang. Lin Qiyu didn't leave either. She asked for leave and came back. With two women accompanying Xiao Yang, he really enjoyed the blessing of having many wives. Seeing that Zhang Yan looked a little tired, Xiao Yang couldn't help but feel distressed. Speaking of which, this girl is indeed a little tired from running around. Lin Qiyu wasn't much better off. She was having her period. And even though she had drunk some red ginger water, she still felt a dull pain in her abdomen. Xiao Yu, you should go back and rest first. Xiao Yang felt a little distressed when he saw this. At this moment, it has become dark outside the window. And before I knew it, it has become night. I want to stay with you. Lin Qiyu shook her little head, pouted and held Xiao Yang's hand. With a well-behaved look on her face, she just felt a little uncomfortable. Her brows were slightly furrowed, and she bit her red lip slightly, as if she was enduring it. Seeing this, Xiao Yang felt even more unbearable. Be obedient and go back to rest first. I'm fine, Xiao Yang said with a smile. Lin Qiyu wanted to say something, but Xiao Yang just said to Zhang Yan, send Shuoi back to school. And call Lu Xing and go to the food store to ask them to get some red ginger water for Shuoi to take back. And also get her some light food, like fish or chicken. Zhang Yan thought for a moment. What about you? I'm fine. This is a hospital. I'm recovering quickly. Look, I can move my hands freely and it doesn't hurt at all. Xiao Yang smiled and shook his arms. His recovery speed is really fast. Much faster than before. That? Okay, stop talking so much. Send Shuoi home. You two. Go home and have a rest. If you don't go back to school tomorrow, the tennis team will definitely kick you out. How dare they? Zhang Yan subconsciously waved her pink little fist. Seeing this, Xiao Yang and Lin Qiyu couldn't help but laugh. Go ahead. Then we'll go over there first. You are an old married couple. Don't be reluctant to part. Xiao Yang smiled and slapped Zhang Yan on the buttocks. The latter glared at him, turned around with a shy look and pulled Lin Qiyu. Although Lin Qiyu was a little reluctant, she still obediently planted a strawberry on Xiao Yang's face. You are so nice, Xiao Yang. Lin Qiyu's voice was as soft as a mosquito. In addition to being concerned about Xiao Yang's physical condition, Lin Qiyu was also deeply moved at this moment. Even though Xiao Yang was in such a state, he still cared about me and asked Lu Xing and the others to prepare food and drinks. How can he be so warm? Don't worry, there are doctors and nurses here. Xiao Yang smiled and pointed to the bedside and called out. The two had no choice but to leave. When he had nothing to do, Xiao Yang could only browse the mini apps and watch videos on his mobile phone. At the same time, at this moment, in a high-end office building, Mr. Zhang, this is today's meals. Chuji Yu smiled and spread out the things in his hands one by one. This is especially helpful for staying up late, Mr. Zhang, you really need to stop staying up late. I see your eye bags are swollen. Chuji Yu looked distressed. Zhang Shangzu was slightly stunned and put down what he was holding. Didn't I tell you to get in touch with school matters? Why are you sending me something again? I'm worried that you'll miss dinner again. Mr. Zhang, don't worry, I won't delay your work. As for the school, the University of Finance and Economics is progressing smoothly. I also went to the medical school today. I will make a detailed charter later. I have contacted everyone and will come up with a perfect win-win plan. To Jia Yu said this and started again. He rubbed Zhang Shangzu's shoulders and raised the corners of his mouth. But this time, before his hand touched Zhang Shangzu's collarbone, she dodged it. Zhang Shangzu was used to it. He had to say that Jia Yu's cooking skills were very professional and she was very caring. She didn't have much resistance and picked up her chopsticks to start eating. What is this? Zhang Shangzu asked in confusion when she saw that there was still a food box that had not been opened, which looked like a thermos cup. This is not for you. Just eat these. Jia Yu then remembered something and quickly took away the food box, saying with a smile, "You eat first. I have something to do and have to leave first." "Okay, then be careful." Zhang Shangzu nodded. "Mr. Zhang, you should also make sure to get enough rest and don't stay up too late." Jia Yu left a message and hurriedly walked out of the company with the thermos cup. "Paul, I almost forgot about the goddess." Jia Yu let out a long sigh. The food in this thermos cup is the free-range black chicken that she carefully prepared. She spent a long time picking it out at the market and stewed it for a long time. It is just to nourish the body of my goddess. Fortunately, Mr. Zhang didn't find out anything, otherwise it would have been a sure scene. Jia Yu chuckled, not knowing how the goddess was doing now, as she was so badly injured. Thinking of this, Jia Yu rushed to the parking lot without stopping. "I have to go see the goddess quickly." Speaking of which, she really ran around all day today. First, she went to the company to look up information for half a day. Then went to the medical school, then took Xiao Yang to the hospital, and then went back to the medical school to discuss business. After the talk, I have to go to the market to buy vegetables and cook, then go to the company to deliver meals to Zhang Shangzu. And now I have to go to the hospital again. Please call me the master of time management. She let out a long sigh. She had only been running for a whole day. But she didn't look tired at all. Instead, she looked more energetic. There is no way. How can I be a scumbag if I don't have enough energy? Jia Yu looked out the window. "Goddess, here I come." On the other side, Xiao Yang yawned at this moment. After watching videos for a while, he felt a little tired. I picked up an orange at random, peeled it and ate it. Then started watching the live broadcast. "Young man, be bolder. Mr. Yang, the famous Dragon King of the Funny Cat platform. Gave an order." And the next second, the heroine in front of the screen suddenly slipped her shoulder, and the delicate shoulder strap suddenly fell off. "Old shoulder is cunning." Xiao Yang sighed. Just then, footsteps were suddenly heard outside the ward. "Is it Zhang Yan?" Xiao Yang quickly closed the live broadcast room. If Zhang Yan saw this, she would probably scold him again. The footsteps were getting closer. Xiao Yang closed his eyes and pretended to be tired and asked, "You're here? How did you know I was coming?" A voice sounded. Xiao Yang was stunned for a moment and turned around. When the mask was taken off, an incomparably beautiful face appeared in front of him. "Why are you here?" Chapter 249. Do you mind having another girlfriend? Third update. I break through myself. Xiao Yang looked up and was stunned when he saw the person coming. "You didn't expect that?" The person who came was King Xuantong. Which surprised Xiao Yang a little. He didn't expect her to come so soon. "Are you okay?" Xiao Yang frowned. "It's just a facial injury." She giggled and continued, "Who knew your medicine was so powerful? You've been tired all day, and you lost so much blood today. Shouldn't you rest first? Why did you run out, or did you come to the hospital? If someone sees you, they might tie you up and cut you into pieces for research." Xiao Yang rolled his eyes at King Xuantong. "It's just bleeding. Don't you know that girls bleed for a week every month? Just a little bit of blood, just sprinkle it on the water." King Xuantong said proudly. "I don't know if it's because of some things that happened before, but this girl's chest is probably puffed out, and it looks a lot bigger than Zhang Yan's, as if she's completely free. As for recognizing me, how is that possible?" She shook the mask in her hand. Indeed, in the middle of the day, a person was carried into the hospital with blood all over his face. Who would have thought that he would be standing here alive and well now, as if nothing had happened? "By the way, didn't Zhang Yan help you find a place to live? How is it?" "It's quite big. I'd never lived in such a nice place." This is the truth. King Xuantong's family is not wealthy. Unlike Zhang Yan, a rich lady, she can just find a small villa in any place. "I'm not used to living here. It's too big and it's empty with me alone." King Xuantong told the truth. "Today's incident happened not long ago, and I'm still a little scared. It's really not safe to live alone in such a big place. So you came to see me. Aren't you afraid of being seen by Zhang Yan and the others?" Xiao Yang said with a smile. Hey, I've already asked Zhang Yan. And she said she sent Lingqiu back home. I was just worried that no one would take care of you. So I came here. Ding Xuantong, who has recovered, is as quirky as usual and acts as if nothing has happened. If you live alone and are afraid of ghosts, just tell me directly. Xiaoyang joked and patted the other side of his bed. How about sleeping together and warming my bed? Okay. It was just a casual joke, but he didn't expect King Xuantong to agree immediately. Xiaoyang was stunned for a moment. I'm kidding. But before he could finish his words, King Xuantong had already walked to the side, took off her shoes and lay down beside Xiaoyang's bed. The beds in the VIP ward are not as small as those in the ordinary ward, and 2 people can squeeze in. Xiaoyang frowned slightly. You go down. You asked me to come up here. I'm just kidding. Don't be like this. Be careful if someone comes over and you don't know how to explain it. No one will come. King Xuantong smiled. Xiaoyang turned his face away. He was no longer the young boy who would feel shy when King Xuantong teased him. That he couldn't resist the feeling of having a beauty by his side. Especially after taking the beauty pills, King Xuantong became even more charming. Xiaoyang, go down. Listen to me. You say. Xiaoyang was a little helpless. No matter how fast his injury recovered, it was still not healed. He pushed King Xuantong, but when it didn't work, he just let her do what she wanted. I like you. I've told you that. Xiaoyang's mouth twitched slightly. He turned his face away and said helplessly, I've liked you since high school. That's what I said. Then are you willing to be my boyfriend? Xiaoyang was slightly stunned, and the system's task suddenly emerged in his mind. Task release, King Xuantong's second confession. Xiaoyang was silent for a moment. The reward for the mission was not important. What was important was that he could no longer bring anyone home. Having Zhang Yan and Lin Qiyu was enough for him. After thinking about it, Xiaoyang shook his head and said, You know, I have a girlfriend. Zhang Yan and Lin Qiyu? Xiaoyang nodded without ever looking at King Xuantong. Are they all your girlfriends? King Xuantong continued to ask. Xiaoyang turned his head away and said nothing, but it was considered as his agreement. Scumbag, King Xuantong sighed. After a moment, a voice suddenly came. Then you have 2 girlfriends, do you mind? King Xuantong paused, moved closer to Xiaoyang, and whispered in his ear. Do you mind if I give you one more? How about a 3 Yankadai? The warm wind blew past, and it felt a little itchy. I have to say that Xiaoyang was indeed a little moved. Oh, King Xuantong was indeed charming at this moment. That is, what does mean? Are you playing a word countitium chain game? Retracting his thoughts, Xiaoyang said helplessly. Xuantong, this is not the ancient system of polygamy. And you are so good, the boys chasing you can line up from here to Kyoto. I know your feelings, but these are just emotional actions. Maybe you should find a better home. After the words fell, King Xuantong was slightly stunned. She bit her red lips and whispered, There is no better destination than you. I know this idea is naive. After all, you already have Lin Qiyu and the others. But I really can't leave you. This is not sentimentality. This is fact. King Xuantong suddenly reached out and turned Xiaoyang's face around. Their faces were so close that they could hear each other's breathing clearly, and could even feel the breath on their faces. Am I pretty? Beautiful. Xiaoyang couldn't help but swallow. This exquisite face was pure and lustful. How could Xiaoyang not think it was beautiful? I'm not that much worse than Lin Qiyu and Zhang Yan. Not bad. Xiaoyang let out a long sigh. Then why don't you accept me? King Xuantong asked. You know I'm a scumbag, so why bother? Since you've already cheated on them, why can't you cheat on me too? I'm willing. I don't want any status, I just want to be with you. King Xuantong said seriously. She was not as mischievous as before and seemed to have thought about this issue carefully. Xiaoyang was stunned. He didn't expect King Xuantong to say such a thing. Besides, you've seen everything today. How can a girl like me get married in the future? This is a girl's chastity. King Xuantong's face changed, as if she was threatening Xiaoyang. Then should I give you a chastity arch? Xiaoyang was at a loss whether to laugh or cry. That's not necessary. But you have to take responsibility. King Xuantong put her hands on Xiaoyang, his body pressed tightly against mine. At this moment, even if Liu Xie Hua was possessed, Xiaoyang couldn't help it. His face turned red and he didn't dare to look directly at the person in front of him. You're blushing. King Xuantong suddenly burst out laughing. Damn it, you're the one who's blushing. Why should I be blushing? King Xuantong, you're so shameless. Xiaoyang cursed King Xuantong angrily, but in his heart he was cursing himself. Damn it, Xiaoyang. And you be a little thicker skinned? Your face is as red as a bubble teapot. King Xuantong couldn't help but giggle when she saw this. Xiaoyang looked just like when he was forcefully kissed by himself at a class reunion. He was the same at that time. Curse? This is called T.S. under E. King Xuantong leaned against Xiao Yang's chest and whispered. Anyway, I've already lost my face once, so what's there to be afraid of? I don't have any shame anymore. She's already in your bed. I don't care anyway, you can't move now. I'll take a picture and send it to Zhang Yan and make it official. You dare! Xiao Yang glared at King Xuantong. DSK. What am I afraid of? As she spoke, her hand reached down and tried to take the phone out of her pocket. But at this moment, her face suddenly turned red. She touched. Chapter 250 The Real Water Snake Waste for the update. Although King Xuantong was a virgin, as a medical student, she naturally knew that some things were different between boys and girls. Her palms felt hot, and for a moment, she was at a loss. Xiao Yang blushed. 3 seconds. Can you let go now? TSK, you're just like anyone. King Xuantong quickly let go and turned her face away. Rogue. The voice was as soft as a mosquito's, but since there were only 2 of them here at the moment, Xiao Yang could hear it clearly. Xiao Yang turned around immediately and said, You were the first to start it. What a hooligan, stop swearing. What do you mean I was the first to do it? Yin? Both. King Xuantong paused, but was too embarrassed to continue. That's a normal reaction, aren't you studying medicine? Don't you know this? Who told you to get so close to me? If I didn't have any reaction, I should go see a urologist. Xiao Yang cursed. But after cursing, he turned sideways a little embarrassed like, ouch. Xiao Yang let out a scream as he turned sideways. But he really forgot about the injury on his shoulder. He quietly turned sideways, with the center of gravity of his body pressed on the injured shoulder. And he grimaced in pain. What's wrong? This made King Xuantong nervous and she hurried over. This made Xiao Yang feel even more pain. King Xuantong's body pressed tightly against him. And looking at his expression at this moment, it was hard to tell whether he was in pain or pleasure. You're pressing me. Xiao Yang took a breath and said with a bit of regret. It's really big. He certainly felt it. I could hardly breathe with the pressure from behind me. If it was a head-on attack, the destructive power would be unimaginable. King Xuantong reacted immediately and realized that Xiao Yang was pressing on her wound. This move closer only added a lot of pressure. I'm sorry, are you okay? Xiao Yang quickly turned around and lay down, which made him feel much better. At this moment, King Xuantong was also blinking her beautiful eyes and looking at Xiao Yang, her face full of heartache. Come to think of it, Xiao Yang was injured because of himself. Okay, let's not move. Xiao Yang couldn't help but smile and said. King Xuantong nodded, but turned her body sideways and stared closely at Xiao Yang's profile. So handsome. King Xuantong's eyes were full of Xiao Yang at this moment. This was the first time she had looked at Xiao Yang at such a close distance. For her, it is simply a benefit. Why are you looking at me? Xiao Yang felt a little embarrassed. Don't worry about me. Just pretend I don't exist. How can I treat you as if you don't exist? Xiao Yang pursed his lips, but there was nothing he could do about King Xuantong. So he had to take out his cell phone and prepare to play. Just as his finger touched the unlock button of the phone, a loud noise suddenly came from the phone. On the screen of the mobile phone, a girl with a slim figure is holding a steel pipe and twisting her body wildly. Shirt, short skirt, black stockings, standard JK 3-piece suit. Xiao Yang's face was suddenly filled with embarrassment. When King Xuantong came in just now, I just casually locked the screen. Who could have thought that once it was unlocked, such a terrible beast would be released? Xiao Yang quickly stepped out, looked at the ceiling, and pretended nothing had happened. King Xuantong's face also turned slightly red, but she couldn't help but raise the corners of her mouth and whispered. What did you just see? Asked teaching actually. I wanted to be a dancer since I was a child, Xiao Yang said shamelessly. How come I don't know? We were talking about when we were kids. We didn't even know each other back then. Hearing Xiao Yang's sophistry. Oh, King Xuantong giggled. A waste of that girl just now is fake. It's all the effect of beauty filter. Yeah. Yes. The steel pipe is crooked, King Xuantong said disapprovingly. Suddenly she whispered in Xiao Yang's ear, want to see a real slender waist? A sound blew past with the warm breeze, and Xiao Yang felt an itch in his ears. He glanced at King Xuantong and said, no. Although he said this, Xiao Yang's eyes were secretly looking downwards. Slender waist. DSK, it's not like I haven't seen it before. As if she knew what Xiao Yang was thinking. King Xuantong blushed slightly and gave Xiao Yang a white look. The next second, the coat fell off. Stop, it's cold. Xiao Yang hurriedly opened his mouth to stop him, but his eyes wandered. A real slender waist. I don't believe it. I saw that King Xuantong was also wearing a white shirt underneath, which was somewhat similar to that of the female anchor. But her figure is totally incomparable to that of the female anchor. After all, it is the same shirt, but the buttons here are almost broken. Oh. King Xuantong just swayed slightly. The lower body. Waist and upper body suddenly turned into an S-shaped arc. Plump and attractive. Where it should be convex, it should be convex. Where it should be convex, where it should be concave. It should be concave. Not a trace of excess fat. She rolled up the hem of her shirt and tied it into a bow around her waist, revealing her slender waist, which was less than 3 centimeters wide. Ying Xuantong slowly walked in front of Xiaoyang. She didn't act coquette the sly like the female anchor, but she was very seductive and completely crushed him. Every stubbornness and every smile can capture Xiaoyang's heart. His throat moved slightly. Come in. It's cold outside. Ying Xuantong couldn't help but sneer and crawled into the bed. But then, Xiaoyang did not make any move, but just said softly, I know what you are thinking, and I know what you want to do. But no. Xiaoyang let out a long sigh. You can't? King Xuantong asked in surprise. No, that's not right. What I just touched. It's not that. Can't you put some normal things in your head? Xiaoyang couldn't help but yelled. You can say anything to me. But you can never say no. I mean, I really can't have anything to do with you anymore. I can't explain it to Zhang Yan and Xiaoyu. I know you like me. But, before he finished speaking, King Xuantong suddenly stretched her head over. Her lips pressed hard against Xiaoyang's lips. Eyes met. Xiaoyang was stunned. A Qi was forcefully kissed by a woman again. This is also. He couldn't help but open his mouth slightly. And the next second, Xiaoyang's eyes suddenly widened. Is this a challenge to yourself? Xiaoyang was furious. In ancient times, Mr. Wolong debated with a group of scholars. Today, I, Xiaoyang, must convince others with my tongue. The battle begins. Just when Xiaoyang was about to launch a large-scale attack, suddenly a crisp sound came from outside the door. Someone. The two of them separated quickly. Xiaoyang felt a little unsatisfied. And he didn't know who dared to break into the battlefield. Lin Qiu? Zhang Yan? Damn it, I must execute them on the spot when I have the chance. But now is not the time to discuss this. But if it is really them, what should we do when people come? The two of them stared at each other. It's too late. Don't make a sound. Xiaoyang pushed King Xuantong directly into the quilt. At this moment, their heartbeats suddenly accelerated. Does this count as having an affair? Chapter 251. Why are you blushing? Don't move. I didn't move. Okay, stop talking. Xiaoyang let out a long sigh, turned off his phone, and quickly closed his eyes. At this moment, a figure walked in slowly with light steps. Well, you haven't woken up yet. A voice came. Xiaoyang couldn't help but frown. But he still didn't open his eyes. He felt a little surprised in his heart. It's neither Lin Qiu nor Zhang Yan. The two of them suddenly became nervous again. Ying Xuantong pressed close to Xiaoyang, buried her head under his shoulder, huddled together, biting her red lips lightly, looking very nervous. The goddess hasn't woken up yet. Does that mean? The voice was getting closer and closer. Xiaoyang's eyelashes trembled slightly, and his mind was frantically comparing the owner of the voice. Etc. goddess. He reacted instantly. It was the girl I met at the University of Finance and Economics that day. She was tall, beautiful, and had long legs that pushed me against the wall. Coincidentally, it was this woman who sent him to the hospital today. As the footsteps got closer, Xiaoyang's breathing became uneven. What is she going to do? Xiaoyang was extremely confused. But he didn't dare to ask, so he had to continue pretending to sleep. Just then, a breath of hot air blew onto my face. Xiaoyang could clearly feel that the face was very close. His hand under the quilt moves slightly when people are nervous. They can't help but look for something to grab, and Xiaoyang is no exception. Through the clothes, Xiaoyang immediately felt the slightly trembling body shaking under the shirt. Soft. This was his first feeling. At this moment, King Xuantong's face under the quilt had already turned red, and she was completely confused. He did it on purpose. King Xuantong didn't dare to move, but her breathing became a little rapid. At this moment, the voice rang out again. How can the goddess be so beautiful? I never get tired of looking at her. Chuji stared at Xiaoyang's face from a close distance for a long time. Xiaoyang only felt a fragrance coming from his nose. But it was not perfume, but the unique body odor of the person in front of him. If I kiss her secretly, the goddess won't know. Chuji murmured to herself. Looking at this face, she really couldn't help herself. It looks so good. The red lips moved closer and just pecked it lightly. The next second, Chuji took it back with a little nervousness. She waved her hands to fan herself, and she didn't know why. But in this cold winter, beads of sweat appeared on her forehead. But it's not just her. Under the quilt, King Xuantong also felt her whole body was hot. Her back was warm, and she was sweating. Is that enough? Xiaoyang suddenly moved. Try pinching me again. I'll fucking. King Xuantong threatened Xiaoyang fiercely in her heart. But who would have thought that he really dared to do it? Ying Xuantan was stunned for a moment. The bracelet reached Xiao Yang's waist. She wanted to pinch him, but when she thought that this was Xiao Yang, and that he was in the hospital because of her, she felt reluctant and could only pinch him gently, like scratching an itch through a shoe. Xiao Yang naturally knew what he was holding, and the first thing he wanted to do was to let go. Only, it's not like you can just loosen it. If I don't tell you and you don't tell me, who will know? Would those old perverted readers know? On this side, Chu Jiayu sat down, lowered his head and looked at Xiao Yang again. Motionless. For her, appreciating beautiful things is all there is to it. She couldn't bear to make too many movements, for fear of waking up Xiao Yang, so she just sat quietly. 5 minutes. 10 minutes. It seemed that the only sound in the ward was breathing. In the end, King Xuantan, who was under the quilt, couldn't bear it anymore. The quilt was stuffy and air circulation was a problem. So she had to move the quilt, trying to open a gap to let the air circulate. Don't move. Xiao Yang almost spoke out. He could feel that Chu Jiayu hadn't done it yet. If he kept wasting time, he would probably mess up the performance. So he had to reach out and move the quilt. Then he narrowed his eyes slightly, as if he had just woken up. And King Xuantan below finally opened a gap on one side and breathed in the fresh air happily. Goddess, you're awake. Xiao Yang's action was quite big. After all, it was intentional. He had no choice but to pretend to be surprised and looked around. Why are you here? I'll take care of you. Chu Jiayu giggled, biting her red lips and said helplessly, Goddess, why are you alone? Didn't I ask Shiwoi to notify your family to take care of you? She rubbed her chin lightly and smiled again, but this is also good. Then let me take care of you alone. I won't go back tonight. I'll stay with you. Chu Jiayu laughed, looking quite happy. This is a chance to be alone with the goddess. The best time for a relationship to heat up should not be missed. At worst, I can just ask Mr. Zhang for leave tomorrow. Hearing Chu Jiayu's words, Xiao Yang interrupted quickly. You go back and rest first. I have nothing to do. But Chu Jiayu glared at him and said, how can that be possible? You are so badly injured. You need someone to stay with you. Really, that's not necessary. Xiao Yang didn't know whether to laugh or cry, and suddenly said, look, you have dark circles under your eyes, go back and have a rest. Dark circles? Do you really have dark circles? Help me see where the dark circles are. Our eyes met and their whole faces turned towards me. Chu Jiayu is very beautiful, with the corners of her mouth raised with a hint of a smirk. At such a close distance, Xiao Yang's heart was beating fast. Damn it, that's enough. Shame on you. I don't want to commit a crime. Xiao Yang never thought that Chu Jiayu was so shameless and would tease him so openly. Just as he was in a daze, Chu Jiayu suddenly leaned over and pecked Xiao Yang directly on the mouth. The latter widened his eyes. Come again. But they separated soon. Chu Jiayu turned her head away a little embarrassed. I was impulsive. It's all because you're too pretty. You forcefully kissed me, and yet you yourself are blushing like a bubble teapot. Xiao Yang felt numb and his heart was beating wildly. At this moment, the person under the quilt also had his heartbeat speeding up. Xiao Yang's heartbeat suddenly rang in her ears. King Xuantan thought that Xiao Yang's heart was beating wildly because of what happened between him and her. So she smiled slightly. My sister's charm is so unpredictable. It has to be said that Xiao Yang was indeed stimulated by this situation. Two women separated by a quilt. This inexplicable sense of excitement is a brand new experience. He let out a long sigh, and his body had some natural reactions. Chu Jiayu took out the thermos and said softly, I made this chicken soup myself. Try it. I spent a long time selecting black chickens raised in the mountains. They are very nutritious. The rich aroma wafted over, and Xiao Yang's taste buds were whetted. But what I need right now is not chicken soup. Something like kidney or whip, maybe it would be more suitable. Chapter 252, Crazy Drama. Chu Jiayu. He had consumed a lot of energy today and had also suffered some injuries. Although he had received some nutrient solution and Zhang Yan had bought him some food when she went out, Xiao Yang was still a little hungry. Seeing that Chu Jiayu brought all these foods, my stomach couldn't help but growl. Have you eaten? Xiao Yang asked politely. Ooh. The goddess actually cares about me. Of course I have eaten, don't worry. Xiao Yang was speechless. You can add drama to this too. Forget it, I can't waste my time on this kind of nonsense with her. She's too good at talking nonsense. Xiao Yang didn't say anything, but reached out to take the thing, but he felt a sharp pain in his back again. He gasped and grimaced in pain. Seeing this, Chu Jiayu quickly came over. Are you okay? It's okay. Xiao Yang shook his head. Sit up, let me feed you. Chu Jiayu immediately reached out to help Xiao Yang up. Xiao Yang waved his hand quickly. I can do it myself. The main thing was that there was a person hiding under the quilt. So Chu Jiayu naturally couldn't help him up. He slowly moved his body, and then sat up with difficulty. King Xuantong didn't dare to move. Biting her red lips, no one knew what she was thinking. Seeing Xiao Yang like this, Chujiayu couldn't help but feel distressed. Goddess, let me do it. I'll feed you. Chujiayu first picked up the chopsticks, picked up a piece of chicken, and then gently pulled it. And the flesh and bones were separated in an instant. Open your mouth. Xiao Yang's mouth twitched, and the chicken had already been brought to his mouth by her. The chicken is put into the mouth. Xiao Yang originally thought that Chujiayu and Lin Qiu were of the same level in cooking skills. But who knew that the chicken would be so delicious? The chicken is extremely delicious, leaving a lingering fragrance in your mouth and extremely refreshing. He had originally prepared himself to be killed by the Saltnese. But who would have thought that a rich girl like Chujiayu could cook such delicious dishes? Is it tasty? Chujiayu said with pride. Not bad. Xiao Yang praised someone else's cooking skills, which was rare. Do you want more? Xiao Yang rolled his eyes at Chujiayu and said, that's enough. Seeing Xiao Yang's expression, Chujiayu couldn't help but smile and continued to feed him. King Xuantong, who was sitting below, didn't know what was going on, nor did she know who was talking. She just listened to their conversation and couldn't help feeling a little angry. Especially Xiao Yang. How can I let another woman feed me? We agreed that it would be fine with Lin Qiu and Zhang Yan. But she rejected me. As a result, another woman came to bring food and feed him personally. Disgusting. King Xuantong was furious. Especially when Xiao Yang swallowed something. She could feel it. It makes me a little hungry. King Xuantong frowned slightly and immediately stretched out her hand. Damn it, I'm still here, can you please chase me away first? This quilt is so stuffy. Thinking of pinching Xiao Yang's old waist. But who knows, just as I pulled my hand back, it seemed to hit something. Her face suddenly turned red. Xiao Yang, who was drinking soup, almost spit out the soup in his mouth. What's wrong? It's okay, it's okay. Xiao Yang's mouth trembled slightly, not knowing whether he felt comfortable or uncomfortable. Did you touch the wound? No. Xiao Yang let out a long sigh. That feeling can only be described as woo-woo. Xiao Yang put down his hand, dug into the quilt, and pinched King Xuantong. Didn't I tell you to stop moving? Besides, it's okay for you to move, but don't grab things randomly. At this moment, King Xuantong also knew what was in her hand. Her face turned red, but she hesitated and did not let go. Stop for a moment, please pour me a glass of water. Xiao Yang said to Chujiayu. Is the soup too salty? Chujiayu asked in surprise. No, I just want to drink some water. Xiao Yang took a breath, his voice trembling slightly. Alright. At the moment Chujiayu turned around. Xiao Yang flipped the quilt, glared at King Xuantong fiercely, and whispered, let go. Seeing Xiao Yang like this, King Xuantong was not in a hurry to let go. Hurry up and chase them away. I want to get out. King Xuantong opened her mouth but no sound came out. However, Xiao Yang knew what she meant. He spread his hands. I'll try my best, you let go first. I'll let go after the person leaves. King Xuantong immediately understood that she had grasped Xiao Yang's weakness. How can I loosen up like this? Otherwise, I will have to stay stuck in the quilt until tomorrow. At this time, Chujiayu had already poured the water. She turned around and said lightly, the water is ready. Xiao Yang quickly pushed the quilt down. I'll do it myself. No, don't move, it will hurt the one, let me feed you. Chujiayu said with concern. Okay. As soon as Xiao Yang finished speaking, he felt King Xuantong add a little more strength. He immediately gasped. Don't move, Xiao Yang said softly. Huh, goddess? What did you say? No, I told you to stop moving, I can do it myself. Xiao Yang quickly reached out to take the water cup and drank it all. These words were naturally spoken to the person under the quilt. Xiao Yang's fingertips trembled slightly. What he didn't expect was that what he said had the opposite effect. At this moment, King Xuantong is like a naughty child, and her rebellious period has arrived. Xiao Yang didn't let her move, but she had to move. With such a strong feeling, Xiao Yang almost spit out the water he had just drunk. Enough, that's enough. Xiao Yang's voice trembled slightly. Chujiayu was stunned for a moment. I mean, that's enough, I've had enough to eat and drink. Thank you. Xiao Yang's words were ambiguous and his face was full of helplessness. Don't be polite to me. Chujiyu's face was full of joy when she heard Xiao Yang's gratitude. By the way, I heard that you paid for all our hospital expenses. How about this, give me your account number and I will transfer the money to you. Xiao Yang said, pretending that nothing had happened. No need, the important thing is that you are safe. Chujiayu waved his hand to refuse. By the way, don't call me goddess. Yes. What's your name, goddess? Chujiayu asked quickly. My name is Xiao Yang. What a poetic name. Is it the yang in the poem Spring Breeze Does Not Warm the Weeping Willows? but blows away the clouds? Know it, as the Yang in Shangyang. Chu Jiayu was stunned for a moment. It sounds a bit familiar. And a bit like a boy's name. She glanced at Xiao Yang and suddenly shook her head. How could there be a boy who is so handsome, so good-looking and so charming? Aren't all men pigs? What about you? What's your name? Xiao Yang suppressed his pleasure and asked intermittently. My name is Chu Jiayu. Chu means charming, Jia means kind words and deeds. And Yu means holding jade and cherishing treasures. Xiao Yang was stunned for a moment, then rolled his eyes at Chu Jiayu and asked. Can you please not add so much drama? Damn, if you don't know. You would think the word count is just padding. Hey, that sounds good, right? Yes, it sounds good. Suddenly, Xiao Yang bit his lower lip fiercely and widened his eyes. Finished. The rough one is coming. Chapter 253, Women's Clothing? Impossible, this is the last time. What's wrong? What came out? Chu Jiayu looked at Xiao Yang with a puzzled look. It's okay. Xiao Yang's face trembled slightly and he took a deep breath. That's all. Especially through clothes. It's not that. Ding Xuantong's face in the bed was extremely red. How come this seems? She looked at her hands and felt hot all over. What was going on? Okay. Jiayu, you should go back first. It's very late. Xiao Yang sighed. No, there's no one to take care of you. What if something happens? Chu Jiayu shook his head. Why is there no one here? Xiao Yang glanced at the quilt. Ding Xuantong inside finally calmed down and stopped moving. As for the accident, it's out now. Damn it, if you weren't here, it wouldn't have been so fast. I feel so embarrassed. If the guy next door sees this, he'd think something's wrong with me. It was still just a quilt between us. It was too stimulating. Too exciting. Nothing will happen besides, not that familiar yet. Perhaps because of what happened just now, Xiao Yang's face turned red. Under the light, Chu Jiayu thought that Xiao Yang was blushing because of her. And she couldn't help but smile. Why is the goddess blushing? It must be because she falls in love with herself. As for not being that familiar yet? Such a ts under e. However, she also understood that more haste makes waste. And it was only a matter of time to win the goddess over. She couldn't be impatient, otherwise it might backfire. After all, they had only known each other for a short time. She thought about it and curled her lips. Okay, since you said so. As she spoke, she packed up her thermos and bent down again. What are you doing? Xiao Yang strategically shrank his head back. Was this damn girl trying to forcefully kiss him again? Seeing Xiao Yang's expression, Chu Jiayu couldn't help but chuckle. The goddess is so cute when she is shy. She reached out her hand and touched Xiao Yang's forehead. There is a fallen hair here. When he saw the long hair, Xiao Yang suddenly panicked. This is King Xuantong's hair. However, Chu Jiayu didn't seem to care about this detail and just lifted it up casually. Seeing Xiao Yang's reaction, most people thought that Xiao Yang was worried about something, and couldn't help but smile and said, "Don't worry, you won't be bald. No, even if you become bald, you are still the goddess in my mind." After he finished speaking, Xiao Yang stood there in shock. Chu Jiayu was also stunned for a moment, and secretly cursed himself. Damn it, how could I say such a thing? I'm nervous. In fact, Chu Jiayu, who is a veteran, is quite skilled in the techniques of flirting with girls. But who would have known that at such a close distance, he would be a little nervous and said something like the goddess would be bald. She let out a long sigh and tried to calm her wildly beating heart. Well, I was just kidding. How could a goddess lose her hair? This must be mine. Xiao Yang looked at the incomparable Chu Jiayu with a depressed look. Thank you for the chicken soup. It's delicious. Xiao Yang had no choice but to say. In other words, it is also an order to expel you. It's time to go. Chu Jiayu chuckled and said, then you have to promise me to take good care of yourself. I will, Xiao Yang agreed reluctantly. And I'm leaving. I'll see you tomorrow. After Chu Jiayu finished speaking, she turned around and left happily with her thermos cup. The footsteps gradually faded away, and inside the ward, both people breathed a sigh of relief at the same time. It's too difficult. Oh, King Xuantong crawled out from the bed. Eyes met. For a moment, there was a smell called hormones in the air. Xiao Yang glanced at King Xuantong's slender little hands. It was these hands that ruined his reputation. The latter realized something and hurriedly put his hands behind his back, pretending nothing had happened. I told you to stop moving. Xiao Yang finally spoke first. Is that because I want to move? It's because you're so annoying. King Xuantong pouted and snorted. Okay, it's time for you to leave. I want to go to sleep. Xiao Yang also directly ordered King Xuantong to leave. No, you haven't explained it clearly yet. What do you want to tell me? That woman just now, the one called Chu Jiayu, why did she come to see you? What is your relationship? What relationship? Didn't you hear that we just met? Just met? How is that possible? She even specially made chicken soup and sent it to you. And she also wanted to spend the night with you. King Xuantong naturally didn't believe what Xiao Yang said, and retorted directly, we really just met. Didn't you hear her calling me? Xiao Yang's mouth twitched. He himself didn't want to believe it when he said it. Damn, a beautiful girl suddenly appeared and shook your arm and called you goddess. Who the hell could resist that? Is there something wrong with your brain? Yes, why does she call you goddess? King Xuantong was also full of confusion. Xiao Yang thought about it, then suddenly raised his eyebrows and said, it's all because of you in order to save you today. I even dressed up specially and went there in women's clothes. Jujia Yu was the one who sent us to the hospital today. You saw her, she was just randomly stopped on the road. But because I was wearing women's clothes, she thought I was a woman and kept chasing me. Calling me goddess, what could I do? After Xiao Yang's explanation, Ying Xuantong scratched her head and thought about it. No wonder the voice sounded familiar, it turned out to be the woman who sent us to the hospital. Yes, to be honest, he is your savior. Xiao Yang waved his hand. If she thinks you're a woman, then why does she chase you and call you goddess? Could it be that she is Lily? King Xuantong covered her mouth in surprise. It seems so at the moment. Xiao Yang recalled Jujia Yu's various behaviors. There was no doubt that this speculation was absolutely correct. He called me goddess and kissed me forcefully against the wall. Damn it, I have to find a chance to be discharged from the hospital. Who can stand this? And why don't you explain to her clearly that you are a man? Ying Xuantong continued. Xiao Yang is indeed a man. She has just confirmed it herself. Thinking of this, Ying Xuantong couldn't help but blush again. I just called him. Oh damn, shameless. Xiao Yang didn't pay attention to King Xuantong. He just said casually, how do you explain this? I have to be proud. If she knew I was wearing women's clothes, she might think I had some fetish. That would be too embarrassing. The worst that can happen is that I'll just avoid her in the future. Ying Xuantong nodded thoughtfully. This was indeed true. Suddenly she came closer and said, then tell me, how many times have you dressed as a woman? Just this once, Xiao Yang said with great certainty. Really? I heard there are only 0 and countless times of wearing women's clothing. How is that possible? King Xuantong, don't think too much about it. Besides, I wore women's clothes just to save you. Xiao Yang jumped up immediately. No, I only wore it once. The last time was the last time. Even if the King of Heaven came, I would only wear it once. Seeing Xiao Yang's expression, King Xuantong couldn't help but burst out laughing. That's enough. Xiao Yang, to be honest, I haven't really seen you wearing women's clothes yet. Why don't you wear them again and show them to me? King Xuantong suddenly shook Xiao Yang's arm curiously and said, Cocathus lie. Impossible, absolutely impossible. I can't wear women's clothes anymore. Xiao Yang refused flatly. No matter what, I will never dress like a woman again. Okay. The two were silent. Suddenly King Xuantong stretched out her little hand and shook it, and said shyly, by the way, Xiao Yang, does Lin Q know that you have so little time? I roughly calculated it has only been 3 minutes. Fuck me. How can they be the same? Do you know that in specific scenes and events, the stimulation people feel is different? Otherwise, why would anyone sell those small strips of cloth with blood drops on them? Xiao Yang said righteously. What is the guillotine? A hidden weapon, used to kill people. Xiao Yang let out a long sigh. Yes, many people were killed, hundreds of millions. Ying Xuantong didn't ask any more questions, but smiled and said, if Zhang Yan and Lin Q knew that you were so short, would they? Are you threatening me? Xiao Yang frowned slightly. Yes, yeah, let me see it once. I want to see the goddess in other people's eyes. Colonel Xiao's demeanor too. Dame. If you wear it, I can give you a chance to prove yourself again. Xiao Yang glanced at King Xuantong's hand and sighed. Where are the clothes? Chapter 254. I'm not good at math. Because he didn't have women's clothing, Ying Xuantong couldn't see what she wanted to see, and Xiao Yang didn't have the chance to prove himself. Okay, you really should go back, Xiao Yang sighed. It's almost 12 o'clock now. If we stay here any longer, we'll have to spend the night. Xiao Yang was really afraid that something might happen to a single man and a single woman in the same room. I don't want to go back. King Xuantong glanced out the window. Aren't you afraid that Zhang Yan or Ji will make a surprise attack? If so, you will have to hide under the quilt again and you will be scalded to death. Xiao Yang said with a smile. DSK, at worst we can just show our hand. Ying Xuantong, on the other hand, has let it go. What do you mean by revealing your cards? We are innocent. Xiao Yang quickly interrupted King Xuantong's thoughts. Then, King Xuantong glanced at her hands. You did that yourself. I told you not to move, Xiao Yang said unconvinced. Does that mean you're still at a disadvantage? I can let it go. Xiao Yang sighed. You uncle. The two of them were fighting. And King Xuantong was so angry that she put her hands on her hips. Just then, a bell interrupted their fight. King Xuantong suddenly became quiet. Although she kept saying that she wanted to show her cards, she would still feel inexplicably nervous if it was really Zhang Yan or Lin Qiyu who called. After all, they have already established relationships with Xiao Yang. So what am I, a mistress? Or lover? She bit her red lips, glared at Xiao Yang, and said nothing. Xiao Yang picked up the phone. It was a WeChat voice message, not a phone call. Shang Xin? Xiao Yang was slightly stunned but still picked up the phone. Hello? Is that Mr. Yang? It's me. Although the loudspeaker was not turned on, there were only 2 people in the ward and it was quiet. So Shang Xin's voice also fell into King Xuantong's ears. Her eyes suddenly widened. Another woman? She looked at Xiao Yang, her face full of confusion. You bastard, how many women do you know? And this Shang Xin's voice sounds extremely nice and pleasant. Xiao Yang spread his hands and ignored King Xuantong, but asked, what do you want to talk to me about? I'm looking for you on behalf of President Wan. Mr. Wan? Xiao Yang was stunned for a moment, then he remembered that she should be talking about Wan Qian. At this moment, Wan Qian's voice came from the other end of the phone. Boss. Obviously, Wan Qian's voice sounded relieved. Xiao Yang looked confused. What urgent matter did he come to me for? You looking for me? I'm not the one looking for you. You should be the one looking for me. Wan Qian was at a loss whether to laugh or cry. Xiao Yang became even more confused. Didn't you say yesterday that you would come to the company today and inject funds into the company based on the specific situation? Xiao Yang then remembered that after talking with Wan Qian and the others yesterday, he planned to go to Xuanhua the next day. After all, he was the boss, and he was quite interested in the operation of the music company. He planned to decide how much to pay when he went to investigate. But who would have thought that the next day he would forget about this matter because of King Xuantong's matter? The phone was broken during the fight in the bar, so Wan Qian couldn't contact him. And I found Shang Xin and contacted myself through Shang Xin. Xiao Yan said apologetically, I'm sorry, I had a lot of things happen today, so I forgot about it. You don't need to call me before. I'll give you another phone number, you can call me this number from now on. After that, Wan Qian asked with concern, what happened to you? Is it serious? It's not serious, he's in the hospital now. Give me a bank account and I'll transfer the money to him. At this time, Shang Xin's voice came, hospital Mr. Yang, what's wrong with you? Is someone chasing you again? The corner of Xiao Yang's mouth twitched. No. Then, Mr. Yang, do you have anyone taking care of you? I will go to the hospital to take care of you, I have time. Shang Xin said quickly. No need, my girlfriend is here. Xiao Yang said casually. As the voice fell, King Xuantong, who originally wanted to get to the bottom of the matter, suddenly blushed. Furry friend. Are you talking about me? She rolled her eyes at Xiao Yang. No matter whether it was true or not, she would just call him a scumbag first. Shang Xin on the other side also said, oh, with a slightly disappointed look. Okay, that's it, send me your account number on WeChat and I'll transfer the money to you. After saying that, Xiao Yang also hung up the phone. Here, King Xuantong immediately came up and asked in a questioning manner. Tell me quickly, who are these two, how old are they? And which school do they go to? What are you talking about? These two are employees of my company. Didn't you hear one of them call me President Yang and the other one call me boss? King Xuantong recalled it briefly and it seemed to be like this. No, how could it be such a coincidence that they were all girls? And I heard that they all had very young voices. Are you guys having some secret affair? King Xuantong shook her head, trying hard to think. How is that possible? Xiao Yang rejected it outright. I just find it weird that the people who approach you are all women. Yeah, so in order to not be so weird, you should go back and take a shower and go to bed. Xiao Yang waved his hand. I'm not going back, I'm just going to take a shower and sleep here. Do you really have to live here? Yeah, it would be scary to live in such a big place by yourself. Then stay away from me. I like to sleep while holding something. King Xuantong hugged Xiao Yang around the waist, resting her head on Xiao Yang's arm, and laughed. Xiao Yang felt a little helpless. Who wouldn't be moved when such a soft and fragrant body was in his arms? He sighed, aren't you afraid of something happening? You said it yourself, I'm a scumbag, why are you sticking to me? Yeah, but girls are like this, they all love scumbags. And I'm no exception. King Xuantong smiled. If he is a real scumbag, how could he be a hero and save the damsel in distress again and again? If he is really a scumbag, how could he reject a beautiful woman directly when she is in his arms? King Xuantong glanced at Xiao Yang. No one could help but be tempted by such a scumbag. Xiao Yang curled his lips and simply ignored King Xuantong, continuing to look at his phone. Wan Qian has sent me her bank account information on WeChat. For her, Xiaoyang's funds are definitely the most urgent and important thing at the moment. The company still needs to operate, and she herself has little money left. Even some old employees found that their salaries have been withheld for quite some time. If it weren't for her sentimentality, she would probably be the only one making the noise. Xiaoyang was not in a hurry, so he sent a message directly and asked, "How much money does the company need?" 20 million. Wang Qian didn't dare to say it was a lot, and 20 million was indeed a lot. After all, Xuanhua was now as good as he used to be, and 20 million could do a lot of things. Let's make it an even number. 50 million. Xiaoyang thought about it and said directly. Wang Qian was a little nervous at first. After all, 20 million is not a small amount. Who knew that Xiaoyang would ask for 50 million right away? And her face immediately became excited. Xiaoyang opened his mobile banking app and prepared to transfer money to Wang Qian. Xiaoyang's bank card is a specially upgraded Supreme VIP bank card with unlimited amount of transfers. So this is not a problem. 5,000? He began to count to 0. On this side, King Xuantong couldn't sit still anymore. Why did you transfer so much money to others? 50 million. King Xuantong was already filled with surprise when she saw Xiaoyang's chat history. She didn't have the family background of Zhang Yan and Lin Qiu. It was unimaginable for her that Xiaoyang spent hundreds of thousands to help her settle those things. This 50 million. I dare not even think about it. Doing business. These are the company's funds. Xiaoyang randomly typed in 0. Is it really company funds, not a sponsorship? King Xuantong raised an eyebrow. Can you put something pure in your head? Xiaoyang reached out and poked King Xuantong's head. Hey, why is it not pure anymore? Isn't this the daily life of you rich people? How about this, you can also keep me as your mistress. I'm really greedy for your money. You are just coveting my money? You are coveting my person. Xiaoyang rolled his eyes at King Xuantong. Wrong, I am greedy for both people and money. After taking a casual look, Xiaoyang directly confirmed the transfer. The other side. Wang Qian didn't know that Xiaoyang's style of doing things was so swift and decisive. After all, it was 50 million, and it would probably take some time for the money to be transferred. But who knew that just as she was about to leave Shang Xian's house, a clear voice suddenly came from the cell phone. Ing, your ICBC card with the last number 3016 has been transferred 5 billion yuan. So fast, she was full of surprise, and then began to count how many zeros there were in the string of numbers. Suddenly she widened her eyes and looked at Shang Xian with a slight tremor. Xian, can you help me see how much? Shang Xian took the bank card with a puzzled look on her face. 1 0, 2 zeros. Can we count in a different way? Wang Qian's mouth twitched slightly. Tens. Hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands. Suddenly, the two girls gasped at the same time and looked at each other with shock on their faces. Take another look? 1, 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, 100 million, 1 billion. So, this is really 5 billion. The two girls were completely dizzy. Did Xiaoyang transfer 5 billion to them? Didn't you say 50 million? Isn't 5 billion too exaggerated? Asked Mr. Yang. Ask. I'm thinking of absconding with the money. Wang Qian's heart was pounding. She had never seen so much money before. Good. This time, I called directly. Xiaoyang didn't know about it yet, and was still playing around with King Xuantong. You can be greedy as much as you want, but in the end you will lose both your money and your life anyway. That's right, you've lost both your money and your life. I want them all. By the way, Xiaoyang, if we compare Lin Qiu, Zhang Yan, me, and who's bigger? TSK as almost the same. Then tell me, who among the three of us is the best looking? Of course Lin Qiu is the cutest, Zhang Yan is the prettiest. And you? Xiaoyang shook his head. You. I'm going to beat you to death. You hypocritical man. King Xuantong immediately raised her hands and started playing with Xiaoyang. For some reason, Xiaoyang's hand was placed where it shouldn't be while he was making a fuss. Yours is indeed the biggest, okay? But soon, the ringing of a phone broke the ambiguous atmosphere. Boss Yang, we received the money. Got it, that's good. Well, did you call the wrong number? The message we received seems to be 5 billion. What did you say, 50? Xiaoyang was stunned for a moment and opened the deduction notification. Tens, hundreds, thousands, millions. Return. It's really 5 billion. Xiaoyang took a quick glance and discovered the clue. It turned out that when transferring the money, he was playing around with King Xuantong and he made a mistake and took the comma as a dot. I thought the last two zeros were minutes of arc. 5 billion. He took a breath and turned to give King Xuantong a cold look. What a spendthrift woman. Here, Wang Qian's voice came. Boss Yang? Oh, it's okay, well, I'm not very good at math. I'll just print more, you guys use it first. As for getting the money back, How is that possible? Mr. Yang has to save his face after all. Xiao Yang hung up the phone and let out a long sigh. Oh my god, I lost a lot. I just hope the noise can make some money back for me. Wan Qian was confused when the call was hung up. What did Mr. Yang say? Not very good at math. So there were 2 extra zeros? That's 2 zeros. No, it should be 4.95 billion more. This number is so exaggerated that it makes people dizzy. Who wouldn't count the zeros when transferring money? Did Xiao Yang really transfer the wrong amount of money? Or he couldn't have done it on purpose? Wan Qian's hands were shaking. 5 billion. What ban? What Jingliu entertainment? Damn, kill them all. Noise, about to take off. Chapter 255. Is 5 billion not enough? Wan Qian didn't calm down for a long time. She had originally been thinking about leaving Shang Xian's house and going back to rest. But at this moment her legs felt weak. 5 billion. No one can walk on this road. She looked at Shang Xian in front of her and sighed. Xian, pinch me, I want to see if I'm dreaming. After her thighs turned red, Wan Qian finally realized it. These 5 billion are real. She didn't dare turn off the text messages, for fear that the text messages would be lost and the money would be lost too. This is 5 billion. The market value at the peak of the hype was only a few billion. Not to mention returning to the peak of the noise. This starting line is far beyond the noise. Shang Xian was also very excited. But they both calmed down in the end. The two of them sat on the sofa, looking at the countless zeros, and they never got tired of looking at them. Sister Qian, what should we do now? Wan Qian also breathed a sigh of relief. When she had no money, nothing went well for her, but now that she had money, everything became a big problem. She frowned slightly and did not answer Shang Xian's question immediately, but began to think carefully. 50 billion is not endless. There is no endless money in this world. Since Xiao Yang was able to transfer so much money in one go, he must have high expectations for the returns that this money will generate. After the joy comes the melancholy. It's really hard for her to manage so much money. The key is how to spend money wisely. The first thing we need to do is to put up the noisy sign again. Wan Qian rubbed her chin. Xian, lend me your computer. Good. Wan Qian sat in front of the computers. He now had to make a detailed plan quickly. For rich people, money can make money. She can't just let so much money sit there. Even if she throws it in the bank, she can still earn interest. If you want to make your brand famous, you must have some talented artists. She looked at Shang Xian beside her. There is no doubt that Shang Xian is the most outstanding artist in the world today. Only, the works. Since this is the first shot fired, it must be earth-shattering. Top composers and top producers need to create a top-notch album to be worthy of Xiao Yang's 5 billion. She glanced at the time and it was already late at night. After hesitating for a moment, he did not plan to rest, but looked at Shang Xian. What style are you best at? In fact, before this, Wan Qian planned to use the old people in the company to arrange the music and lyrics for Shang Xian to make an album. But things are different now. As for Xiao Yang, she didn't think about him. Although Xiao Yang said that he could try to come up with some songs, it was unnecessary for Wan Qian. He has invested such a huge amount of money. If I can't even produce an album, it would be laughable. I would be unworthy of Xiao Yang's trust. After all, Xiao Yang can come up with so much money at once, so you can imagine what his daily life is like. He must be frequenting high-end places, dealing with wealthy businessmen and aristocrats every day, and discussing projects worth tens of billions of dollars. To waste hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars of other people's time just for an album. Besides, no matter how talented Xiao Yang is, an album can be made with more than just one song. A variety of songs are needed, which is obviously not something that could be handled by one person. Chen Zhilong, Teacher Chen is good at lyrical arrangement and is recognized as a first-line arranger in the industry. You sing lyrical songs well. If you invite him to arrange the song, the quality of the song will definitely be no problem. Wan Qian began to think. If you have money, you must hire big names. We have to invite arranger Mr. Chen and composer Mr. Wu with them around. The quality of the song will definitely not be bad. As for the cost, if it was the same noise as before, I would definitely not be able to invite them, but now I have 5 billion in startup capital. To create a buzz, that's absolutely fine. The second is the company's working environment. Chuanhua hasn't tidied up the company for a long time. In addition to the aging decoration and poor working environment, many of the company's equipment are also a bit old. The recording studio needs to be changed. You should hire the most professional tuner. We also need to ask the media to create hype for her and make Shang Xian famous before releasing the album. In the past, she didn't even dare to think about these things, but now, she believes that these can be easily obtained. However, this money cannot be spent at will after thinking about it. She picked up the phone and wanted to ask Xiao Yang what he thought. At this moment, Xiao Yang has not fallen asleep yet. After all, with a beautiful woman beside him, who would have the heart to sleep? However, King Xuantong was extremely brave as he hugged Xiao Yang and actually fell asleep, thinking that King Xuantong had been through a lot all day. From being kidnapped by Fang Jingyuan to being injured and hospitalized. All of these were extremely tortuous. He did not disturb King Xuantong for the moment, but just casually scrolled through his phone, reading a book called The Godly Rich starts from signing into school at the beginning. This Shang Nan is good, but he is such a jerk. Unlike myself. Not a scumbag at all. Xiao Yang shook his head, and at this time, Wan Qian's news arrived as expected. I don't know what to do with so much money. For now, I want to sort out the company first. The company's office equipment is relatively old, such as the recording studio, the full set of lighting for photo shoots, the venue, the sound engineer, the mixer, the sound equipment, etc. If these things were replaced with the configuration of a top-notch recording studio, it would probably cost a lot of money. Xiao Yang looked at the message and was slightly stunned. He replied with some surprise, "Is 5 billion not enough?" Wan Qian's mouth twitched when she received the news. I didn't say it's not enough. What I meant is that we may have to rent a new independent office building for the company's office location, and we also need to replace a lot of equipment. After all, if we want to create a buzz, we must first give it a brand new external image. And some. Before he finished typing, Xiao Yang's message came back. It sounds like it won't take 5 billion. These 20 or 30 million can all be done. Then why did you tell me so much? I thought you didn't have enough money. Xiao Yang replied angrily. Oh, my god, don't you know how good this novel I'm reading is? You're wasting my time reading novels. The only bad thing is that this author is actually a dead eunuch. A dog. If he can catch this author called Go Uzi, he will definitely pin him to the ground and lock him up in a small dark room. If he doesn't write anything, he will break his legs. I've given you the money, do whatever you want. You don't need to ask me about such trivial matters. Xiao Yang replied directly, walked out and continued reading the novel. Here, Wan Qian was completely confused. Do whatever you want. Is this Xiao Yang's style of doing things? After all, these expenses would amount to tens of millions, and I was still thinking about how to write a purchase order for Xiao Yang to review. And then you say, don't ask me about such trivial matters? Wan Qian let out a long sigh and looked into the eyes of Shang Xin beside her. The figure of the young man appeared in their minds at the same time. Handsome, gentle, calm, good at singing, brave, loyal, and can fight. Now add one more label. Generous. Wan Qian was filled with emotion. How much did Xiao Yang trust her to give her so much money directly without asking her any questions and just acting like a hands-off boss? Isn't he afraid that he will abscond with the money? This is 5 billion, enough for a person to live a lifetime. Not just 10 lifetimes, anywhere in the world. Suddenly, she rubbed her eyes and felt a little wet and her nose a little sour. Turning back, she said with red eyes, Xin, go and rest first. There is nothing for you to do now. I need to smooth my voice. You should take care of your voice during this period. We can't let Xiao Yang down. Shang Xin nodded suddenly. Can't let you down. Chapter 256 Noisy Meeting. The next day, Xiao Yang and King Xuantong were both awakened by a ringing phone. This was the alarm set by King Xuantong. They had to leave quickly in the morning and not be discovered. When they opened their eyes, it was already 7 o'clock in the morning. King Xuantong pushed Xiao Yang's restless hand away and cursed inwardly. Scumbag. Beyond, his face flushed, and said reluctantly, I'm leaving. Hurry up and go. I want to be discharged from the hospital too. Xiao Yang sighed. In fact, being hospitalized is quite comfortable, but he can't stay there any longer. At least he has to stay away from Chujiayu. No one can resist her teasing. Besides, if Zhang Yan finds out that there are other women visiting her besides her and Lin Qiyu, she will probably be punished by the family rules. We must retreat quickly. After King Xuantong left, Xiao Yang felt relieved. At least the safety hazard was temporarily resolved. After sending a few messages to Zhang Yan and Lin Qiyu, yelling them not to come over to see him, Xiao Yang was about to order some breakfast on his cell phone when he heard anxious footsteps outside the ward. Xiao Yang looked at the door of the ward, feeling a little depressed. Then, seeing that face with a ruffian-like smile, Xiao Yang felt numb. The person who came was none other than Chujiayu. How can she get up so early? Oh my god, it was around 12 o'clock when she went back yesterday. She took some time on the way. She had to take a shower and remove her makeup. And then put on makeup again in the morning. Girls have plenty of time to do that. Is this just 4 or 5 hours of sleep? The key is that he looks energetic and not tired at all. This is Superwoman. A master of time management. Chujiayu had no idea that Xiao Yang was thinking so much. He was holding some things in his hands when he came in. When he saw Xiao Yang, he immediately ran over happily. Good morning, goddess. I prepared breakfast for you. Ding 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 ding. I don't know what you like. Well, I have everything. This is bread, this is soy milk and fried dough sticks. Here are steamed buns, and the heart-shaped poached eggs I fried myself. Xiaoyang looked at the table full of things and had to say that he felt warmed. So many things. Yes, there are buns with meat filling, red bean paste filling, and yes, there are also steamed buns. What do you like? If it's not available, I'll go down and buy it. But you have to eat this omelette because I made it myself. Chujia Yu said happily. You are thoughtful. Xiaoyang let out a long sigh. What about you? What did you eat? Xiaoyang casually picked up a bun and started eating. I'll eat whatever you have left there, so much anyway. Xiaoyang didn't know whether to laugh or cry. I can eat anything. Let's eat together. Okay, Chujia Yu nodded vigorously. If you were a man, you would definitely be a scumbag. Xiaoyang couldn't help but sigh. Unexpectedly, Chujia Yu didn't get angry but laughed. Sometimes girls can. Well, what I mean is, what's so good about stinky men? True love is between women, and men and women are only for reproduction. In addition to Xiaoyang, Wan Qian also just woke up on the other side, looking at the crystal saliva lying on the computer desk. Mr. Wan, the former superstar and current company boss, had a transparent face and wiped it with a tissue in embarrassment. She glanced at the Word document on the computer and fortunately the plan she had worked on overnight was still there. Glancing at the time, she had only slept for 2 hours. Lying in front of the computer desk, with a hint of bloodshot in her eyes. She was not as energetic as Chu Jiayu, a master of time management. Shang Xian had just woken up and got up to say hello to Wan Qian. Xiao Yi, like Shang Xian, also later she got up and saw Wan Qian and also said hello. They had met yesterday. Sister Qian, what do you want to eat? I'll go downstairs and buy you some breakfast as well. Okay, then just buy me 2 steamed buns. Wan Qian let out a long sigh, dragged her tired body into the bathroom, washed her face, and fixed her makeup. She felt much better. He returned to his computer desk, checked the plan, took out his cell phone, and started making calls one after another. Manager Liu, it's me, Wan Qian. All employees and artists of the company to gather at the company today. I have something to announce. It's not disbanding. Who said the company is going to disband? As long as I'm here, the company won't fail. Director Li, please help me find the phone number of teacher Chen Zhilong. Yes, it's the composer Chen Zhilong. Send his contact information to my WeChat later. I need it right away. Oh, by the way, there is also the lyricist Mr. Li, that is, MRLI. Clean up the company and prepare a large meeting room. All employees and artists must be present today. No leave is allowed unless there are special circumstances. After making a lot of phone calls, Wan Qian sat down, closed her eyes, and planned different things in her mind. At the same time, Shang Xian, who went downstairs to buy breakfast, has returned with a bag of breakfast. Together with Xiao Yi, the 3 of them feasted on the meal. Xian, come back to the company with me later, and we'll finalize the contract. But Xiao Yi was full of envy standing aside. Seeing this, Shang Xian thought for a moment and said, does the company need to assign me an agent or something? Yes. Sister Qian, can Xiao Yi be my manager? Xiao Yi? Wan Qian glanced at Xiao Yi. Xiao Yi herself was also very surprised. She didn't expect Shang Xian to make this request. And let Xiao Yi sign a contract with the company as well. This will make things easier. After breakfast, the 3 of them took Wan Qian's car back to the company together. At this time, Xuanhua Company was already busy. After hearing Wan Qian's request, basically all the employees who could come came. This can be regarded as the company's annual meeting. In fact, there are quite a few artist employees in the company, but for various reasons, some have already resigned, and some have taken private jobs. Wan Qian took a look and knew that those people had not arrived. She glanced at the time and slowly said to the person beside her, anyone who is absent without reason at 12 o'clock will be treated as automatically resigning. As the voice fell, the whole audience was in an uproar. Some people couldn't help but frown. They were basically aware of Xuanhua's current situation, which was that the day was gradually approaching dusk and the sun was setting. It's not surprising when it turns yellow. Is Mr. Wan laying off employees on purpose? Some employees haven't received their salaries for a long time. I guess by calling everyone together, they probably intend to dissolve the company. Everyone was talking about it, but they were all thinking the same thing. But they don't care after all, the company is in this state. And they have done the best they can by staying until now. For a long time, more people joined the company one after another. Wan Qian glanced at the time. Manager Liu, write down who is absent and ask them to come and collect 3 months' salary as if their contract has been terminated. Wan Qian said directly. After she finished speaking, she glanced at the crowd, and she had something in mind. She stood up, walked to the front, motioned for everyone to quiet down, and said with the microphone, "Everyone knows what the situation is with our noise. I am very grateful to everyone for following the noise to this day." After this long speech, everyone was a little confused and had no idea what Won Keon was talking about. Just then, a voice interrupted Won Keon, "Boss Won." Won Keon took a look and immediately frowned. "I'm the agent manager of Jingyu Entertainment Jiangdu branch. My name is Li Chengyu, you should know me." Li Chengyu. Everyone frowned immediately. Everyone present knew who Li Chengyu was. He can be said to be one of the well-known agents in the circle, but his earliest identity was that of the ace agent of Xuanhua Music Company. But now he is a member of Jingyu Entertainment and was one of the first people to be poached. Why is he here? Who let him in? Everyone was surprised and talked about it. Won Keon frowned. "Who let you in? Our company is having a meeting. Please get out." "Get out, traitor," someone cursed. Li Chengyu smiled and said, "Don't worry, Xuanhua is actually my old company. I can't bear to see it go down in history, Mr. Won. I'm here to say hello to you on behalf of Mr. Liu CG." As soon as the voice fell, the whole audience became hostile. Liu CG, Jingyu Entertainment. This is exactly what has made the noise what it is today. Won Keon's face suddenly darkened. Chapter 257 Merger and Acquisition. Won Keon frowned and clenched her pink fists tightly. Before she could open her mouth, someone spoke up, "Li Chengyu. If you have any shame, get out of the noise right now. Our company doesn't welcome people like you." Li Chengyu smiled. But he was not angry. "I don't care whether you welcome me or not. Maybe after I finish speaking, you will welcome me." He smiled and glanced around. "I also have feelings for Xuanhua. After all, I was also a noisy person at the beginning. I have been a veteran employee of the company for 5 years. But I see clearly and know what is the right choice to make and when. Look, it's only been a few years and the noise has become what it is now. To be honest, it hurts my heart." He pretended to be in pain. But this made everyone around him feel sick. Won Keon was also extremely disgusted when she saw this. "Li Chengyu, you don't have to act so hypocritical. You'll only make people feel disgusted. You to better leave right now, otherwise I'll ask someone to ask you to get out," Won Keon said coldly. "Ask me out?" Li Chengyu laughed. "Boss Won, don't worry. I'll just say a few words if you don't even let me say a few words. That's too stingy." The corners of his mouth rose slightly and he looked around. Although everyone looked disgusted, they couldn't help but lower their heads. "Speaking of which, there are also some of my former good colleagues, good brothers, and good friends here. To be honest, seeing you like this, it really pains me. We were so high-spirited back then. And look at me now, I am still the same, while you are as depressed as a lost dog. People are realistic in this society. Everyone needs money. Seeing you in such a difficult situation, I can't bear it." "What exactly do you want to say?" Won Keon interrupted Li Chengyu and said in a deep voice. "What I want to say is, he who knows the times is a hero." Li Chengyu turned his head. "Boss Won, you are just a woman. Why do you have to support it so hard? Let me put it this way, with Jingyu Entertainment here, the noise will never come to the fore. When Xuanhua was in his prime, he was no match for Jingliu, let alone now. I heard about your gathering this morning. To be honest, I am happy for you, although you were a little late in your sensible age. It has paid off in the end. Have you said enough?" Someone couldn't stand his sarcasm and stood up to scold him. However, Li Chengyu continued to talk to himself. "I know that you, Mr. Won, are at the end of your rope. You called everyone together today because you want to declare bankruptcy, right?" As soon as the words fell, the faces of the people around him suddenly became heavy. "Yes, the company hasn't gathered everyone together for a long time. Such a large meeting is probably really the end of the round. Although everyone had expected it, it is still a pity today. Is all this huge noise going to collapse today?" Li Chengyu seemed to have expected everyone to have such expressions. He actually walked forward and squeezed in front of the crowd. "Mr. Won, as an old employee of Xuanhua, I also hope that Xuanhua can make a comeback and create greater glory. I don't want its decades of history to go to waste. So, when you just sent this message this morning, I had already spoken to Mr. Liu CG of Jingliu Entertainment. He sympathizes with the way who you is now. Let me come and persuade you." After the words were spoken, many people looked indignant. This is too shameless. Sympathy? Would Liu CG sympathize with Xuanhua? Isn't it Jingliu who caused Xuanhua to be in this state now? Won Keon also looked at Li Chengyu with a gloomy face. But when Li Chengyu looked in front of him, he always felt that there was something in her eyes. Confidence or disdain? Some of them were different from what I had imagined, and seemed to be somewhat indignant, but also somewhat unexpected. Survival of the fittest is the eternal truth. The feud between Xuanhui and Jingliu is nothing more than a competition in the business world. Don't you agree, Mr. Wan? Li Chengyu stared into Wan Qianzi's and smiled. Competition in the business world? Wan Qian laughed. Many people know the truth, but in the final analysis, Li Siji did use commercial means, which is impeccable. There is a saying in the business world, there are no eternal enemies, only eternal interests. We all know that President Wan has an inseparable affection for Xuanhui and doesn't want to let this golden signet of Xuanhui fall into disrepair. Therefore this time I'm here to discuss cooperation on behalf of Jingliu Entertainment. Cooperate? In other words, merger and acquisition. Li Chengyu said in a deep voice. It can acquire Xuanhui 3 times the market value and retain the Xuanhui brand, which will only be attributed to Jingliu Entertainment's subsidiary. And you, Mr. Wan, will still be Xuanhui's boss. This is Jingliu Entertainment.